Am I recording? Yes, we are recording. Are you guys ready for another exciting day of Lord of the Mysteries? Today we're reading what? Chapter 1055. Why does it sound like a threat? Hey, I didn't say it was a threat. You're saying it's a threat, love. We're gonna make him take a break when it comes to the volume discussion so he can take a day off. And then we have that discussion, then he takes another day off after, so that way we can make him take 3 days off, so we can slow down Wiz's pace, and we can hopefully potentially catch up. Well, I hope you guys are ready. Chapter 1055, the goal is to read like 15 plus chapters, knock on wood. That being said, we're going to jump straight into it, and if you guys haven't, you should check out our episode 11 react. So if you guys like that, you guys check it out. I think it'll be fun. All right, that being said, we're going to go straight into it. Don't read it. Spoil. Stop. Stop what? Spoil what? Mods? Was there a spoiler? Oh, I want to read. All right, that being said, chapter 1055. Yo, what's up, Milosh? What's up, dude? All right, chapter 1055 is called Train of Thought. Now it feels weird having my mic this far away. I'm going to flip it. Completely digested. That's understandable. This is the act of hypnotizing a demigod. Although it's thanks to the fate, siphon charm, it only helped to open the door of the body of heart and mind. The subsequent consciousness manipulation and the cue planting needs to be done personally. If she weren't careful, she would trigger an intense rejection and would lead to failure. Acting done to the extreme would definitely accelerate digestion process. Klein nodded gently and said and praised. This is a good thing. It's even more so for current situation. Audrey understood what Mr. World meant, and the storm that was sweeping around thanks to the angel of imagination and I don't think the voice in your head will get mad at you for leaving her on red. You know what? I think you're right, Milosh. I think we're gonna leave her on red. But it's gonna be for a good cause. Because we can read more Lord of Mysteries. Audrey understood what the world... So wait, you're telling me there's a really, really big spoiler? And I didn't read it? Oh. Bless the fool. I tip my top hat to all of you guys. Thank you for spamming spoilers in all caps. I tip my top hat to you. This is a good thing. It's even more so for the current situation. Audrey understood what Mr. World meant, and the storm that was sweeping around thanks to the angel of imagination, Adam King George III. Even as she stood by the sidelines, she could sense her weakness and how powerless she was, couldn't wait to improve herself. She tearfully acknowledged and said, I'll urge the son to give his conditions to complete the duel and try my best to advance to sequence 5. When the time comes, I hope that I receive the protection of Mr. Full and remain consciousness in my dream. Having been prepared for this, Klein smiled and said, actually, you don't have to wait that long. I'll be able to sell you a Dreamwalker's Beyond a characteristic by tomorrow, and at the latest Friday. As a private exchange, Klein didn't act as the world by deliberately making his voice hoarse. All he did was sound reserved. Really, Audrey's eyes widened, not concealing her surprise. Klein nodded and said, it's actually from Hyven Rambus. Oh yeah, sacrifice your relationship for the tone. I got you guys. I think one day will be fine. I think one Saturday evening will be fine. From all our future Saturdays, I think this is going to be a fair sacrifice. Klein nodded and said, it's actually from Hyven Rambus. The new cross that Mr. Full obtained can allow the Bionic characteristic to be purged. He spoke very simply without explaining the actual steps. He maintained Gurmitsmar's unique coldness. Is that so? The corners of Audrey's lips curled up as she broke into smile. She pressed against her chest and said, praise Mr. Full and thank you, Mr. World. A double token of gratitude. Klein chuckled inwardly and calmly said, it's just a transaction. You need to pay for it. He lampooned to himself. Audrey maintained her smile and asked, what do you need for a sequence 5 Bionic characteristic, 8,000 pounds? Klein chose something that Miss Justice could gather in the fastest time possible. Audrey didn't mind this price. She thought for a while before asking, can you sell the separated hypnotist characteristics to me as well? When she said that, she smiled at embarrassment and said, it's for Susie. The incident this time was resolved, all thanks to her. Yes, the higher level, the greater the help she can provide will be. It will also be... Oh, I'm reading wrong. Well, I'll also help her. I'm like overthinking like, shit, man. If I read that, I think that would have ruined my mood. Whatever spoiler there probably was earlier, that probably wouldn't ruin my whole day. It's like 1,000 chapters of running all these spoilers, and then I read something at the very end. That probably would have broken my heart. No problem, 4,000 pounds. Having expected this, Klein directly named his price. And in his plan, he could stop once the hypnotist was purged, doing so without continuing the separation process. Now he would be placed under the unshadowed crucifix together for a long period of time, allowing its remaining characteristic to take form. A total of 12,000 pounds. Audrey asked for confirmation, not feeling too much pressure. As she didn't have any major expenditures from the past few months, she only had 10,000 pounds left. Only 10,000. Just a little bit of economizing was enough to satisfy her needs. Seeing the world nod, she heaved a sigh of relief. I'll pay for it before Friday. SMH. I was gonna sleep too. After closing the deal, her mood became better with Hive and Ramus. Thank you to all our beautiful mods. Thank you guys. Her mood became better than Hive and Ramus having been killed. She asked as though she was chatting, I'll also buy the complete brain of an adult mind dragon from the sun as well. However, I wouldn't be too much in a rush. Susie wouldn't be able to digest the hypnotist potion so quickly. At this point, she glanced shyly at Mr. World. What needs to be exchanged for Hive and Ramus demigod characteristic? Klein laughed and replied, I still don't know what I'm lacking. In fact, that would have ruined the rest of the book. Okay. Thank God. Yeah, OG, we just dodged a really big spoiler, apparently. Yeah, I know. It's probably up here since it wasn't... this. I don't think this gets unsent, maybe. I forget, but... we dodged a bullet. In fact, other than that, we literally dodged a slow bullet or a fate bullet. We dodged a few mystical bullets today. In fact, other than the manipulator characteristic from Hive and Ramus, I also have the corresponding portion formula. While you digest a Dreamwalker potion, I'll slowly think about what I need, and I'll get you to do certain things and gather some materials so that you can make sufficient contributions to exchange them for. Whoa, it does? Oh, it's up there. Upon hearing these words, Audrey's green eyes lit up. Alright, after she replied, she asked with interest, is this the same as how Shield contributed to MI9? Yes, it's also the same method that various major churches use. Klein gave an affirmative answer. Audrey nodded and curiously asked, Mr. World, do you know the name of a high sequence beyond a potion of the spectator pathway? I'm gonna lower this a bit, just in advance. Klein answered simply, Manipulator, Dreamwalker, Discerner, Authoriter, and Sequence 6 Visionary. Your tunnel vision helped you not notice it somehow? Because I was reading the spoilers in all caps, and then I saw Richie just spamming ASD, so I'm like, okay, I definitely shouldn't read whatever's on top of that. Klein answered simply, Manipulator, Dreamwalker, Discerner, Authority, and Sequence 0 Visionary. Hearing the names, making me look forward to them, especially often Visionary, Audrey fantasized for a few seconds before diverting the topic back on track. Did Hive and Rambus say that the King's secret? Also, why are you helping the King? She was partly asking for Shield, but on the other hand, she was also concerned for herself. The King's Secret. Yo, you're on volume 2. Yo, man, good job, dude. Congrats, bro. The volumes literally get better. The King's Secret. He wishes to bypass the 3 major contracts of the royal family signed with the Orthodox churches to become a demigod. For this, as I read the volume, for this he needs to use many mystical item rituals to gain control of some important objects inside the Blunt Emperor's ruins. Huh. That was Hive and Ramus's answers, but it might be... the fuck? But it might not be the entire truth and might very likely be only part of it. As Klein answered, he shared his line of thought. As for the psychology alchemists or the Twilight Hermit Order, they need a war that sweeps the entire world. This is what they're pushing for and hope to see in the trends of times. A war that sweeps the entire world. Audrey repeated softly, her pretty eyebrows furrowed slightly and her cheerful mood plummeted again. Although her status and standing hadn't made her truly experienced the cruelty of war before she was no longer sheltered and cut off from the world, she could already imagine it to a certain degree. After a brief moment of silence, Audrey took a deep breath and forced a smile. I hope we can stop this. After changing a few more words, she left the Grey Falcon and returned to the real world. As for Klein, he busily used clear water, tree sap, herbal powders, thousand face, 100 blood, spirit world plunder, and other materials to dilute, having rampants beyond the characteristics, and concoct a potion that had a question name was definitely filled with problems. Dude, OG, thank you. Here's a little something to make you feel better. 15? What the fuck? Where are the other 14 LTM streamers that I don't know of? Yo, dude, OG, thank you. That definitely cheered me up. So I'm telling you, if that troll that's watching that was trying to spoil us, hey man, I wish you nothing but a good, beautiful life. Enjoy your day. Then he found an ordinary glass bottle and put the potion inside. He wanted to know what kind of sealed artifact it would eventually transform into. This took quite a bit of time, so he used the power of the mysterious space above the Grey Fog to construct a spherical barrier around the glass bottle to prevent any influence it had on the entire area after it mutated. After doing all this, he returned to 160 Beltling Street. He prepared to summon roads and ask in information about the 2 Beyonder creatures known as Hound. Yeah. This is for the ritual. You need Hound of Flurgrim and Demonic Wolf of Fog. At that moment, with the passage of time, the clouds in the sky had thickened and the sun was covered up once again. The entirety of Backland had become as dark as cold as the morning. Standing in front of the desk, he looked out the window at the sky. For some reason, he felt as though he had the Church of the Evernight had neglected an important problem. Their investigation had been going relatively smoothly during this period of time, and the intelligence they received was also delving deeper. However, for some reason, it made him feel uneasy. Is there some influence of misdirection in this matter? And truly is something that I can't think of. Even heading above the gray fog is useless. Divination will most likely point towards him. Huh. Klein hurriedly collected his thoughts, unfurled the paper, and drew a picture consisting of the symbols that implied concealment and mystery prying from a fountain pen. 1 second, 2 seconds. After nearly 8 seconds, the full body mirror in the room turned dark. Aqua's lights rippled and formed silver words. Exalted Great Master, your puny, loyal, and helper servant of Rhodes is here to answer your summoning. I think I'm late. I'm already a grade 1 sealed artifact. I need some time if I want to circumvent the isolation. Please forgive me, Great Master. Wait, what do you mean he's already... Oh, yeah, he was grade 2. How the fuck did he advance? I'm already a grade 1 sealed artifact. I need some time if I want to circumvent the isolation. Please forgive me, Great Master. You're a grade 1 sealed artifact, question mark. Klein asked with surprise. Yeah, he was originally sequence 2. He could already imagine what was going on with the church's team. The mirror that likes to play question and answer games had suddenly gone crazy. OG, why is your name different? The full body mirror's silver words squirmed and formed new words. Great Master, is this a question? He wanted to answer no, but to maintain his image, he nodded and said yes. Our Rhodes immediately produced a line of words. I'm not actually a true grade 1 sealed artifact yet. I'm just enjoying the treatment of a grade 1 sealed artifact in advanced. This is mainly because a grade 1 sealed artifact needs to be reported to other churches and be given a new number. The Church of Steam doesn't wish to do so, so that's how it is. That's understandable. That's understandable. Klein nodded gently. Got it. You know what is understandable? Spoilers leads to being muted or banned. Now that is understandable. Am I right, guys? The aqueous light of the full-bodied mirror surface flashed again as new silver words formed. Supreme Master, do you have any questions to test your loyal servant of Rhodes? What do you know about the hounds of Flurgrim and demonic wolf of fog? He asked without standing on ceremony, completely unfazed that it was actually 2 questions. In the mirror, the silver words squirmed like they had a life of their own and changed shapes. The hound of Flurgrim, the hound of full grim, like grim, like a grim face, full, got it. The hounds of full grim are a type of unique creature of the spirit world. They live in the historical void. Even the 7 lights only know them and are unable to interact with them unless they leave the historical void. The historical void? An attempt to hunt? Wait, the historical void and attempt to hunt. But even so, what you see might only be a projection of their past. A projection of their past. The demonic wolves of the fog are a type of high-level demonic wolves. Oh, demonic wolf Laguerre. I'm seeing the similarities here. The demonic wolves of the fog are a type of high-level demonic wolves after the death of the ancient gods in the Cataclysm, and with them being killed by Antigonus family, Zartol family, and the Church of the Evernight, they're extremely rare now, so it's hard to find them. Furthermore, they're all good at anti-divination and deceit. They aren't easy to find. In other words, the Church of Evernight likely has materials and items related to demonic wolf of the fog, and with this, I can bring it to the spirit world and use it by the law. Oh, and you be drawn to them. And use the law of beyond characteristics converges to bait a hound of full grim. Klein began his train of thoughts as he read on. That's the one cool thing. Even if you don't have any leads to find something, due to the freaking law of beyond or characteristics convergence, like, and in a way of itself, you're like bound to find them, you know, almost like the tides of waves. Chapter 1056 is called The Real Devil. After getting a grasp of the situation, Klein looked at the full body mirror in the room and asked, what's the king's secret? I also just sipped my coffee. I know, not you. I know. You can't hear the fan, bro. I know. My bad. I forgot to ask that. You see, I'm so glad I have really bad tunnel vision, because even if people try and spoil me, I won't even read it by the time somebody deletes it. The surface of the mirror that seemed to lead to another world had aqueous light ripples before revealing a scene. It is a ruin that was hidden deep in the darkness, covered in the dust of history. However, it was completely intact. Does that mean the king's secret is the Blood Emperor runes? Or Rhodes doesn't dare to answer directly. Or is this as much as it can see? After some deliberation, he said to the magic mirror, it's your turn to ask. The image in the full body mirror didn't change at all. It only reveals silver words. Great Master, do you have any other questions? Yes, without standing on ceremony, Klein nodded and asked, where is the Saints of White, Katrina personally? In the mirror, the silver words rapidly faded and disappeared, but the background didn't change at all. It was still the Blood Emperor runes. If not for the words' appearance and the disappearance, I wouldn't have thought that this magic mirror, Crash Katarina, is hiding in the Blood Emperor's runes. The real one. Klein nodded thoughtfully. Are we gonna go Hunter? It's your turn. Reading comprehension. Devil strikes again. And you know what? It struck at a really good time, Milosh. After the scene, silver words condensed once again. Benevolent Master, why don't you leave Backland? That's a quick question. I originally had such plans. I originally investigated the Great Smog of Backland because of my outrage over the incident deaths of the poor like old Kohler, as well as being lost due to the shattering of my main goal. I was about to say I have a fan, but then I realized I was hearing my only fan. Later, I ended up with the identity as a bless of the goddess. Later on, I tried to prevent a disaster from happening and prevent the people I know from suffering due to the ambitions of the powerful, and to not drown because of the tides of times. I was willing to bear some of the risks. As for now, knowing that there might be a war that would sweep the entire world, that is crazy. And discovering that the advancement ritual scholar of yours, practically a tailor-made for me, was signs of things being arranged. Oh, prearranged or preordained by fate. I've already come to a realization that I might not be able to escape even if I tried. Or should I say that I'm unlikely to escape my destiny even if I were to flee backland? Does not sound good. In that case, I might as well take the initiative to face the risk head on and see if I can figure out the truth and find a chance to survive. Grasping my fate in my own hands, Klein's thought kept churning before they settled. That has to mean that there's actually a current fool, bro. Like, there's probably like, or maybe that's like an advancement ritual of like the fool to like lead on the next fool. All right, and then you're acting as the fool because now you don't know. I don't know, man. It's all too coincidental. Following that, he calmly replied, leaving can't really solve the problem. With that, he asked, where is Trissy now? The full-body mirror finally changed the depicted scene. This time it was pitch black. Occasionally, thick objects would slip across the surface. The full-body mirror finally changed the depicted scene. This time it was pitch black. Occasionally, I'm reading this again just so you guys know. Occasionally, thick objects would slip across the surface. Rhodes also can't see Trissy's situation. Klein nodded slightly and said, it's your turn to ask. The mirror was filled with aqueous lights that wisps of silver formed a sentence. Great, master. I have something to tell you. May I? Go ahead. Klein replied, somewhat curious. The silver words changed into new words. You have to be careful with what follows next. It even used an exclamation point. Rhodes noticed something unpleasant. After thinking for a few seconds, Klein asked, what do you think can threaten me? I don't know. I have a feeling. Rhodes reorganized its words, turning them from silver to grayish white. It's obvious that it means to express its sadness and self-reproach. Without waiting for a reply, new grayish white words appeared in the mirror after one another. Great master, I have another scene to show you. Is that okay? Sure, Klein spoke slowly. The full-body mirror surface produced ripples as pitch black darkness changed. It became deeper and deeper, sparkling like diamonds. That was a beautiful and vast night. The scene that Rhodes displayed is directed at the goddesses or it's the gaze cast from the cosmos. It seems like it doesn't dare to express it directly. Klein considered for a moment and didn't attempt to ask further. Let's end it here for today. All right. The grayish white words were once again dyed with silver at the speed at which they appeared had slowed down for some reason. Great master, you haven't said that you would summon me, your loyal servant Rhodes, again if you have other questions in the future. It's a mirror that needs to follow procedure. Klein said in amusement. Of course, I'll summon you again when I have other questions. Yes, master. Goodbye, master. The silver words on the mirror returned to their normal speed, forming a hand that kept waving. After everything returned to normal, Klein burned the paper with a summoning symbol and drew the curtains. He once again stared at the cold and dark sky. Empress Boral in a small Evernight cathedral, Shio and Force received Miss Justice's updates thanks to Mr. Full, and they knew the problem had been resolved. They roughly understood what the king's secret was. Truly impressive. Force, who'd believed in Goddess Demon machinery, opened her eyes in the dark and quiet prayer hall, turned her head and lowered her voice inside. She originally wanted to directly say that Mr. World or Gurman Spur was truly impressive, but she no longer wanted to make such a mistake. The past week made her feel like she had been in the mysterious world for more than 10 years. She opened her eyes as well, but the first drew a crimson moon on her chest, forming a form of showing her penitence towards her disrespect for the goddess. Yes, that's a ... Before Shield could finish her sentence, the message she tried to convey to reach Force. What she wanted to say was that Hyven Rambus was a true demigod but from the time she and Force entered the cathedral, less than 10 minutes had passed, yet she had been finished off by Gurman Sparrow. As saints, there was such a huge gap. Fuck, man, there's such a huge gap. Perhaps it's the blessing of an angel. With her experience in supernatural events and writing novels, Force made a vague guess. As the prayer hall was dark and quiet, making it unsuitable for communication, Shio directly responded to Force's words. She nodded, stood up, and walked into the aisle. The two of them left the prayer area. After approaching the door, Shio exhaled and said, I really hope that I'll be this powerful one day. One day. I have such thoughts occasionally too. Four smiled. No matter what, you've already completed your investigation, haven't you? Although the so-called secrets are definitely worth digging into, the outline of the Miss Mather is rather clear. She looked at the door ahead of her and fell into a daze for a few seconds. But what's the point? I can't do anything about this matter. No. When it comes to enemies, the person's identity isn't too lofty. At least he's someone we can look at directly. For seriously comforted her friend. When you obtain a qualitative change in strength, you'll discover that you have the ability to participate in that matter. At least in the matters you don't involve even higher levels. Force, who had joined the Terror Club for quite a long time ago, had witnessed matters that had been planned by Mr. Fool. He had to use his blessed members of the Terror Club to destroy the descent of the true creator, revealed Banty's secret, obtained a portion of authority from the Storm Domain, and interfered in the ownership of 008. Compared to the angels, kings of angels, and even the true gods that were involved in these matters, King George III alone was indeed nothing special. She's like, Gurman is more special. The Fool is more special. Shio slowly walked to the door and said after a moment of silence, I understand what you mean. We'll return to East District. We won't be in a hurry to move. Oh yeah, now they have to move, right? They can't go back to the same place? Wasn't that also brought up earlier? Now they're digging into them? Well, I mean, if they're cleared now, then I guess they could go back to their former place. I don't know if they need a new residency. Once I obtain the gems from potion formulas, we'll disappear and go into hiding. I believe that after today's incident, they probably wouldn't dare to investigate us. That's for sure. They're just lurking in the dark in spots that cannot see the light of day. Force hurriedly echoed before exclaiming, I only hope that before we move again, my letter is to my teacher can be delivered. Shio grabbed her yellow hair and walked out of the church gates and said in a serious manner, after I get the formula, I'll buy the button and try to advance as quickly as possible. Not bad. You've recovered your fighting spirit. Forced tears for a smile. Shio didn't say another word as she continued proceeding forward, a solemn with expression. Honestly, when she puts it like that, the Fool is pretty damn impressive. He's super fucking impressive. After walking a few dozen steps, she said, I almost drooled. I almost spit. After walking a few dozen steps, she suddenly stopped and said without turning her head, I don't think I have enough money to buy the button. When the time comes, lend me a... for a second, I said, why are they talking about button? I forget. One of the mystical items that they were trying to sell was a button. I'll definitely return it. Force was taken aback for a second before chortling. Okay, if my guess is correct, I should be able to get the subsequent items from my teacher. Thursday afternoon, using the excuse of having some rest, Klein returned to the master bedroom and returned to the bathroom. He took 4 steps counterclockwise and arrived above the gray fog. He believed that the glass bottle that was filled with a potion had already finished absorbing it. And then he... I forget. We were gonna get like 2 to 3 layers deep before we absorb the characteristic. Had already finished absorbing it. Sitting at the high back chair of the Fool, he waved his hands and removed the isolation barrier, pulling his target over. The transparent glass bottle was already stained with dark color. It had a mesh pattern on its surface, which shimmered slightly, giving off an aristic flare. It was empty inside. It was not a single drop of the potion remaining, so it absorbed it. The spacious bottle mouth was covered with a layer of mist that glowed. It made Klein feel as though his gaze was being sucked into the moment and landed upon the mouth of the bottle. A voice sounded from the bottle. It's speaking. By throwing in 100 gold coins in it, you can fulfill a wish. That sounds good. By throwing in 100 gold coins, you can fulfill a wish. Who did you learn this from? I have to say, this monotonous statement does have some hypnotic effects. Throwing in 100 gold coins would be akin to opening the door to the body of heart and mind and becoming the... Oh, I'm like, fuck it, let's throw money in and see what happens. When you throw 100 gold coins, you would be akin to opening the door of the body of heart and mind and becoming the bottle slave. Klein, I fell for that so quickly. Klein did a simple analysis before beckoning the unshuttered crucifix. Using the pressure brought about by the gray fog, he stuffed it into the bottle's mouth. You devil. Oh, devil. The real devil. The voice in the bottle screamed surely before it was miserably blocked by the gray fog. So the bottle was calling Klein the real devil. That's funny. So Klein was the real devil in this scenario. All right, that's funny. Next fucking chapter, dude. Chapter 1057 is called The Extraordinary and the Ordinary. Okay. After dealing with a mutated glass bottle, Klein took out his gold pocket watch, opened it, and took a look and took note of the time. He returned to the 3 hours later and separated the unshuttered crucifix from the bottle of slavery. Oh, that's the full name. Bottle of slavery. Bottle of slavery. Everything is telling me today to read Shadow Slave and Omniscient Reader Viewpoint, because it says extraordinary and ordinary. A crucifix from the bottle slavery, only then could he obtain a single manipulator's beyond a characteristic and not a product that was mixed with the previous sequences beyond our characteristics. It feels like I'm doing an experiment. Klein nodded slightly, put away his pocket watch, and returned to the real world where he had his actual afternoon nap. At 4 in the afternoon, his valet Uni knocked on his employer's door under butler Walter's watch. What's the matter? In his pajamas, Dwayne Dantes rubbed his forehead and opened the bedroom door. Uni bowed and said, since you accepted Ma'am Rihanna's invitation from high tea at night before, it's today. Klein looked at the butler Walter and said, all right, give me 15 minutes to prepare. Then he instructed his valet Uni, come in and help me change my clothes. When only he and his marionette were left in a room, he controlled the ladder to bring out clothes suitable for the high tea, taking a glance at the wall clock from time to time. After about 10 minutes, after tying his bow tie and putting on his coat, he took 4 steps counterclockwise and headed above the gray fog. At that moment, 3 hours had passed since he last entered. Placed at the end of the long bronze table and mutated glass bottle, which had been firmly bound to the uncharted crucifix with the gray fog's power, no longer had the twinkling mesh, looking as though it went from being a piece of art to a common item on the street. At the bottom of the glass bottle was a large amount of grayish-white matter that had been purged. It flowed freely, forming a heart-shaped object. Look at that, it's Kingdom Hearts. A heart-shaped object the size of a child's fist. Not only were there wrinkles on it, but there were also cracks that resembled the eyes. As for the complicated three-dimensional illusory patterns, labels and symbols that extended into the void, they were nearly identical to Hive and Rambus beyond characteristics that Klein had seen before. It's just a little different. Klein released a gray fog suppression and took out the unshuttered crucifix from the bottle mouth. With this step, the item that was purged out was completely separated from the mutated glass bottle, becoming complete and independent. Klein reached out of his left hand to pick up the item that resembled both a heart and a brain, and after examining it for a few seconds, he threw it into the junk pile, allowing the gray fog to envelop it. At this moment, a weak voice sounded from the mutated glass bottle, "You devil." Klein didn't respond as he thrust the unshuttered crucifix back in with his right hand, using the power of the gray fog to press down on it, and with that, the ancient palace returned to its tranquil state. After returning to the real world, Klein put on his top hat, held his cane, and left 160 Belkland Street and his carriage. He headed for the Member of Parliament Mach residence at Unit 19. Inside an elegant activity room in the Member of Parliament Mach's house, a few guests sat around an interactive 3-tiered tray, and in front of them was a cup of charming black tea. He kind of looks like Arthur from Tibet, a little bit, at least with a haircut. Well, he looks almost like from his past version. No. It does look more like Arthur rather than Gray. Klein took a small cucumber sandwich and took a small bite. Half jokingly, he shared his true feelings. The desserts, I thought it said deserts. The desserts today seemed very unique. Be it the carrot cake or cream puffs, Mach laughed when he heard his heart. Dwayne, your observation skills are truly impeccable. This has nothing to do with one observation skill as long as one isn't blind. It's impossible not to tell that the shapes are all bandaged up. He lampooned silently before saying, it sounds like something remarkable. Of course, it's personally made by Hazel. You can try it later. Although she can't control its appearance effectively, it really does taste good, Mach said proudly. By the side of Portland Moment, who was in Backlund University of Technology Chancellor, laughed and said, this doesn't sound like Hazel and I know. Mach glanced at Ma'am Rihanna and said in satisfaction, everyone grows up, right? Hazel has really matured recently, and not only is she willing to learn those classes in preparation for socializing and marriage that she used to hate, and occasionally makes desserts and plays music for us, but she'll also frequently offer to accompany her mother to attend musicals, horse racing matches, shop in the departmental store, and listen silently by the side of all kinds of salons and balls. According to Miss Justice, Hazel's treatment progression had reached a point where she can recall the terrible shock and pain she had just suffered. Although it's just a direct sense of emotions, it doesn't involve the exact sequence of events, so she can't recall everything, but she can like sense the vague emotions, right? It's enough to make her dream of losing her parents and relatives. This made her learn to cherish her family. For those, she decided to change herself to a certain extent. Klein nodded in thought and said to his mouth, that's excellent. Hazel got lobotomized? No, that's not what happened. Hazel, let me read this part again. Hazel has really matured recently. Not only is she willing to learn those classes and preparations for socializing and marriage, but she used to hate occasionally making the desserts, play, and music for us. But she also frequently offered to accompany her mother to attend musicals, horse racing matches, shops, and departmental stores, and listen silently by the side of all kinds of salons and balls. So she's just more closer to her family. According to Miss Justice, Hazel's treatment progression had reached a point where she can recall the terrible shock and pain she had suffered. Although it's just a direct sense of emotion. Oh wait, hold up. Everybody was turned into a mon. It's just a direct, I mean, yeah, never mind. I take that back. Although it's just a direct sense of emotions and doesn't involve the exact sequence of events, it's enough to make her dream of losing her parents and relatives. This made her learn to cherish her family. For this, she also decided to change herself to a certain extent. Klein not on thought instead of a smile. That's excellent. Audrey allows her to slowly come to terms with what happened. Yeah. Indeed, Mach replied with full emotion. I was worried about her personally, worried that she wouldn't have a good marriage and unable to date people in our circle. After we pass away, she wouldn't be able to find help when faced with difficulties. But now I can finally feel at ease. Mach revealed a sincere smile as he revealed his worries that seldom divulged. He raised his arm and waved it gently. Then he raised it with great confidence. What am I making an enemy out of bloody smog and pollution? Why do we have to fight over the colonies in East Balm and face sick in the West Balm with Intas? Isn't it to let our children lead a better life so that we have fewer worries? To me, Hazel's maturity is greater than the contributions I made to East Balm, far more meaningful than my fights in the House of Commons. As Klein listened to Mach's recount, he couldn't help but look out the window. It was dark outside and the sun was gone. At this moment, Portland Moment replied to Mach jokingly, no, those things are for our own God. At this point, he looked at Klein and said, Dwayne Tontis, have you thought about it? Do you want to invest in any mechanical laboratory? Klein let out a soft chuckle. Mr. Chancellor, what are you still so anxious like a young man? I've already read through the information you gave me and have a rough impression of the rights of revenue. Frankly speaking, I'm very interested to let talented young adults obtain training at such a mechanical laboratory is greatly satisfying. This should be something we invest in. What's most valuable in this day and age? Talents. Emperor Roosevelt once said. Portland Moment chuckled. So how much do you intend to invest? Dwayne raised his porcelain cup and drank a mouthful of black tea. Interesting. Imagine you're chilling and then suddenly everybody you ever know is on. That would probably fuck me up. Nah, it would most likely fuck me up. The initial plan is 10,000 pounds, as expected of the most famous tycoon in Backland recently. I can't even guess how many assets you have. First, you donated more than 10,000 pounds of shares. Then you spent 20,000 pounds buying Mayor Manor, and now you're donating 10,000 pounds to Portland Mechanical Laboratory. And that's where we're going to bump into Melissa again, at Portland Mechanical Laboratory. I already know it. Ma'am Rihanna couldn't help but be explained. Portland Moment gave a thumbs up. This is a truly keen investor. Klein smiled and said, I still find a team formed by lawyers and accountants to verify the actual situation and stipulate the conditions. Professional matters should be left to the professionals. Besides, I still have to consider investing directly or first establishing company or foundation and complete the investment through it. Oh, Portland, I think there's one aspect you didn't take into consideration. How can such an important laboratory not have any security measures? Aren't you afraid of the commercial spies or a foreign powers infiltrating and causing destruction? Portland Moen was taken aback as he slowly nodded. That makes sense. I previously neglected this problem. Having accomplished his goal, Klein no longer harped on the topic. Instead, he deliberated and asked, has there been news regarding Brigadier General Conis Kilgore? Mont sighed and said, no. Civilist yards said to the Mayor Manor and the surrounding areas have been searched. They didn't even find any leads. As he spoke, the House of Commons members of Parliament lowered his voice and said, I suspect that Brigadier General had an accident while carrying out a secret mission. The current mood of the higher-ups had been a little strange. From a certain point of view, you guessed right. Klein sighed, I hope nothing happens. Yeah, I lose control on the spot. Dude, if my fucking dog turned into a mon, oh my god. I wouldn't even know how to cope with that. And that's just my dog. Oh my god. Now just imagine your whole inner circle. Amidst high tea, as we read high tea, I take a sip. Amidst high tea, Klein took a note of the time and went to the bathroom. Above the gray fog, he placed a Dreamwalker characteristic into the junk pile that seeped out of the mutated bottle. By the high time tea, I thought I said high tides tea. By the time high tea ended and he returned to 160 Belkling Street, the sky had already darkened. The street lamps on both sides of the road were lit up ahead of time as the rain patterned down the carriage windows. Now all the questions are connected on what's hidden in the Blood Emperor's ruins. As long as the three churches discover the problems in time, they can prevent many things from happening. Klein looked out the street lamps that looked blurry from the rain and considered the recent development. From now, apart from capturing Katerina, I can't provide much help. Furthermore, the goddesses is digesting or controlling Death's uniqueness. She might not have the power to provide response at that level. To solve this problem, I either get a grade 0 sealed artifact with a target effect from the Holy Cathedral. That's going to sound hard to get. Or I rely on the Church of Steam and Storms to see which one of the true deities will respond. Imagine they respond, bro. What the fuck? A grade 0 sealed artifact might not be enough since it involves a king of angels and there might be traitors amidst the two churches. Oh, I didn't think about that. Traveling from 39 Boakland Street to Unit 160 didn't take long. Before Klein could straighten out his thoughts, he had already returned to the doorsteps. He had no choice but to get off the carriage. When he changed his clothes on the third floor, his spiritual perception was triggered. He saw Renette Tinker walk out of the void with 4 blonde, red-eyed heads in hand. It's from Sharon. A guess came to him as he received the letter. That's right, one of his heads held. Renette Tinker replied. Without another word, Klein opened the envelope and unfurled a piece of paper. There's only one line of it. We'll take actions at 10 tonight. Oh my god, I was going to keep reading. Next chapter, 1058. Ellie turns over, stands up on 2 legs, and says, how interesting. Dude, oh man, I would take out Death Knell. I'll put it that way. I would definitely, oh, not on her, on me. I would definitely point Death Knell at myself if that were to happen. Oh man. Chapter 1058 is called A Tool. Tonight at 10, looking at Miss Messenger, who stayed in place, Klein walked to the desk and wrote, I'll be on time. In addition, the situation in Backland had become tense recently, making sure to keep the matter under control. After reminding Sharon, Klein folded the letter and took out a gold coin at a rectangular diamond that kept refracting light. This is yesterday once more charm. It can allow you to temporarily borrow powers from your past self. Klein handed the 3 items to Renette Tinker. So what's it called? This is a yesterday once more charm. A yesterday once more charm. That's a badass title. It can allow you to temporarily borrow powers from your past self. Klein handed the 3 items to Renette Tinker. One of the blonde red-eyed heads in Renette Tinker's hands opened its mouth and bit down on everything. The remaining 3 said, why give me? Because you need it. Counted as part of the remuneration I'll be paying in advance, Klein said with an ordinary smile. A road's reminder made him feel like it was imperative to make more preparations. Renette Tinker didn't ask further. The 4 beautiful heads bobbed up and down from their hair as though they were nodding. Okay, so we're prepping for something. She then stepped into the void and vanished from the room. Looking at the light rain at the dark sky outside the window, Klein took off his coat and handed it to his valet, Uni. 9:50 p.m. on the street near the Tussock River in Sherwood Borough. In the commonly seen autumn-winter rain in Backland, a rental carriage turned in and slowly moved forward. On the carriage, the red-eyed Emlyn White, who was holding a top hat in his hand, looked at the young man with pale looks and disheveled hair before curling his lips. Is it here? The incorporeal figure. Mark nodded. He pointed to a neighboring building diagonally across the shops over there and said, that's right, that's a bookstore. The owner's name is Charlie Ranker and is pure Lowness. However, he went to the southern continent once when he was young, hoping to become a tycoon. There, he became a member of the Rose School of Thought and a believer of the Chained God. He was later sent back to Backland and was made to gather intelligence, as well as to provide assistance to the other Rose School of Thought members who are executing other missions. We've been watching him for a while and wish to finish him off and severe the source of intel from the Rose School of Thought so that we can create a better living environment for ourselves. However, we ultimately held back. Emlyn smiled and said the facts had proven that tolerance can indeed be exchanged for better results. To be honest, your preference is quite different from what I had imagined for a temperance faction Wraith. I thought you would be very tears. Merrick glanced at the vampire who was already a Viscount. Different people have different personalities, and temperance is only meant to control excessive desires. Oh yeah, and they're supposed to like hold back their desires. Got it. I'm afraid you wouldn't understand and that it would affect the final result of the mission if I didn't explain this matter too clearly. That way, the desires that need temperance will exceed the limits of what it should be. Although it's very philosophical, there's no need to use me as an example. Emlyn leisurely leaned against the wall and looked at him. Continue with the previous topic. Merrick looked out the window again and again. And Charlie Ranker's house is a female servant from Paws Valley. She's also a member of the Royal School of Thought. In addition, in the 2 houses diagonally opposite to Ranker's house, lives a widow and a male alcoholic, the believers of the Chain God, and they would transmit information to the Royal School of Thought at critical moments. So they're informants. The thing you need to do is secretly monitor these 3 people while we're dealing with Charlie Raker. Through the information sent, you'll be able to lock onto the person in charge of the Royal School of Thought in Backland. Of course, we'll definitely give Charlie Raker some opportunity to seek the help or send out a signal. Emlyn nodded slightly and said, I understand. He then turned his head to look at the sky, which had dark clouds that blanketed it, blocking out the crimson moon. He turned the ring with his ghostly blue gems on his ring finger. This was the Oath of Rose ring. It allowed Earl Mistral to share his sense of sight, hearing, and smell. This ring went around one big circle and ended up back in Emlyn's hand. Of course, it was only temperance. As such, Earl Mistral had already heard what Merrick had said and shared it with the other Sanguine participants. Emlyn originally believed that although he was only the intermediary who was in charge of communication and didn't play an important role, even if that were the case, he felt that he was able to showcase some of his spells as the Scarlet Scholar, allowing him to pass the information in a really cool and elevated manner in front of the Wraith Merrick. To his surprise, he didn't need to do anything. All he needed to do was be on scene wearing the ring. This made him feel very depressed. He felt that he was purely a tool. I mean, that's kind of what he is. Didn't he even say, like, oh, I have nothing to do? Without being a demigod, I'm not qualified to directly participate in many things, much less save the race. At this moment, Emlyn felt a little impulsive. He felt that at his level, it wasn't worthy of a secret identity, and that he was unable to bear the responsibilities he needed to bear. Is he truck full of bones, or is it a truck made of bones? Oh, it's like if you repair your boat. I was trying to do that one analogy with the boat. If you repair the boat for so long, is it still the same boat or is it a new boat? As for the, but I forget the full saying. As for the Oath of the Roses effect of being able to allow the thoughts of the two wearers to appear in the minds of others, of the other party from time to time, Emlyn wasn't worried. He had asked Miss Justice to hypnotize him so that he hypnotize them or himself. Miss Justice to hypnotize him so that he wouldn't think about the matters that he didn't want the Sanguine upper echelons from knowing tonight. Just as he had his thoughts, he suddenly heard Earl Mistral's voice. Arrogance, childish, naive. The fuck? This is a particular thought Earl Hall that was transmitted by Opharos, huh? Emlyn scoffed inwardly and he began chanting his name, Ernest Boyer, Ernest Boyer. The Viscount had been hypnotized under the protection of Earl Hall and had been volunteering at the Harvest Church for a long time. At that moment, Merrick glanced at Emlyn's expression and nodded. Your current attitude is reassuring. It's reassuring. Thesis ship 3 or something. Yeah. The ship of Thesis. Yeah. The ship of Thesis. That one. Yeah. I was trying to find an analogy on that. Ship of Thesis. If you replace every part of a boat, is it still the same boat? Yeah. I was trying to make an analogy right there. Thank you guys. And I can't even do a proper analogy. Your current attitude is reassuring, very serious, very solemn, and very focused. Emlyn was first taken aback before he curled his lips slightly. Thank you. Oh, he liked the compliment. The second floor of the bookstore was Charlie Raker's house. The businessman was over 50 years old, and his parents had long passed away. Despite being never married, rumors had it that he had a few illegitimate children, but none of them lived with him. After instructing the servants to check in his house's window were locked, if the house's windows were locked, he returned to his bedroom and poured himself from a cup of red wine. He sat on the sofa and savored it in a relaxed manner. He was used to drinking some wine before sleeping. The fuck? That's what a way before bed. I drink milk. Average user behavior. I drink milk before bedtime. And this guy is fucking drinking red wine. When he finished the red wine, Charlie Ranker stood up and walked towards the bathroom. When he passed by the full body mirror in the bedroom, he casually took a glance of, and his body suddenly froze up. In the mirror, his face had unknowingly turned abnormally pale. His eyes were protruded and blood was seeping from the edges. The corners of his lips were slightly red. As a member of the Rose School thought, Charlie Raker was unfamiliar with such a situation. He didn't scream or run recklessly like ordinary people. Instead, he raised his right hand and extended it to his chest. Just as he touched the accessory he was wearing, his body felt like it had fallen into an unmetallicable icy abyss. It was cold from inside to outside. The cold seemed to have a life force of its own as it extended rapidly and covered every corner of Charlie Raker's body. It made him feel like his joints and muscles no longer belonged to him as they began to abide by the commands of others. At that moment, it was as if there was another person in his body. It was cold and blurry, filled with malice. It directly took over everything other than his thoughts. If you weigh 99 pounds and you eat 1 pound of chips, are you 1% chips? I would be 1% chips. That's a really good analogy, Hope. At the same time, Charlie Raker saw new changes in his body in the mirror. Two figures appeared in his eyes. One was a young man in a white shirt and a black vest. With his right hand having made contact with the object at his chest, a bright light flashed in front of him. The light seemed to come from a miniature sun. What's this miniature sun? I don't remember what charm this is. Casting light and heat in every direction, Charlie Raker immediately felt warmth and was no longer controlled by the cold in his body. He blurted out a word, cleansed. This miniature sun... Oh, is it? Okay. Wait, no, I was thinking of the one that makes the miniature moon. No, that's something else. The miniature sun in front of his chest burned intensely. It was like a warm water that surged into his chest, forming ripples. With that, Charlie Raker regained control of his body and gave up on the door. Instead, he ran towards the window. The curtain wasn't drawn and it was drizzling outside, dimming the street lights outside. Tap, tap, tap. When Charlie Raker walked past the carpeted coffee table area, he suddenly stumbled and nearly fell. The carpet seemed to come alive as it wrapped around his ankles. Bang. The coffee table flew up, and the porcelain teacup and all sorts of documents landed on Charlie Raker's face. It shattered to pieces, turning into a strange, dismembered puppet. Suddenly, Charlie Ranker's figure appeared elsewhere as he continued running with a sense of fear lingering in his heart. He had hated his bedroom for being this big before. Tap, tap, tap. Fountain pens shot randomly and paper swatted around as Charlie Ranker finally ran to the window. As a devout believer, he didn't break out of the window immediately. Instead, he held the curtain and pulled it. He's trying to be sincere. At the same time, he pressed his other hand onto the gas pipe. A layer of white frost instantly formed on the black metal surface. Crack. The glass window in front of Charlie Ranker shattered as every piece of glass flew out like a bullet in the merchant's face, piercing through his perfectly fine skin. It caused blood to gush out of his neck. Oh. Charlie Raker's eyes darkened and he fell back weakly. During this process, he screamed and yelled, but his voice couldn't be heard from beyond the room. At this moment, in another room, a maid from the southern continent could clearly see that the light from the gas wall lamps was shaking. She merely turned her head and looked towards where her employer was, only to see that the gas pipes were covered in white frost. In a house opposite to Charlie Raker, the brandy-nosed man? Who is this? The brandy-nosed man who had rolled up his sleeves and gun-lipped down alcohol suddenly noticed that the curtains were only half closed. Is this the informant? For the secret signal that he and Charlie had agreed upon, having the curtains completely drawn meant that there wasn't a problem. Having half the curtains drawn or only one side meant an emergency situation. It required him to inform the higher-ups immediately. He abruptly stood up. In chat lore, Milosh hallucinates when not on meds. Next, that being said, next chapter. 1059. I apologize for the mad ravings. Let me update this right here, and let's get reading. Chapter 1059 is called The Authority of the Moon, okay? This sounds interesting, okay? The Authority of the Moon. The red brandy-nosed man rushed to a safe within a few steps where he took out a radio transceiver and code book from a secret compartment. He crushed it and transcoded the incident that happened to Charlie Raker. Then he started to send the telegram. Meanwhile, in the house above the Raker bookstore, a brown-skinned maid rolled up his sleeves and poured an indigo blue liquid on her left arm. Her skin around the spot immediately changed colors, but under the indigo... Indigo? It sounds like Wendigo, like the creature from Supernatural that comes out, and also an Untold Dawn. But under the indigo blue colors, there were wisps of black light extending out like the threadworms. These black beams of light quickly manifested a strange palm-sized face. Its eyes were as tiny as rice grains, and its mouth was wide as a tea plate. Charlie Raker has had an accident. The maid enunciated each word while looking at the face on her arm. Every word she said seemed to have its own shape, forming an indigo blue body enter her like her mouth and arm. Immediately following that, the words that seemed to be written began to intervene as they were enveloped by the smoke of the same color. At this moment, the strange face on the maid's arm slowly opened its mouth and sucked in the indigo blue smoke and text. All the abnormalities vanished other than the patches of skin that the maid's arms remaining and an indigo... this word is hard to say. Indigo... Let me text to speech. This is a hard word to say.
All the abnormalities vanished, other than the patch of skin on the maid's arm remaining an indigo blue color.
Indigo. Oh, indigo. I don't have to emphasize the I. Indigo. Indigo, I was saying indigo. Indigo. Oh, I have said the word indigo before. Indigo blue color. In the darkness outside the window, a tiny ordinary bat flapped its wings, changing its motionless state and flying off some unknown location. Indigo. Got it. On the other street, there was less than 500 meters away from Raker's bookstore and the air above a restaurant that specialized in southern continent cuisine. Tiny bats flew out from the darkness and gathered together, forming thick smoke. The smoke and bat appeared incorporeal and disappeared in the blink of an eye. All that was left behind was a man wearing a tuxedo without the corresponding hat. This man was thin, tall, and upright. He had light-colored hair and was nearly silver in color. His eyes were bright red like blood, as though blood was hiding within. He was none other than the sanguine Earl Minstrel. He raised his left hand with his ghostly blue gem rings and touched a slightly exaggerated bow tie. He looked down at the restaurant that had already closed and said, "Both pieces of intel eventually lead here." As soon as Minstrel finished speaking, a figure appeared in front of him wearing a black regal dress and a bonnet. She had light blonde hair, blue dress, and her face was pale like a rather intricate doll. Indigo is a shade of purple, by the way. Is that what that is? I don't use the word indigo, am I? Like, there are some words in the series that I just don't use in my everyday vocabulary, you know? And because I don't use it, I don't know. I don't know what it means. Unless there's a colored pencil that has that color, indigo. Oh, wait, no, yeah, indigo. Yeah, I think there is a colored pencil with that, indigo. Like violet, indigo. Yeah, okay, it's coming back. Well, yeah, very purple. Okay, it's coming back. I thought it was a shade of white. Okay, the colors are coming back. I think that, or I'm just making it up. I think it's coming back. The trees on the street below suddenly swayed gently as the light from the gas lamp flashed. A puppet. Earl Minstrel nodded slightly and acknowledged Sharon's status and level. Sharon ignored him and looked at the second floor of the restaurant. There are remnants of Mother Tree of Desire worship. Oh, that's not good. Then there's no problem. Minstrel turned around in midair and nodded towards the darkest area. Lord Nibs, please seal this place. An elderly deep sigh sounded before a pair of wings covered in a dark-colored skin and countless patterns suddenly extended out of the darkness. It extended out, turning broader, it extended out, turning broader and bigger, taking 2 to 3 seconds to envelop the entire area. The restaurant sank into an unnatural state of darkness. What the fuck? The whole building? As though it had been moved out of the real world. That's cool. Minstrel didn't hesitate, nor did he attack directly. He took out a bronze box embedded with many blue... I should be playing whilst closing in right now. I don't know. He took out a bronze box embedded with many ruby gems and took something from it, therefore white. It was a transparent glass sphere that resembled an eyeball. Then Sanguine Earl Minstrel grimaced at the glass spherical from his fingers and landed downgrades. The glass sphere emitted a glint in the darkness as it constantly changed directions and moved towards something in the air as though it was being attracted by something. Finally, it landed in a room on the second floor in the restaurant. A dazzling white light exploded. It was as if the sun had risen in the moon, illuminating everything. It made all the corruption, decadence, evil, undeaf, and darkness rapidly melt away. Minstrel, who has already closed his eyes, suddenly frowned and let out a puzzled voice. He didn't feel any resistance from the restaurant. Sharon, who looked down from above, leveled her gaze. Although there wasn't much of a chance in her expression, her tightly bound blonde hair seemed to shake a little. After the sun rose up, it quickly set. The bright white light shone helplessly and steadily in the darkness. As this was an item that was targeted at evil spirits, the building and the restaurant didn't suffer any damage. So, okay, everything physical is okay, and it's only anything that's like evil gets affected. The Sanguine Earl Minstrel opened his eyes and looked at it for 2 seconds before reaching up with his right hand and clenching it. The darkness above the restaurant instantly came to life. It came to life, transforming into illusionary chains that bound the entire roof. What the fuck? So it's just chaining everything. Amidst the jarring sounds, the roof was forcibly uprooted and suspended in midair. What the fuck? With the obstacle, be it the minstrel or Sharon, they could clearly see the situation in the target's room. Oh, this is badass. On a square table covered in a table linen, a radio transceiver sat on it with a transcoded telegram message beside it. In contrast, the ground was indigo blue and charred. On the other side of the room, there was an old piano. Oh, PTSD when I hear the word piano. There was an old piano. The piano stools were brown in color and seemed to have been moved moments ago. On the piano, there was a cup of red wine. There was a small, sticky, flesh-colored figure soaking inside. As for the decorations and layouts, it was like any normal residence. The only difference was herbal powder and essential oils extracts splattered around. This made Sharon, who could directly obtain information from Spirit World, have a thought. The person here had just left. Before she, along with the Earl Minstrel and Marquis Nibs, could react, the flesh-colored figure soaked in red wine emitted misty glow. The light instantly burgeoned and brightly formed a gigantic crimson moon in the room. The crimson moon's glow dispersed in the darkness in the region, making the demigod participating in the battle feel as though they were on the ground and looking up into the sky. What the fuck did insert? No, that's a really bad joke. Oh. Old Neo's joke. Oh man, I'm getting a little triggered over here. The crimson moon's glow dispersed in the darkness of the region, making the demigod participating in the battlefield as though they were on the ground and looking up in the sky. Sharon's blue eyes froze for a moment. She raised her left hand suddenly and flipped it gently, revealing a dark red accessory in her palm. The accessory looked like a full moon. Oh, she kept it. And there were crimson gems embedded around it. In the center, there was a symbol filled with a full moon and mysterious labels. This was the Scarlet Lunar Corona. Wow, we've heard of it and seen it, but we haven't used it since Volume 2. Well, we haven't like fought against it, right, when it was used against us in Volume 2. This was the Scarlet Lunar Corona, which Sharon had obtained thanks to Sherlock Moriarty's help. It kept emitting a tranquil halo, imbuing the wielder with immunity to the effects of the full moon. However, the crimson moon in the restaurant wasn't something that was as simple as the full moon. It was even closer to the blood moon, or even it's stronger than the blood moon, or even stronger. An indescribable surge of spirituality came into existence, making the area which Nib's gigantic wings had isolated to present a strange and deeply silent feeling. Even though Sharon wielded the scarlet lunar corona, she sensed the maleficent thoughts in her burgeon, as though an indescribable change was brewing. She instinctively wanted to turn into an evil spirit and hide in objects like these trees and gas lamps along the streets. However, her rationality stopped her impulsive reaction because the crimson moon's illumination had no blind spots. At that moment, the sanguine Earl Minstrel saw the stomach bulging bit by bit. She felt that the life pulsing in his veins was slowly condensing, as though making an attempt to take form. As a supernatural creature that could use the power of the moon, he had been prepared to eliminate the effects of the blood moon. He originally believed that he would be filled with joy in such an environment, allowing him to freely show his powers, but he never expected the abnormal changes to far exceed his expectations. He felt that if this had continued, he would give birth to a new life. It was unknown where this terrifying villainess stemmed from. The authority of the moon included fertility and proliferation. The authority of the moon includes fertility and proliferation. What the fuck? At the same time, from the huge bat rings that isolated the surroundings and created darkness, white fur grew out in an extremely harrowing manner. Nibs grunted softly and cracks appeared in the sealed-off area. A few streets away, a bored Emlyn White was rubbing the blue gems inlaid oath of rose. It was at this moment Emlyn suddenly obtained the senses of Earl Minstrel, seeing and hearing what he could. The feeling and thoughts that belonged to Earl Minstrel were transmitted into Emlyn's mind after a long period of time. He sat up straight in fright, his expression distorted as his stomach churned. Feeling the urge to vomit, with the help of creeping hunger, Klein's actual body was hiding in the shadows outside of the restaurant, but the marionette he controlled, Conus Kilgore, had already hidden in the darkness created by Nibs and used distortion to circumvent the isolation, staying within the range of his control of the spirit body threads. At that moment, under the illusionary crimson moon's illumination, he was surprised to discover that his marionette, which was instinctively dead, had an inclination towards reproducing. And that new... This reminded me of Frank Lee's creations, dude. And that new life was definitely the offspring of the Mother Tree of Desire. This is sanguine ancestor... This is sanguine ancestor Lilith, as mentioned in the Legends of the City of Silver, as well, what the fuck, as well as the manifestation primordial moon, which Emlyn had mentioned before. Indeed, the Mother Tree of Desire had already grasped a portion of the moon's authority and has corrupted it into an especially evil state, far more than it originally was. Klein was just about to swap location with his marionette and enter the region illuminated by the crimson moon and teleport away Miss Sharon when he felt an indescribable sense of joy within him. It was the joy of seeing a flower in the garden slowly bloom after a long night amidst the morning fog, and the joy from leaving the city and hearing the suburbs, taking in fresh air in the forest after the rain, watching the mushrooms grow, and the joy of seeing everything grow healthier with a new life descending upon the world. The white fur of the huge bat wings fell off completely as Earl Minstrel's protruding belly shrank back. The look in Sharon's eyes were struggling to hold off a scarlet lunar corona seemed to relax. Right on the heels of that, the crimson moon in the restaurant quickly dimmed. So it's dimming, as if large amounts of light had been sucked away by someone. Finally, the crimson moon vanished and everything returned to normal. Did sanguine Duke Olmer take action? Klein nodded thoughtfully and continued hiding in the shadows. Minstrel restrained his anger and looked down at the dining room. He said in a low voice, "The target seems to have detected something ahead of time. It wasn't that much earlier. Combined with the present situation that revealed obtains from the spirit world," Sharon gave her answer. Minstrel's bright red eyes revealed a strange glint as he observed a few seconds before saying, "It was almost at that moment we came over when the person left. The person who left behind the glass of the red wine and the strange puppet." This trap doesn't look like it was prepared. It's closer to a last-minute setup. Upon saying that, Minstrel looked at Sharon and said, "How to detect the danger in such a timely manner?" Sharon's expression was calm as she replied, "It's not because of the Mother Tree of Desire. This evil god wasn't capable of infusing too much energy into reality, making it difficult for her to send any preemptive warnings." Covet up secret. Okay, next chapter. Chad's inactive. Yeah, I know it's a little bit, right? Just a little bit. Chapter 1060 is called Covered Up Secret. Okay. The sanguine Earl Minstrel frowned slightly, although he was unwillingly to admit it. He said rather honestly, I don't think there were any leaks prior to this, because if that was the case, the rose-skull thought demigod would have had plenty of time to use a response from Mother Triadazar and the abomination Sua, laying a more dangerous and terrifying trap. It wouldn't be something an angel could easily resolve. This was also the reason why Minstrel had said that the trap appeared to be a last-minute setup and looked rather hastily. This proved that there was no mole. After all, the ones who knew of the operation before tonight were the ones involved. If they wanted to leak the information, they could have done it earlier. This was unless someone had changed their minds or wanted to use their urgency of time to obtain more benefits. After all, these would only leave clear traces. The black bonnet Sharon continued leaving at the restaurant that had lost its roof. After a moment's silence, she said, perhaps it's a way of detecting danger via other means. For this operation, the sanguine had to use a sealed artifact that could even disrupt a devil's danger, premonition, much less things like spiritual intuition. Possibly, Minstrel couldn't think of a better explanation. At that moment, in a room on the second floor of the restaurant, other than a red wine and strange figure evaporating, everything else remained untouched as if nothing had happened. Originally, Sharon and Minstrel couldn't attempt to use divination to find answers to their questions and restore what had happened before the attack. But now they couldn't do so because the surrounding areas had been illuminated by the crimson moon. It was equivalent to receiving the corresponding cleansing from Mother Triadazar. This meant that the divination easily led to the evil gods, and the results would be unimagined. Without waiting for Sharon to speak, Minstrel took off a silent, deep breath and said, there are incidents in every manner. There are no such things as 100% success rate. Let's leave it here today. If we stay here any longer, the officials might discover something amiss. As soon as she said that, the black chains hanging from the roof instantly turned dim and illusory. The roof descended once again, covering the second floor of the restaurant and looking no different from what it was like before. Of course, when the storm rained, there would definitely be water leaks. If there was a storm, the entire roof would be thrown up again. The gigantic bat wings that blanketed the area shrank back into the darkness as the drizzle once again took center stage. Hidden in the shadows, Klein watched as Miss Sharon's figure rapidly turned transparent and vanished. He saw an illusory cloud of smoke puffing up and countless tiny bats flying in every direction. He couldn't help but frown and silently mutter to himself, what exactly happened? It wasn't worrisome to have an accident. What was worrisome was not even knowing what accident was. Regardless of what one's level was, the unknown was always frightening. At that moment, he suddenly heard a staccato voice. What exactly happened here? When Klein turned his head, he realized that Miss Messenger... Oh, she joined! He realized that Miss Messenger had walked out of the spirit world at some point in time, standing alongside him. The four blonde red-eye heads in her hands were all trained at the restaurant. Damn! Can you see what happened here earlier? Klein asked hesitantly. After the mutant pathway reached the Wraith stage, the Beyonder was free to enter and exit the spirit world, allowing them to receive revelations from there directly. Be it their spiritual intuition or divination, they were rather formidable at that. A corresponding sequence to Angel was definitely powerful in such aspects, therefore Klein posed a question. The four heads held by Renette Tanker shook as they said in unison, no. Klein nodded thoughtfully. Without further question, he controlled his marionette to leave the area. Emlyn White, who had reached for a while, rubbed the ring that was embedded by a ghostly blue gem. He muttered to himself in surprise. It ended just like that. Through the oath rose, he could sense Earl Minstrel's frustration, anger, and reluctance to vent his anger at a lady of others. His initial judgment was that the operation had failed because of an accident. It's over. Upon hearing his words, Merrick was equally stunned. He had actually wanted to ask Emlyn White the reason for his sudden nausea and grimace. Why? But he had perfectly tempered his curiosity and restrained his urge. They didn't find the target. Emlyn tried his best to recall what Earl Minstrel had sense and see and heard, but due to the seal of Marquis Nibs, he was only able to see the situation via Oath of Rose, and after the He was only able to see the situation via Oath of Rose after the Crimson Moon rose, and these feelings were made ineffective quickly after the abnormality. Yeah, I know. I figured we were going to change the song back since it was already over. It's already the aftermath. Wait, let me just finish this part and change the page. That way I can not lose my spot. At the same time, Emlyn mumbled inwardly, the demigod from the Temperance faction came here while possessing a doll. Which master works in this? It's simply art. Didn't find a target. How can that be? Merrick's brows furrowed uncontrollably. Good. From his point of view, everything in the operation had been going smoothly up until that point in time. Whether it was him, Sharon, or Sanguine, none of them none of them had had the motives to leak the information of the Rose School of Thought. As for Sherlock Moriarty, he had proven his credibility through numerous collaborations. Suppressing his immense disappointment and puzzlement, Merrick said without much change in expression, Then we've to leave the vicinity as quickly as possible, as he said that, his figure began to fade, revealing the qualities of a wraith. Emlyn subconsciously wanted to ask him if he knew of any doll masters, but after opening his mouth, he found that it was damaging to the image of the sanguine. Therefore, he could only swallow his words back then. Even if I know the master, I don't have the money to buy it. To bear the burden of my mission, I have to sacrifice something. Unfortunately, we didn't capture the demigod of the Rose School of Thought, this time making it impossible to figure out the current situation of their headquarters. It'll be difficult to receive that holy artifact of the ancestor. Amidst Emlyn's thoughts, his expression slowly turned grave. Backland Bridge area, Iron Gate Street, is in one of the billiard rooms of the Bravehearts Bar. Klein, in the image of Sherlock Moriarty, was sitting opposite of Sharon and Merrick. After a brief moment of silence, the black regal-dressed Sharon, who was seated on a high stool chair, said to the detective, "What are your thoughts on this matter?" Klein thought for a moment before saying, "The influence of the Crimson Moon brought was quickly destroyed. What you mean to say is that since the Rose School of Thought's demigod had already sensed the immense danger through a certain method or a certain existence, why would he set up a trap that didn't have any effects?" Wait, yes. Why would you set up a trap that doesn't have any effects? That defeats the whole point of a trap. Merrick exchanged looks with Sharon before asking in thought. Yes, Klein nodded. He should be able to foresee that under such dangerous circumstances, a trap at this level can be easily resolved. Then why would he waste time setting it up and not flee immediately? That is the natural instinct of a living creature. Wearing a small bonnet, Sharon moved her head indiscriminately. On the surface is a trap, but it's actually to cover up something. Oh. Klein replied, delivering the sentence at a slower pace. Yes, using such a trap to cleanse the scene and stop any divination to conceal the actual situation back then. Only if there's a secret to hide would a demigod from the Rose School of Thought take the risk to stay on the scene for such a long period of time. But it's also possible that they didn't expect us to have an angel from the sanguine to help deal with the trap, Merrick suggested. Klein smiled and said, "They wouldn't ignore the angel behind you, for you have to launch a surgical strike on the concealed Rose School of Thought members in Backland. You must have defectors who know them well." He was referring to the existence of Renette Tanker. What secret would they need to cover up? Sharon seemed to accept Klein's suspicion as she sat upright and asked. Klein shook his head. There are too many possibilities. Perhaps they discovered the secrets of the attack in time. Perhaps they were planning on plotting something in Backland. Having said that, Klein tried to consider if the Rose School of Thought was associated with the current tense situation in Backland, but he realized that there was no place for them. Be it the Orthodox deities or the evil gods, they were unlikely to work with the Mother Tree of Desire. It's a trap, the guy from Star Wars? Fuck, man. Always, it's a trap. This puzzled Klein even more. He didn't know what kind of unknown accident, such as an unknown factor, would draw. He paused for a moment as he swept his gaze across Sharon and Merrick's faces. Speaking of stars, I am going to watch a sci-fi movie that I have never finished watching. So I'm very excited to finally watch this movie to its entirety and see how good it is. See if it's gonna be my new favorite sci-fi or not. I've only seen parts of it, but I've never seen it fully. He paused for a moment. I'll let you guys guess it. He paused for a moment as he swept his gaze across Sharon and Merrick's faces. In short, we need to be careful and cautious. We need to avoid coming here as well. Yes, under the premise that you can ensure your own safety, try to monitor other members of the Rose School of Thought again and see if we can figure out the secrets they're hiding. Thank you. Sharon's figure floated up and bowed. Merrick did the same. The scarlet flame soared up as Klein vanished from his spot. According to the agreement, as he didn't have the chance to take action. We're recording? Updated? Yes. As he didn't have the chance to take action, the only remuneration he received was on the free instance of help from Renette Tanker. After returning to 160 Bulkland Street, Klein took off his hat and went to bed early, hoping to wake up early. Suddenly, he heard a series of illusory pleas. Alien? No, I love those. I've seen them. No, it's Space-Time Odyssey. It was from a woman, Miss Justice. With a guess, he nodded and entered the bathroom. He took 4 steps counterclockwise and went above the gray fog. As he had expected, the supplicant was Justice Audrey. This lady had gathered 12,000 pounds in cash, hoping that Mr. Fool would transfer it to Mr. World to complete the transaction of the Dreamwalker and hypnotist beyond her characteristics. Yes, if the ritual can be replaced by Angel's Embrace, Miss Justice can try to advance in the next 2 days. Oh shit, that quick? When that happens, it's time to replace the exploration of Grizel's travels in the schedule. Leonard had already become a spirit. Warlock for days and has nothing to do. Klein heaved a sigh of relief and replied to Miss Justice, getting her to begin the sacrifice. With the current situation becoming more and more tense with more and more unknown factors, he wished to strengthen himself and quickly as possible. This included many aspects. The first is to increase the number of his marionettes and sealed artifacts. Second, the recovery of his helpers, and thirdly, a further grasp of knowledge and secrets. This abided him in knowing the truth and attaining the true attitude that was different factions have, thus finding an opportunity from before. An opportunity from within. The exploration of Grizel's travels corresponded to the third point. Oh. Chapter 1061 is called Friday in the Dead of the Night in Audrey's bedroom. After receiving a signal, the golden retriever Susie opened the door and left by herself. Slumping down outside to prevent anyone from disturbing Audrey, Audrey took the Dreamwalkers beyond her characteristics, the corresponding supplementary ingredients, and the apparatus used for concocting the potion from a hidden spot. Most of the supplementary ingredients came from the City of Silver, and they were things that she hadn't paid for since Little Son hadn't thought of something he needed. She concocted the potion skillfully and looked at the liquid that was dotted with darkened points of grayish-white lights. She took a step back, clasped her hands, and placed them in front of her mouth as she chanted softly, "The fool that doesn't belong to this era." Shawshank Redemption? Fuck, man, that's a fucking good movie. That's a good movie. You got good taste, Milosh. Just as her prayer ended, countless figures and indescribable forms appeared in front of her. We're recording? Yes. Appeared in front of her. They quickly swam and meshed with one another as though they were active in the sea. Above the sea were 7 pure beams of different colored lights that seemed to contain infinite knowledge. Okay, the 7 pure lights. Above the 7 lustrous brilliances was an endless grayish-white fog, and above that was a towering, magnificent palace. Such a cool imagery, dude. 7 lustrous brilliances of light, and then there's a grayish-white fog, and then there's a towering and magnificent palace. So fucking cool, dude. At that moment, the door to the palace opened as a figure formed from the golden light, spread out its 12 pairs of wings, formed of a scarlet flames, and flew down, landing in front of Audrey. The 12 pairs of fiery wings were layered as they wrapped the blonde, green-eyed girl in an embrace. Such a scene only lasted for a second or two before vanishing. It was as if she was hallucinating, but Audrey always had the feeling of being immersed in that kind of holy and lofty feeling. She calmed down and sincerely thanked Mr. Fool. Have you watched Seven? That's a good movie too, Milosh. Have you liked those? Seven is another one of those like classic movies that ages with time. Like it ages like fine wine. When angels embraced, she could maintain lucidity in her dream and wake up whenever she needed to. She didn't have to worry about being engrossed in her dreams and being unable to extract himself. This meant that she had already held a corresponding ritual for Dreamwalker, and the effects were definitely better than what it could have been. After all, not every hypnotist can obtain such benediction from a hidden existence and embraced by a special angel such as this. Yeah, watch it. It's a fucking good movie. Audrey, all the best. Audrey mumbled internally before she stopped hesitantly and picked up the glass bottle, drinking down the potion inside. The potion wasn't as bad as she had imagined it to be. It was a little sour, a little sweet, a little bitter, a little surreal, and a little stimulating. It was like a wild dream she couldn't let herself lose in. Before she could feel the effects of the potion exerted from her body, Audrey was suddenly startled before regaining her consciousness. She saw that the night was becoming dawn outside the window with the sun rising from the horizon, dyeing the sky red. Within the garden, flowers were blooming, the tips of the blades of the green grass shimmering with crystalline dew. It was as if Audrey had become the ruler of this world. Her consciousness floated up as she looked down the pipe and the various scenes. Her father and mother held hands as they strolled down the garden trail, taking in the fragrance as they bathed in the morning light. Having worked through their differences, her 2 brothers, Hybrid and Alfred, rode on horses and brought servants along with them, laughter accompanying them as they entered the woods, competing against each other for a more successful hunt. The ambassadors or special representatives of the various countries like Facek, Intis, and Fana Potter signed an agreement at Loan Sodela's palace, announcing to the world that a war wouldn't happen. Thus, that's what we want to happen, but I don't think that's what's going to happen. Announcing to the world that a war wouldn't happen, thus dispersing all the dark clouds in the sky. The smog situation in Backland improved. Every company's factory had passed the double review of an alkaline industry inspector and National Atmospheric Pollution Council, and they had prompted such standards to other countries. Maximum working hours and the basic labor environments for workers were guaranteed, and the development of every industry was getting better. The number of tramps had dropped at an unimaginable level, and all kinds of protective measures spearheaded by the kingdom covered everyone. There were more and more workers who could afford bicycles. Look at that, now they're becoming more affordable. On the streets, the bicycles clustered together like a huge army, driving in different directions amidst the ringing sounds. Children didn't need to work in factories at young ages. You know what's crazy about when I was in China? I remember just seeing an entire block just filled with rental bikes, and I'm like, this is crazy. And then everybody was just renting bikes. Everybody was just commuting on bikes. I'm like, that's crazy, dude. I was like, this is so cool. Children didn't need to work in factories at a young age. They could giggle and fool around, running into classrooms with the tables and chairs. Inside, they flipped open the textbooks and began listening attentively. If they didn't wish to study, it was solely of their own choice, not because they lacked the conditions. Women were no longer discriminated against due to their gender. Even a laundry maid could rely on studying to obtain knowledge and find better targets. There were reporters, teachers, police, women, soldiers, miners, and civil servants seen in every walk to life. All kinds of mechanical items appeared on the streets and alleys, bringing people conveniences and joys. In the square in front of the Evernight Cathedral, pigeons flew up and landed and people were either sitting or playing with the accordion, fully enjoyed in their lives. This was Audrey's dream for the future. Unaffiliated Beyonders didn't have to worry anymore. As long as they received a checkpoint of their physical mental condition, they could walk openly and use their Beyonder powers to earn money in any legal way. This is really wonderful. If it weren't for me being clear-headed, I would have lost myself to this. I would have descended from my commanding position in my consciousness, taking a stroll with my parents, hunting with my brothers, and occasionally going to school to teach children. I would often work harder for the extension of world peace. Audrey stared at the dream, feeling a bound of poignancy. She then felt her astral projection rise once again, breaking out of the confines of the hazy world. She saw that her dream was like a huge bubble that grew out from the isolation of consciousness while silently enveloping it. The air bubble was surrounded by a gray fog. From afar, she could vaguely see other air bubbles, and below them were their corresponding islands in consciousness. Deep within the gray fog was the silent, undiluting, shimmering, wavy, illusionary sea that seemed bottomless. The sea, a collective subconscious, this was the scene of a mind world for a dreamwalker. Only for the manipulator onwards is one really able to interfere with the sea of the collective subconscious. Audrey nodded in enlightenment and retracted her gaze. Without saying any longer, she forcefully escaped from her dream. Her vision returned to normal immediately as it remained pitch black outside. Only the street lamps around the garden were emitted light. She then cast her gaze on the full body mirror in her bedroom. She felt that she didn't seem too different from before. Only when she observed carefully that she realized that the pair of green eyes were becoming more limped and deeper, as though they could reflect the souls of others. Closing her eyes and taking in the knowledge brought by the potion, Audrey quickly grasped the core powers of Dreamwalker. Just like that, she grasped Dreamwalker. By guiding and controlling a dream, she could attain the information and affect the enemy. There were two aspects. First was guidance, with a similar to Nightmare of the Evernight pathway, by using the different changes in a dream to guide a target into revealing one's deep secrets. The difference was that a nightmare could forcefully pull a person into a dream. However, dreamwalkers were incapable of... Okay, so that's the difference. They can't actually forcefully pull them into a dream. However, dreamwalkers were incapable of doing so unless they were combined with hypnosis. The second was alteration. By modifying a target's dream, one could influence a target over a long period of time, changing them and making them do things they wouldn't usually do without them realizing it. The principle of being such an alteration... I thought I said Altreon from fucking Monster Hunter World. Alteration. Use a dream as the incisive points of the astral projection as a point of leverage, slowly contaminating the target's soul body before affecting the body of heart and mind, planting it deep into the subconscious. Compared to directly using hypnosis, a control that stemmed from the dreams was more mild and furtive, making it difficult to be noticed and suitable for targets at higher levels. From the looks of it, most matters that involved love at first sight might have had a few hidden cases that were a result of dream alteration. Oh. Yes, amongst many popular best-selling novels, the female lead often dreams of a figure and spends a beautiful romantic time with them. Ah, alteration. Therefore, when they encounter the male lead who's similar to the figure in their dreams, they will quickly succumb to them and have a strong penchant for love? What the fuck? Audrey recalled a novel she had read in the past and suddenly found it amusing. To To her, be it guidance or alteration, they weren't any essential enhancements over hypnosis. Instead, there was another beyond her power she liked even more. It was dream traversal. Go to different dreams. That's not how you pronounce Altreon. Latrion. How do you pronounce it? How do you pronounce it? To her, I think I'm saying it wrong. It's been a while. To her, be it guidance or alteration, they weren't any essential, and we need dream traversal. This made her body turn incorporeal, as if she was an elf in a dream or a dreamwalker. Not only could she directly hide someone else's dream, but she could also jump from a dream to another dream, completing a blink in the physical sense. Okay, so she's like blinking. The restriction of such traversals was that the distance between two dreams couldn't exceed 500 meters. Oh, so they have to be physically close with each other. Alatrion. That's what I said. Is that not what I said? Good night. Hey, take care, Hope. We'll see you guys. No, it's okay. I'll see you soon, dude. 500 meters, and they had to belong to the intelligent creatures. And I'm realizing the volume is a little low. In special environments, this can effectively hide myself. Oh, she can hide in them. Why didn't Heaven Rammus directly affect me, though? Dream alteration, because this place is protected by the church. The Evernight pathway is also skilled in the domain of dreams, Audrey thought as she began converging her spirituality. In the ancient palace above the Great Fog, along the long bronze table, Klein saw a few seats diagonally across from Leonard. Why are you suddenly looking for me? Leonard leaned back in his chair and asked lazily. Regardless, he still remembered this place belonging to Mr. Full, so he didn't dare to appear too casual. Klein glanced at him and said, I need your help with something. I need your help with finishing Volume 5. You need my help. Leonard pointed at himself and asked in surprise, are you referring to Palaz? He didn't think he could help a demigod like Klein. You have a very clear understanding of yourself. Klein tisk, however, I'm really looking for you this time. It mainly involves a few dreams. Leonard came to realization as he said with a hint of puzzlement and laughter. Klein, you seem to have changed a little. I mean, you've become more like the past, no longer wearing that gloomy expression. Oh, he's going back to his former self? Oh, that's sweet. Without waiting for a reply, he straightened his disheveled hair and smiled. That's a good thing. Well, I'm still quite good at dreams. Who do your dreams belong to? Without batting an eyelid, Klein replied, a Lowen soldier from more than 100 years ago, a 4th epoch aristocrat, an ascetic from the 3rd epoch, and an elf of the giant from the 2nd epoch. What? Leonard asked with his green eyes wearing a blank look, wondering if he had heard wrongly. Ignoring the elves and the giants from the 2nd epoch, and even the nobles of the 3rd epoch, had to be from a particular beyond pathway and had to have become saints before they could survive to this day. It can't be that they're all angels aside from the lone soldier, right? Entering the dream of angels, I think it's better to find old man. Leonard's thoughts churned instantly as though he was in a dream. I find this so cool, man. I do like how Leonard told him that. Like, oh, it's like, you're going back to your former self, man. Like, you're no longer so dark and gloomy. Oh, but that's Cuttlefish setting something up, right? He's making him happy again, so he can make him even more miserable in the future. I'm scared to read now. Chapter 1062. Teaching online. All right, chapter 1062 is called Teaching on... Why is that online? There's no online in this world, though. Right? Klein glanced at... We're recording? Right? Yes, we're good. Klein glanced at Leonard and smiled. The targets aren't demigods. They only live to this day due to some sort of influence. This is also the secret I wish to discover through dreams. He deliberately emphasized the world lived. Without waiting for Leonard to respond, Klein continued, bullet hell, bullet heaven. Yeah, that's literally what happened. Without waiting for Leonard to respond, Klein continued, the aristocrat from the 4th epoch is a member of the Zarost family. You might have been able to use his dream to learn more about Palaz Zarost. Old man dissent. Leonard's heart stirred as he looked forward to the proposal that Klein raised. Although he had gotten along rather well with Palaz Zarost and gradually built up some trust in this angel, he still held the most basic level of vigilance against him. After all, he was an outsider who lived in his body. At that moment, Klein added, from now, don't mention this matter to Palaz Zarost. Do you think I'm such an unreasonable person? Leonard grumbled inwardly as he replied, there's no need to remind me. Seeing that Leonard had agreed, Klein smiled and said, get me a few drops of your blood when you return. This is necessary to explore your dreams. You need that? Really? He didn't specifically mention how to give the blood to him. After all, Leonard knew at least 2 methods. First, he could sacrifice it to Mr. Full. Wait, that's one way. You sacrifice it to Mr. Full and request that he bestow it to the world. The other was to summon the messenger of the mysterious origins and place the blood inside a bottle, sending it over with a letter. Okay, that makes sense. Blood. Leonard subconsciously repeated the word. To enter the book. Yeah, I was like, why do we need it? Yeah, I forget that's a requirement for Grizel's travels. In mysticism, one's blood was an important item. It's best not to give one's blood to others, otherwise they might die without knowing the reason. Sometimes, I was like, why do we need blood again? I was like, oh yeah, Grizel. Sometimes death wasn't the most terrifying outcome that could happen. After a brief moment of hesitation, Leonard nodded. When will the exploration begin? Klein was prepared for this question as he replied, late Sunday night, close to midnight. He wanted to give Miss Justice time to converge her spirituality and familiarize herself with her abilities. All right, Leonard didn't say anything else. Oh, shut up. That's why you guys said to read it in bulk. Following that, Klein seriously explained skillfully and sophistically so that the dear poet knew how to pacify his grandpa after returning. After returning to the real world, Leonard deliberated over his words when he heard Palazar's slightly aged voice. Why did your former colleague look for you? Is there anything that cannot be explained in the letter? Leonard adjusted his sitting posture and chuckled. He's afraid the letter will be leaked. After all, it might have involved that person. Oh, shit. Klein was a vampire this whole time. Imagine. Let me suck on your blood. He's afraid the letter will be leaked. After all, it might have involved that person. Just as he finished his sentence, Leonard inwardly mumbled, of course, the most important thing is to be wary of you. What I see is equivalent to what you see. What I see is equivalent to what you see. That person, Palazar, seemed to understand who he was referring to. Yeah. Leonard picked up a cup of the table and drank a mouthful of malt beer. He felt an ascetic from the third epoch. He hopes to learn his history of that epoch through his dream. What Leonard said was the truth, but it was only a portion of the truth. This was the skill that Klein had specifically taught him, an ascetic from the third epoch. He's still alive, Palazaros asked in surprise. Of course, he wasn't too surprised. After all, at his level, even if he didn't grasp the 100 methods that allowed people to live from the third epoch, he knew at least 5 or 6 methods. The easiest way, he knows so much now. The easiest way was to steal the time or life of others to imbue him into the target. He is likely still alive, but has a very special condition. Leonard explained what he knew. Palazaros fell silent for 2 seconds before saying with a chuckle, is that so? Then I can only wish you the best. It's not seeing scenes you shouldn't see in your dream. Of course, your former colleague is protected by an existence of concealment, so he must be prepared. Leonard didn't respond to the topic. He suddenly exclaimed, old man, are you actually not the least bit curious? Don't you want to know what the true deities were like in the third epoch or the cause of the cataclysm? Yeah, why the fuck? Why doesn't he want to know? This was the second technique in the sophistry that Klein taught him. Rather than being asked, it was better to take the initiative to ask questions. I can roughly guess what was going on. Palazaros replied with a sigh. He then scoffed. You took too much initiative to control the flow of the conversation today. This is very different from your past behavior. This means that you have a secret you're hiding deep down. People are way too fucking smart in this series. Not bad is much better than your past, and at least it's not something that can be seen through at once. Leonard's expression froze. Palazzo merely chuckled. See, I just gave it a try and you exposed yourself. You still lack training. You know what? I think Palazaros is actually a good guy towards Leonardo now. Like, you see, I kind of like that. He's like, you see, like, I just exposed you, bro. But like, I do like how he's acting towards Leonardo now. Like, there isn't like this crazy sense like, oh, this parasite is trying to kill me. Rather, it's like, oh, the parasite is using me, but like, he's also like, kind of, he's like, the parasite is kind of trolling him in a way. Like, see, I just tried it and exposed yourself. You still like training. And I feel like he's trying to help him train. Like, you still lack training. He's like, you should be better at this. Your former colleague is really ... Tisk. Leonard could only respond with a dry chuckle. He put down his cup and leaned forward. He then picked up a silver ritual dagger and cut open a wound, causing a few drops of blood to drip out. Meanwhile, at Earl's residence, Audrey was also holding a dagger with gems embedded in it. She was preparing to fulfill the promise of providing help for free. She moved the tip of the dagger forward to the back of her hand. The pain is very mild. The pain is very mild. Oh yeah, because she's scared of... Isn't she scared of blood? Or isn't Audrey scared to get hurt? Wasn't that her phobia? Like, she's scared to even get wounded? This pain is very mild. As she hypnotized herself, she exerted her force and tore it open. She has to hypnotize herself to say the pain is very mild. As she hypnotized herself, she exerted her force and tore open a wound. It was currently impossible to tear her skin without using strength, even if she didn't reveal her dragon scales. On Sunday night, after attending a ball, Klein returned to 160 Boatland Street. He made up an excuse that he was feeling tired and needed to sleep early. In the wee hours of the night, he got out of bed, set up a ritual, and summoned herself. After some work, he sat in the seat that belonged to the world of German Sparrow. He confirmed that once the summoning ended, he could use the Grey Fox level and standing to forcefully extract himself from Grizel's travels. There's been something I've been thinking about today, about the quill. ever since the whole thing for erodes. I'll talk about it right at the end of the chapter, just so I don't lose my place. At that moment, in front of him were 3 mental bottles at a silver mask. The former was filled with him, Leonard, and Audrey's blood, while the latter was sacrificed Miss Justice ahead of time. As she knew that Mr. Star would be involved in the exploration of the dream this time, she planned on wearing a lie the entire time to mask her face and avoid her identity from being uncovered. After examining it for a while, Klein made the hardcover deep brown Grozel's travels to fly out of the junk pile and land on the long brown sable. At the same time, he placed unshattered crucifix into his body. My pimple's not bleeding, right? Okay, paused. It stopped. Following that, he pulled Justice Audrey and started Leonard above the gray fog. 2 dark red beams shot up at the same time, forming rather blurry figures. Audrey and Leonard cast their gaze at the bottom of the long modeled table and sized up the items in front of Mr. World. Then their attention was drawn to the ancient book. Audrey's eyes darted around as she curiously asked, "Our exploration this time is related to this book." "Yes, our targets are inside the book." Klein, oh, I can't believe we're going back inside. "Our targets are inside the book," Klein replied with a smile. "Inside the book?" Leonard asked in surprise. Even though he was a red glove, he also read a large number of supernatural case files. He had never heard of communicating with characters in a book. Klein nodded slightly and said, "Yes, this is a magical book. Inside it, there is a world that was envisioned. What happens in that world becomes the book's contents." You know what's crazy? Let me say it now. I like because we were talking about how erodes, like he was actually stronger than they anticipated and they were going to raise the sequence. I wonder if the same can be said for the quill. Adam took back the quill. The book, I think, was alleged to be a byproduct of Adam. I think that was revealed, if I'm remembering right. Like Adam created Grozel's travels? No. Or like there was some relationship between Grozel's travels and Adam if it was from a high spectator. And we know Adam retrieved the quill. Who's to say the quill and the book are like 2 halves, right? And then once they're put together, quill is already the highest grade. But like, well, like we know for Sequence 0, it's like you can go above Sequence 0. So now I'm over here thinking like maybe sealed artifacts can go above Sequence 0 as well, right? I don't know. I was like, wouldn't it be weird if we use them in unison? Like even though like what you write on the quill is blank, like maybe when you write on the actual book, like it's no longer Grozel's travels and it's like something else. I don't know. It's like an upgraded version of the quill or an upgraded version of like the Death Note. I don't know. I was thinking about that right now. Like that'd be pretty cool. In Vision, Audrey actually grasped a key phrase like to its systems. She'd only just learned a few days ago from Mr. World that the Spectre Pathway Sequence 0 was called Visionary, and she knew very well the Kings of Dragons, the ancient god Ankwalt, was a dragon of imagination. After some deliberation, Klein said, "My description might not be very accurate. It might be envisioned world or a true dream. The only thing I can confirm is that it was created by an ancient god from the Second Epoch, the dragon of imagination Ankwalt." Oh, that's so cool, dude. "I attained it from Vice Admiral Iceberg, ancient god's relic. It's no wonder that it can be a giant and an elf from the Second Epoch, a Third Epoch ascetic, a Fourth Epoch human aristocrat, a Fifth Epoch lowest soldier survive until now." Leonard came to the realization as he couldn't help but size up Gurman Sparrow. He couldn't imagine what kind of experiences Klein had ever since he left Tingen. Oh. He's like, this guy has been through a lot. At that moment, Klein looked around and pushed the lion mask to Miss Justice and said, "Let's head on in." All right, Audrey put on the silver mask. Leonardo looked around and nodded. Okay. Klein immediately picked up the 3 metal bottles and poured out some blood inside, smearing it on the cover of Grozel's Travels. So this is what it looks. So this is what the blood was for. Just as this thought flashed through Audrey's mind, she saw a white, snowy storm. Amidst the snowflakes the size of the down feathers and a biting cold wind, a city that was more than 50 meters tall stood nearby. A soldier wearing leather armor on the guard was by the gates and was huddled in a spot was immune to the wind and snow. As long as there weren't any merchant convoys, he wouldn't head forward to block any ordinary pedestrians. This is a world that was completely envisioned. It's like it's real. Leonard looked around as he spread out his palm and caught several snowflakes. He felt the coldness of its touch before they quickly melted into water. After confirming the environment, Leonard suddenly realized something. Klein was maintaining the image of the cold and refined Gurman Sparrow. Miss Justice wore the silver mask, revealing at the bottom of her face green eyes and blonde hair, making it impossible to imagine her actual appearance. As for himself, he didn't disguise himself at all. Hi, Pokey. Do you think about my request? Oh my god, I'm sorry. I haven't been on Discord. Super God theory? Super Saiyan God? I think, well, the thing is, when he was talking about that, when he's talking about the Super God theory, I'm over, like, the Super Saiyan God, I was thinking, like, all that just goes back to being, like, the original. That's the only thing I thought. Like, when he talked about theory, I'm like, okay, we go back to being, like, the original one that, like, fractured everything into the 22 pathways. That's not relevant yet? A few more chapters? Okay. This was a habit of official Beyonders. They openly carried out missions without any disguises. Mr. Star really is laid back and his hair is combed very casually. It's such a pity. Otherwise, with his look, he can be a model of covers and magazines. As a noble lady who had seen too many handsome men, Audrey politely glanced at him before retracting her gaze without making an excessive observation. Klein chuckled inwardly and pointed at the city in the snowstorm. Our first target is an aesthetic Mr. Snowman. What the fuck? Mr. Snowman from the Third Epoch. This was the person most likely to have a link to Amon and his brother, Adam. According to Klein's plan, after Snowman would be from the 4th generation aristocratic Mobet. This is because Giant Grizel and Elf Syatus involved matters at much higher levels, and there was a high chance of there being an accident. Therefore, it was safer leaving than at the end of the schedule. After the exploration of the 4 people's subconscious via their dreams, they would then enter the sea of collective subconscious in search of any possible secrets. All right. Chapter 1066 is called The Lord's Left Hand. In a rather remote spot in the Pesset city, there was a building made of stone. It looked rough and was a cathedral that needed some construction worries. The most eye-catching and intricate part was the altar. Erected over it was a wooden cross and a tall figure carrying the cross. Ascetic Snowman was sitting in the first view, facing the divine statue, his head bowed and his head closed in focused supplication. Ascetic Snowman was sitting in the first view, facing the divine statue, his head bowed as his eyes closed in focused supplication. He was a middle-aged man who wasn't considered old but had some wrinkles. He was wearing a simple white robe that had been washed countless times. He had brown short hair, and on his exposed arms, shoulders, calves, and feet, there were all kinds of old scars and scabs. At that moment, 2 men and a woman appeared at the cathedral entrance. The men were dressed in black robes that were completely different from the surroundings. One was wearing a vast and half-top hat with a formal bow tie, and the other was casually wore a white shirt. The former had a pronounced outline and a cold expression, while the latter had black hair and green eyes. He looked pretty good, exuding the romantic air of a poet. The lady was wearing a long white dress that was tight at the waist with freely designed at the sleeves. Lacy flowers were sewn in a meshed manner at her chest. She wore an intricate silver mask. Save the man. She wore an interesting silver man, revealing a pair of emerald-like eyes, her high nose, her lip-glossed lips, and lowered half of her face. It prompted anyone who laid their eyes on her to imagine how beautiful her actual appearance was. They were extremely attractive. It was the same regardless of the angle one took. However, the passerbys and the few members of the congregation and the prying ascetics didn't even give them a look, completely ignoring them. This was a combination of hallucination and psychological invisibility. Yo, what's up, dude? Welcome back. Oh, shit, I didn't say what's up, D. I know you joined earlier. What's up, dude? Audrey was already in operating mode, no longer showing any curiosity. She swept her gaze and said in a gentle voice, I think I saw him join earlier, right? Or am I tripping out? Was it D, right? Yeah, he did say. Audrey was already in the operation mode, no longer showing any curiosity. She swept her gaze and said in a gentle voice, what's the most important now is that Mr. Snowman go to sleep. Otherwise, we'll have to wait until tonight. Let me raise the volume. We'll have to wait until tonight. The night in this world, relax, it's trivial. Leonard replied with a smile. Compared to Miss Justice, who had only experienced a few supernatural incidents, as a Nighthawk, he was already too used to such things. He was very composed and even wanted to joke with Klein. Of course, he didn't know that Miss Justice had recently hypnotized a demigod. Klein glanced at his former teammate, then let's begin. He was carrying... I can't believe we're teaming up with Leonard again. It's so cool, dude. He was carrying Uncharted Crucifix on him, and in less than 3 hours, he would be dropped back to Sequence 5 and have his bizarre sorcerer beyond characteristics purged. So he naturally didn't want to waste any time. He's back in his crazy adventure state again. Tisk. Leonard didn't beat around the bush. He raised his hand to neaten up his hair as his green eyes suddenly turned deep. Suddenly, the praying ascetic Snowman had fallen into a deep sleep. This is a beyond the power of a nightmare. Look at the scene with sparkling eyes. Audrey thoughtfully muttered to herself. In fact, she was aware of the powers of a nightmare, having seen them in action before, back when they were dealing with the sanguine Viscount Ernest Boar. However, she was unable to grasp the full picture of it due to the urgency of the situation. It was only now that she had made a complete observation of it. Right on the heels of that, she raised both of her hands and grabbed the arms of the world and the star. Using her abilities to dreamwalker, she led them into the snowman's dream. Alright, you're gonna leave soon? No, it's okay, Cammy. Don't worry, we'll have the video up right away. I can do it myself, Leonard mumbled at the moment as he entered the hazy world. Klein and Audrey ignored him and quickly severed the area. Taking in the entirety of the snowman's dreamscape, they were also inside a cathedral, and unusually been just a cathedral. Ancient stone pillars propped up a towering dome, but they didn't make the hall appear too segmented and cramped. It remained extremely spacious. The cathedral's door was wide and tall, even for the giants, lined on both sides of the candles, placed in silver cups that emitted a warm glow. The altar right in front of him was grand and magnificent, and above them were grayish-white crosses and the sculpture of the god bearing the cross. The statue's face wasn't very clear, but it felt like it was showing a pity towards all beings in the world. Snowman was similarly sitting in the first view, facing the holy altar. His head was bowed and his eyes closed in focused supplication. This is similar to the afternoon town's abandoned cathedral that Little Sun showed to us. It would be a building from the same era. Audrey swept her gaze across the brick arches and whispered. At the same time, she tripped to suppress her curiosity and told her again to remain calm. Little Sun, how is he little? She tried to suppress her curiosity and told herself to remain calm. Little Sun, how is he little? That fellow's clearly taller and larger than me. Afternoon town's abandoned cathedral. Leonard thought in puzzlement as he lampooned. He's like, these fucking huge, dude. Like, what the fuck? When he joined the Terror Club, the son Derek had long returned to the City of Silver, although he would occasionally mention the exploration of the Giant King's court. He didn't conjure any of the corresponding images. Indeed, Klein retracted his gaze and agreed with Miss Justice. Then he said to her, try to guide Snowman's dream and get him to reveal the important information in his subconscious. Focus it on the Kings of Angels. The mission could be accomplished by both a nightmare and a dreamwalker. The reason why he had Miss Justice do it was because he wanted to give her a chance to digest the dreamwalker potion. After all, Leonard had already passed that stage, and no matter what happened, in matters that involve the subconscious, beyond just the spectator path, we were definitely more professional. The way they carried it out would be more precise and effective. It was only then that Leonard realized the problem. Miss Justice's abilities involved the domain of dreams. This meant that she had already advanced to Sequence 5 Dreamwalker. Isn't that too fast? Just a little bit. Isn't that too fast? Leonardo was secretly surprised and in disbelief. He remembered that Miss Justice had mentioned it during the exchange when he joined the Terror Club. It hadn't even been a month since she became a hypnotist, and now only 3 months had passed. She has indeed tried to purchase the ingredients needed for her advancement of the Terror Club, but to completely digest the hypnosis potion in 4 months is shocking enough. Leonard's mind raced as he had a baffling feeling that the pride of becoming a Red Glove captain, a quasi-high-ranking member of the church, a Sequence 5 spirit warlock, was gone. He's like, damn, she fucking beat me, dude. While his thoughts were running wild, Audrey tersely acknowledged the request and took a few steps forward to stand beside Snowman. Illusionary ripples suddenly appeared in her jewel-like eyes. Those ripples constantly sank deep in the depths, returning to the darkness and tranquility. Invisible ripples emanated out as the altar in front of the cathedral suddenly turned blurry. These magnificent objects allowed These magnificent objects, along with the cross and the divine statue, warped and suddenly unfurled, emitting lights and shadows that weren't considered too intense. The lights and shadows intervened into a three-dimensional portrait of a towering mountain range. The main peak reached high into the clouds, but the white clouds didn't dare to conceal the main peak as it automatically separated from the peak's two sides. On the peak of the mountain stood a huge cross that was even taller than the mountain. In front of it stood a majestic figure that was covered in layers of stacked halos. Stacked halos? 2 wings, 4 wings, and 6 wings angels were either holding the bungles. Wait, this sounds very familiar. Playing the harp or playing the flutes, dancing around the majestic figure as they sang and extolled. 8 blurry figures with 12 pairs of wings surrounded the majestic deity. Some flew to the ground beside his feet, leaning against him as if completely relying on him. Others floated on both sides, awaiting his orders. This was a scene that Klein had seen before. He knew that the deity was the ancient sun god, so it's the ancient sun god. And he knew that the figures were 12 pairs of wings, and their backs were the kings of angels. At that moment, Snowman opened his eyes and looked at Justice Audrey. As if teaching his student, he solemnly said, "Only the Holy Spirit can truly serve the Lord. This is the goal I've been chasing my entire life. I see the Lord standing above the infinite radiance, benevolence scattering over his kingdom and the land. Around him are 8 kings." Oh, the 8 kings of angels. The dark angel was the first angel created by the Lord. He is his left hand, his proxy, and his deputy of heaven. Medici? The red angel Medici is his proxy and deputy of heaven. The angel of imagination is the Lord's eldest son. The Lord that said is that is in a distant future, you will become the savior of all life. The Lord said in a distant future. The Lord said that in a distant future, you will become the savior of all life. The angel of time is Lord's second son. What? Adam will become the savior of life? So wait, did I say Medici? Susrier. Medici. How do I pronounce it? Susrier. Wait. This is weird. Adam is... The Lord said that in the distant future, Adam will become the savior of all life. The angel of time is the Lord's second son, Ammon. The Lord said that you are a god of trickery and a god of mischief, the light at the dawn of the apocalypse. So Ammon is the light. Wait, that means he's a good guy. He's the light at the dawn of the apocalypse. So when the apocalypse starts, he will be the light of the apocalypse. Wait, he would be the dawn of the apocalypse, or no? He will be the light at the dawn. So he will be at the light. He will be the light at the start of the apocalypse. Adam will be the savior of life, I assume, during the apocalypse. The white angel, wind angel, and the angel of fate are loyal followers of the Lord, firm, brave, honest, having been away from time to time. They were weak till they became strong. What? The wisdom angel was sanctified due to his redemption from being penitent and contrite, completely opposite from the one who fell after eating the fruit of sin. Oh, Adam and Eve. He is the light of my heart. He's the light of someone's heart. I'll tell you that much. The war angel is the Lord's rage, the Lord's punishment. His appearance over the land means that war is at hand. From the looks of it, this ascetic has never been to the ancient sun god's divine kingdom, nor has he ever seen a king of angels. What he's describing is a probability from religious canon. In other words, what he says is what the official text says. He's only saying what the text says and not what's factual. Wait, what? From the looks of it, dark angel Susrier was... Wait, no, this is dark angel was Susrier. He is the... Wait, no, Susrier was somebody else. Susrier is the dark angel. Dark angel Susrier was really the leader of the kings of angels. Oh, wait, no, never mind. Dark angel is different from the red devil. Weak until they were strong mean that they slowly went up the sequence by following the ancient sun god. So they weren't already at that level. They only reached... Oh, you think the ancient sun god had his own... Oh, you think the ancient sun god has like his own version of a tarot club with the kings of angels, and then he slowly brought them up? Wait, hold up. How many members do we have? Do we have 8 members right now? When Trissy joins, we'll have 8 members, right? Oh, and then they become like R8. Oh, wait, they become R8 angels? So then it's the Fool and his 8 angels, and then you have like the ancient sun god and his 8 angels. I'm seeing a coincidence here. Probably. I'm seeing a coincidence here. There probably are 8 people. Klein seriously listened to Snowman's description and had a clear understanding of the kings of angels. He never expected that the ancient sun god would predict that Adam would be the savior. This left him somewhat puzzled. Yeah, how the fuck is he going to be a savior? He's been evil this whole time. Dude, like, Trissy has to join. There's no shot. Like, Klein has been beating around the bush for so long. Like, dude, just recruit her already, bro. Like, just, like, literally recruit her. I don't know, like, why we're waiting. We don't got to beat around the bush. Like, she needs to join now. So there are all 8 kings of angels. Leonard listened attentively as well. This was something that Old Man Palas hadn't told him in detail before. It was a real secret from the ancient times, something that happened before the cataclysm. Audrey had seen the mural of the 3 kings of angels eating the city of silver. Audrey had seen the mural of the 3 kings of angels eating the city of silver. Through the corresponding images, she had matched them to the eternal blazing sun, the Lord of storms, and the God of knowledge and wisdom. Though she wasn't too surprised, she turned her head and looked at the world and the star, calmly interpreting the hidden meaning behind these sentences. According to what Mr. Snowman said, the dark angel was created. The 3 angels, White, Wind, and Fate, had followed the ancient sun god from a weak stage until they slowly empowered themselves. The weak stage here probably refers to a sequence 4. Still fucking strong, man. The wisdom should be an outsider who joined later, and he might have been from the opposing faction in the beginning. Oh, enemy turned good. Or enemy turned companion. When he heard Miss Justice's words, Klein suddenly remembered the name. It was a dragon of wisdom, as mentioned in the City of Silver myths. Hera Bergen? I'll remember this name. It was a dragon of wisdom, as mentioned in the City of Silver's myths. Hera Bergen. He then nodded, indicating for Miss Justice to continue. After Snowman recited some related scriptures, he suddenly solemnly said, "Our diocese has cultists who believe in the Evernight hiding within it. These are the orders from the king." Okay. Next chapter. Drawing closer. Bro didn't say Heidenberg. What do you mean? Chapter 1064. After our 5 minutes break, we are back. Cultists who believe in the Evernight. Upon hearing, so there's cultists that believe in the Evernight. So weird. Upon hearing Snowman's words, the 3 present were more or less thrown into an awkward situation. Klein, Audrey, and Leonard all had a certain relationship with the Evernight goddess. Wong was a standard cultist who believed in the Evernight. I think you can finish the chapters and look at artwork within 2 hours, as long as you don't stop. Okay, awesome. I think we'll make it. Believe in the Evernight. The other was only a cultist, but a quasi-high-ranking member of the cult, an elite team leader. The other was even worse, a blessed of the evil goddess. From the looks of it, the Church of the Evernight appeared earlier than with the historical record state. They can be tracked back to a long time before the Cataclysm. However, it existed in a form of a secret organization. Klein cleared his throat and did a simple analysis, breaking the sudden silent mood. Audrey pursed her lips and nodded. She continued guiding Snowman's dreams, letting him reveal the information related to the Kings of Angels in his subconscious. Unfortunately, Snowman was only a Sequence 5 ascetic. He would be considered a quasi-high-ranking member in the 5th epoch and would be able to come into contact with several important figures and historical secrets. However, before the Cataclysm, a Sequence 5 didn't enjoy such a status. He wasn't even able to enter the Divine Kingdom, so he naturally knew that little about the Kings of Angels and the ancient Sun God. What he knew was limited to what was written in various religion canons, and we already know that. We need more than just that. However, Klein keenly noticed that he had mentioned something. There were traces of the remnant giants in the northern ridges mountain range. This mountain range presents names were Antares, and it was located within Facek. It made it easy for him to associate the information with the people of Facek, claiming to be descendants of giants, how the god of combat was a giant, and other information. Seeing that there was no connection between the Kings of Angels, Audrey switched to guiding Snowman's dreams into presenting what most important and was most influential to him. The majestic cathedral they were standing in began to shake as changes silently happened. In just a few seconds, the cathedral scale shrank outside of a square that had been renovated. By the way, could you read 1072? Trust me, it's worth it. I know you guys were saying it. I'm gonna try and lock in so we can get to it, but I think we'll make it. I think we'll be good. Yeah, I think Cammy earlier said read it at least until 74, and if not, read until 72. I know, I'll try. I got you. Snowman knelt in front of the cross in divine status, and his body bathed in pure sunlight. A blurred figure in simple priest robes? Adam? The majestic cathedral they were standing in began to shake as changes silently happened. In just a few seconds, the cathedral's scale shrank. Outside was a square that had been renovated. Snowman knelt in front of the cross at the divine statue, his body bathed in pure sunlight. A blurry figure in simple priest robes appeared beside him, speaking with a loud and solemn tone. Are you willing to choose the path of ascetic, to give up love, to distance yourself from indulgence, to not wield power, to train your mind, and to temper your mind? Allow you to approach our Lord by entering heaven one step at a time? It's fucking Adam. Snowman devoutly kissed the ground and said, I'm willing to choose the path of ascetic. Oh, shit. All right, let me raise the volume a bit. Choose the path of ascetic. I'll give up love, distance myself from indulgence, not wield power, train my mind, and to serve the Lord. It will be so forever and ever for this day forth. It will also be forever and even from this day forth. It will be so forever and ever. Wait. Such a tongue twister. It will be so forever and ever from this day forth. The more Snowman spoke, the more resolute he became. It's gonna be peak trust. Shit. I was gonna say it's gonna be peak he became. It's gonna be resolute he became. In the end, he solemnly repeated his promise. This is one thing that left the deepest impression of him, that resulted in the deepest effects of him. Audrey turned his head and said to the world and the star, thinking back of Snowman's past performance and reclining how he had never gave up on his beliefs, nor stopped his ascetic training despite being stuck in the book world. Klein nodded gently inside. He is a true ascetic. Audrey retracted her gaze, and after guiding Snowman to present something that was more important to him, she returned to the world and the star and said in a gentle voice, there shouldn't be much left. Klein glanced at Snowman and said, let's go to the next stop. You think a king of angels would be in charge of that? I don't know, man. If it's part of a spectator, maybe. I don't know. Like, maybe he can, like, split himself like a marionette or create different apparitions or different images of himself because he's a spectator, and then he can be in all these places at once. Kind of like how Amon does it with his freaking parasites. But he does it in, like, a different, more psychological way. Inside a house in Pesset City, but probably not, since it didn't say it was Adam. So it probably wasn't him. Mobet was his brownish yellow hair, dark brown eyes, his nose bridge, and thin lips, was wearing slightly furry pajamas. He lay on a bed that was half high and half low, and he stared at the ceiling, muttering to himself, unless this is a past version of the ancient sun god. It's like a past image of himself, as he stared at the ceiling, muttering to himself, like before he became who he is. Like a younger version of himself. Winter this year is much colder than usual. It's starting to snow. I feel like I'm reading Shadow Slave here now that I think about it. Although it's almost noon, I don't want to get up at all. Sayatis, why does an elf like you insist on sleeping in? You even press your hands and feet on me. I really miss being single. I could roll around freely in bed. Every corner will be mine. Unlike now, Sai. On the bed, Elven songster Sayatis leaned her... Oh, look at that. They're back together. On the bed, Elven songster Sayatis leaned her body sideways while sleeping comfortably. This is so actually beautiful, seeing them again, even though it's not the same person. Even though it's not the same one, though. It's cool. Not only did she occupy nearly half of the bed, but she also left a large amount of space on her side as her body clung close to Mobet. She left one arm and leg on him, squeezing Mobet in the corner of the bed, almost to point of falling off. That's so sweet. After pulling up the blanket that was pinned down, Mobet sighed and closed his eyes, preparing to sleep again. Then he really fell asleep. You'd think it wasn't Adam, it was Eve. Wait, what are we talking about here? Like, the story? Are we talking about Adam and Eve here? Then he felt really silent. In his dream, he sat at the bar counter, altering between siphoning hard liquor and gulping down beers. He didn't return home, as he claimed he would wait for a Sayatis to come begging for him to return. In this, the aristocrat from the Fourth Epoch at the enter of the tavern, Leonard glanced at Klein. Klein gave a clear answer. That's right. Mr. Starr's tone and action suggest that he's more nervous than before. He seems to care a lot about the aristocrat from the Fourth Epoch. According to the information given by Mr. World, a certain person that Mr. Starr knows might have seen the second blasphemy slate, and that's an extremely ancient divine artifact. Although I can't eliminate the possibility of seeing it in the Fifth Epoch, powerhouses of the Fourth Epoch are more likely to have a chance of coming into contact with such matters. Like, what would they have? So this aristocrat from the Fourth Epoch is related to the person Mr. Starr's one day brother. Mr. Starr's knows Audrey grasped certain matters through fine observation and interpretation. With this as a premise, she quickly came to a conclusion. Mr. Starr would step forward and suggest that he would guide the dream. As expected, the Fourth Epoch revered an asymmetrical beauty, but such attire really made me uncomfortable. Leonard tensed before looking at Miss Justice and the world Klein Moretti. Let me do it this time, Audrey. All right, Audrey replied with a brisk tone and smiled. This was the development that Klein was happy to see. He naturally wouldn't stop at it. That wouldn't be an issue. Leonardo then tugged at his collar and walked to the bar counter in a few steps. He sat beside Mobet and ordered a local San-Gen beer. He gulped and suddenly said, you look like a member of the Zeros family. Everyone here knows that. Now, not just humans. Mobet took a sip of his alcohol and continued looking down. Leonard smiled and shook his head. Let me introduce myself. I'm a student of Palazaros. Damn. He planned to use this identity to pull strings and reduce any sense of reluctance Mobet would have, making it easier for him to continue guiding him. I didn't think we'd be speaking to them again, man. We're here speaking to Mobet after that sad ending during Grizel's travels, dude. Fuck. Indeed, the person Mr. Starr knows is also a Fourth Epoch aristocrat, a member of the Zeros family. I wonder what level that person is. So Mr. Starr is secretly a student of a certain important figure. No, he said that without complete confidence. A self-assumed student, Audrey Valen... A self-assumed student. That's what Leonard is. He's a self-assumed student. Audrey validated her guess as her smile became more obvious. That's so funny, dude. After hearing Leonard's self-introduction, Mobet finally turned his head and sized him up. He saw it and said, student, more like the target of parasitizing, right? Leonard's expression froze. target of parasitizing. Although Audrey was mentally prepared, she couldn't help but twitch her eyebrows. As for Klein, he had a hard time holding back his laughter. He's trying so hard not to laugh right here. Of course, he didn't believe that there was anything wrong with Leonard's identity as a student in Plazaros. If it were him, he wouldn't have said the same thing. It wasn't right to directly mention that he was a parasite's victim, right? And being friends appeared too distant, a disadvantage for any subsequent attempts to learn for more. The problem this time was that nobody expected Mobet to guess the truth. After laughing twice, Mobet chuckled at Leonard, slightly stiff-faced, and said, "You aren't a member of our Zeros family, so how can you become Old Man student? You can only be a target of parasitizing." Having said that, he slowed down and said, "Don't worry, Old Man isn't too bad. He would already take over your body. After the parasitizing is done, he will at most take away a few years of your life. You're still young anyway, so raising your sequence would make up for that." Huh. Actually, most Beyonders can't live till the end of their natural lifespan. What? Leonard exposed, but in a good way. Why must he take a few years of my life? Leonard subconsciously asked. Mobet raised his glass and gulped down a mouthful. Why must he take away a few years of my life? I mean, if you're parasitizing, it's like you're using his life force for yourself, so that would make sense. Why must he take away a few? Is that he it's like it just happens, like he needs to. Mobet raised his glass and gulped down a mouthful. He replied in a daze, "Since you've already been parasitized, something must be stolen, right?" Leonard snapped out of his daze in net surprise. "You also called him Old Man." Oh, Mobet was parasitized by him. Of course, we all call him Old Man, huh? He doesn't seem to object to it. Mobet suddenly sighed. "He is my great-grandfather, and I haven't seen him for a 1,000 years. The fuck, no, 2,000 years since he last saw him. So the reason why Old Man tolerates me calling him Old Man is because it can remind him of the beautiful past. I wonder if his direct descendants are still alive." Leonard suddenly felt wistful. As for, I remember we did hear he was like part of the family, but not necessarily like a direct descendant, right? I thought it was gonna be like a long distant relative. As for Justice Audrey, while she was finding the words "something must be stolen," funny, she was surprised at the word he. This responded to Old Man. Mr. Palazaros was an angel. Indeed, Audrey had expected this. At this moment, Mobet sharply noticed a keyword and asked, "Also, why did you say also?" No, Mobet is his no, he is his great grandson. I always thought he was just like part of the family, because I know he had the last name, right? Was it so his full name was Mobet Zoroast? I thought he was just part of the family, not necessarily he was like the great-grandson. "Do you also call him Old Man?" Leonard nodded seriously. Mobet was instantly puzzled as he sized up Leonard. "Don't tell me you have the bloodline of..." Oh, what the fuck? "Don't tell me you have the bloodline of the Zoroast family." "I don't know," Leonard answered honestly. Mobet shook his head. "No, it doesn't look like that's the case." It might be that Old Man suffered a terrible blow and had changed to a certain degree. "That I know." Leonard pondered and said, "He was nearly killed by Blasphemer Amon. He hasn't recovered yet." Grizel's troubles were currently above the Great Fog. It didn't matter which deity's true name was mentioned because they wouldn't be able to perceive it. Since it would have been sensed, therefore Klein, Leonard, and Audrey were free to talk about Amon and Adam. The powerful and terrifying ancestor Amon family. Mobet's voice unconsciously lowered. Oh, he's scared. Leonard finally gained the initiative and asked, "The aristocrats of the Solomon Empire are all very cold and evil. Why isn't the Zoroast family like that?" Okay, next chapter. I forgot to record the first half of this live stream. I forgot to record the first half of this chapter. You guys can refer back to the live stream of the date it's uploaded and the date it's been published on the VODs. If you go back on the VOD section. But we only missed half of the page. Oh, we only missed half of the chapter. We didn't get some crazy ass shit where like Amon enters Grizel's travels or like Adam enters Grizel's travels or some crazy shit like that. We're only getting lore. I know it's important lore. But the one thing we got was sequence 1 reveal is Worm of Time. Long story short, that was revealed. Mobet revealed that. And apparently all the angels like to smoke cigarettes. I'm summarizing the first half of this chapter. I apologize. So we're going to read from right here. I'm going to read from the top of this part. So I'm going to reread a little bit. I apologize. I did not record. But long story short, that's what happened. I am so sorry. It could have been worse. It could have been worse. Yes, it could have been worse. And I think it was worse once, but you know what? It's okay. Leonard thought and continued. I just refer back to the live stream when this thing was uploaded. And it's going to be the day before because it's going to be spaced out by a day. And we were trying to learn how to pronounce Vicidities. Leonard thought and continued asking, in that era, what was the situation on the north of the continent? All living creatures submitted to his majesty. Even deities acknowledge his majesty ruler in order to fight against opposing factions. Mobet chuckled. They all have countries that belong to them in poorer places. In short, Evernight, god of combat, and death were at odds. They were at odds. The three deities of storm, blazing sun, and wisdom had a great conflict with each other. Earth's attitudes was vague and unclear, but she was more inclined towards the god of combat. This made them unable to cooperate in a stable fashion, thus being unable to form an alliance to figure out his majesty and the true creator. At this point, Mobet signed and said, and precisely for the sake of balance, his majesty didn't attack the southern continent. And now we're actually going to be attacking. Whoa, who knows? We'll see. And allows Death to unite the plans and the ancient force to build the Balam Empire. No, ultimately the six deities came to an agreement, hence the Black Emperor perished, establishing the Tudor Turnusite United Empire. So because six deities formed an allegiance, the Black Emperor perished, establishing the Tudor Turnusite United... Oh, and that's where the United Empire came from. Establishing the Tudor Turnusite United Empire. So those two formed the United Empire. Leonard recalled... We know that, but not like... Okay, the six deities came to an agreement. Leonard recalled Pelazarov's mention of this particular phase of history and for a baffling reason felt how history was filled with vicissitudes. At that moment, Mobet turned his head and looked at him. Do you have any cigarettes? These little devils that came out from the true creator's believers aren't better law. Leonard immediately controlled the dream and conjured a cigarette before handling it over. Is this an improvised version? Mobet stretched out his hand and snacked out the ball of fire from the kitchen behind the bar. He lit the cigar, took a deep breath, seeing the smoke coming out of his nostrils. Leonard asked curiously, the true creator believers like to smoke. That's right, even Lord Medici would occasionally smoke a few sticks, although it's just a habit for him. Mobet answered without hiding it away. Leonard nodded and asked, which deity do you believe in? God help me, I can't hear you say vicissitudes. Text-to-speech, here we go. Of course, it's his majesty, all the aristocrats. Hopefully that word just doesn't come back up again. Of course, it's his majesty. All the aristocrats in the empire believe in his majesty. Other than Lord Medici and Ouroboros, they believe in the true creator. Also, Duke Bethel Abraham might just be fake. According to what I know, he only believes in himself. Mobet quipped. Bethel Abraham, a thought came to his mind. He was about to signal Leonardo to ask further when he heard the poet ask, is Duke Bethel Abraham very powerful? Clearly, the completely different behavior compared to the other aristocratic families in the empire made this ancestor of the Abraham family stand out. Very powerful, even Lord Medici and Ouroboros are afraid of him. And Mobet said as he puffed smoke rings, in the wearing era, he was publicly acknowledged as one of the angels most likely to become a deity. Warring era? Leonard asked curiously. Mobet looked at the slowly burning cigarette in his hand and said, this isn't thrilling enough, huh? The Warring Era refers to the time after the Cataclysm ended to the point when the Empire was established. So between the Cataclysm and the Empire's establishment. It lasted about 112 years. I'm choking on my saliva. Azara's family, first angel, perished in the Warring Era. Thankfully, we were at war for 112 years. Thankfully, we were held by his majesty before he became a god, thus we didn't lose the Beyonder characteristic. Who did it? Leonard immediately asked. Mobet shook his head. I'm not sequenced for it yet, so there are many things I'm not qualified to know. Let's talk about Duke Bethel Abraham. I actually don't really know much about him, but I was very interested in the family and the Beyonder pathway they control. It's said that the apprentice can't wander the cosmos once they reach sequence 2. That sounds hype. There are also rumors that it's at sequence 3. Cosmos. Cosmos. What a coincidence. Cosmos. Klein's pupils dilated slightly as he became more focused. At this moment, Mobet continued. They left behind lots of information regarding the cosmos, recording many interesting things. Unfortunately, I never managed to borrow them. However, I heard of the 3 laws that they concluded for the wandering of the cosmos. First, don't respond to any calls. Second, don't be reckless and approach unknown creatures or buildings. Third, endure loneliness. It sounds like the cosmos is vast and dangerous. I wonder if the current Abraham family still has a travel notes related to the cosmos. I'll get Miss Magician to ask in the future. When Klein's gaze swept over, it happened to cross over Miss Justice's gaze that was directed at him. They immediately realized that the other party had also thought of Miss Magician. Leonard Leonard did the same. He nodded slightly and asked about other matters. During this process, the dream changed with Mobet's memories. Following that, they saw the appearance of Medici, Ouroboros, and the other high-level figures. Of course, as Mobet had few interactions with the Black Emperor and Bethel Abraham and didn't dare to look at them head-on, of the impression of them was a blur. Towards the end, Audrey grabbed both Klein and Leonard's arms and jumped into Sayadis' dream. This elven songster was standing in the garden, holding her stomach and frowning at Mobet. Can you steal the fetus in my stomach and stuff it into your body? What the fuck? It can be done, but even if it's stuffed into my body, I won't be able to give birth to him, Mobet replied fearfully. Sayadis thought seriously and said, then steal the corresponding organs that are needed? What? If it's just that simple act of theft, then it might still succeed, but for what follows after, I'll be at my wit's end. This is beyond my capabilities, Mobet said. Wait, what? What? You can do that? You can do that as a Beyonder? The conversation between the human and elf left the trio dumbfounded. After a few seconds, Archie suggested, why don't I do it this time? All right, let's keep reading. Chapter 1066 is called, are you guys ready? Familiar Names. Upon hearing Miss Justice's suggestion, Klein thought for a moment and said, oh, my nose is getting congested. Guide the dream towards matters in composing the second epoch history. The Queen of Calamity coined him elf habits in the most ancient language of the elves, as well as the legendary Western content. All right, Audrey's eyes moved slightly. Oh, my nose. Revealing. Oh, what is this weird pressure? Revealing. Oh, give me a sec. Okay. We're feeling better. Then she walked to the elven songster side. Under her guidance, Mobet figure in the garden rapidly blurred as she vanished from Sayadis' dream. The ripples in Audrey's green eyes stirred once again as her lips quivered, as though she was reciting something. The entire dream world began to shake as the garden was like a reflection of a lake that was smashed into pieces by an invisible stone that flew over from nowhere. These fragments quickly gathered, but the scenes that were restored was no longer a garden, but that of a palace made of coral, a coral palace. The land of the free, except healthcare. That ain't free. Bullshit, man. These fragments quickly gathered. So expensive. These fragments quickly gathered, but the scene in it was restored with no longer a garden, but that of a palace made of coral. Every detail in the palace was abnormally gorgeous. The entire structure was tall and majestic, but due to the layers of the blue seawater, the sky couldn't be seen, making it appear dark and gloomy. Inside it, coral pillars propped up an exaggerated dome, and the walls at the top of it were filled with terrifying murals and storms. Above the mirrors and corals, silver boats of lightning followed a certain trajectory as if they were alive. Finally, they converged at the 9 steps and were inlaid with pearls, diamonds, and emeralds and turquoise. Oh, that looks cool. Sayadis was standing there with many elves standing opposite of her. I don't think we've ever seen this many elves in one place. On the 9 steps, there were just 2 huge chairs that seemed to be formed of purely of lightning. One of them occupied the center, just like the ruler of this place. One of them was on its left, appearing less eye-catching. Sitting on the throne in the middle was a man wearing a simple loose robe. His ears were pointed and his facial features were rather soft and his hair thick. His hair was a mix of black and blue colors. Not only did his facial features look outstanding on their own, they combined together to form an even more handsome face. However, he directly gave one of the tyrannous impressions, and though he wouldn't say a word before picking up the electric spear, leaning on his armrest, and then throwing it, sitting beside him was a beautiful woman with raven black hair. Her hair was tied up into a high bun. Her ears were slightly pointed and her facial features delicate. She had dark brown eyes that were deep as blue as ocean, and in her hands she was playing with a complicated golden wine cup. Oh, it's her. It's the queen, right? Elf King? Not Elf King. Elf Queen. It's the Elf Queen. Without needing Sayadis' introductions, Klein and company couldn't easily determine that this couple was the Elf King, the ancient sun god Sonithrin, and the Elf Queen, Queen of Calamity Kohanim. I remember this. The traitor Armir. That traitor Armir. Suddenly a voice resembling loud thunder boomed, causing the entire palace to shake violently. It made Sayadis and the other attendants lower their heads in fear. This roar came from the ancient god. Armir isn't the name of the giant king. So it's like the giant King Armir from the city of Silver, right? That Armir? Isn't that the name of the giant king? I've recently been drinking red wine named after him. I have to say that its quality is indeed higher than anything else. It's just a little expensive. As Klein listened, he had a random thought. He remembered that the little sun god once said that giant King Armir, Elf King Sonothrin, and sanguine ancestor Lilith, the 3 humanoid ancient gods, were, I forgot this, they were allies? They fought against the opposing camp formed by Dragon of Imagination Ankelwelt, Phoenix Ancestor Gregorans, and the Mutant King Kavastir. As for the Devil Monarch Farbuati and the Annihilation Demonic Wolf Flagera, they were independent beings who wanted to subvert all order and corrupt all living beings. Yes? Elf King has aura? Fucking big-ass aura. So the alliance of the 3 humanoid ancient gods eventually collapsed. Klein, I wonder why it collapsed. I can't piece that together right now. So the alliance of the 3 humanoid ancient gods eventually collapsed. Klein drained her thoughts of water for the subsequent changes in his dream. Due to Derek's existence, Audrey wasn't unfamiliar with the history of the Second Epoch. Without any hesitation, she directly made Cyatus' dream continue in its development. Despite the terrifying roar, Kring of the Calamity, Kohanim, wasn't affected at all. With a cold expression, she calmly said, "Wasn't this already long confirmed? His reputation is exactly opposite of his physical build." At that moment, the ancient god Sonithrin had already been enveloped by the bolts of lightning. He said in a thunderous voice, "I thought that after centuries, he would understand the global situation even more. I've overestimated his intelligence. If he didn't sell out Lilith back then, how could she have perished?" The sanguine ancestor Lilith perished so early. Klein's eyelids twitched as he quickly focused his attention. After Elf King finished roaring, Queen of Calamity Kohanim maintained her previous posture and said, "That's not a bad thing. At the very least, Kavastir and Flagera were dragged into the grave together with Lilith. All the deities no longer trust each other. Even if we don't form an alliance, we can rule the ocean, lakes, rivers." Upon hearing these words, spectator Audrey couldn't help but feel alarmed. She had no choice but to use placate on herself. It means that the sanguine ancestor Lilith, Mutant King Kavastir, and the and the Annihilation Demonic Wolf Flagera perish in the battle between the ancient gods. Was that okay? Can we infer that that was during the warring period, or no? That was brought up today. It was perish in the battle between gods. So the betrayal of the giant king Armir and the other ancient gods had nothing to do with the ancient sun god. This is why Lilith didn't fully die and is able to occasionally deliver divine revelation. So it's actually her and not just something that is mimicking her, but it's actually her. Okay, because I remember Klein was speculating if it actually wasn't her and it was something else. And because of this, the Antigonus Mother of the Sky and the Hornicus mountain range managed to survive to the 4th epoch. Klein increasingly believed that the history recorded in the City of Silver had many fabrications or vague records. Thankfully, he hadn't completely digested the bizarre sorcerer potion and didn't need to consider advancing to Scholar Viewer, otherwise the history he used might not be real. So he has to use real history. In ancient times, the sanguine ancestor Lilith and the mutant king Kavastir perished due to the other. The Seguin has been recently working with the Mutant Temperance faction. Time sure is a great magician, huh? If the Moon Emlyn were to know of this, I wonder what kind of expression he would have. The Star Leonard sighed as he thought. As their thoughts raised, the ancient god Sonithrin scoffed and said, "Recently, Armir wanted to work with some secret sects that have sprouted from the humans to deal with us. Apparently, this matter is led by Harvest and Dawn. I'm even thinking of working with Ankelwelt to destroy the giants and the giant king's court. Unfortunately, every time I see the dragon, I have the urge to string it up on a grill. It's a type of attraction that's simply irresistible." Just as he said that, the ancient god suddenly vanished. The entire palace shook violently, causing a rift to appear. All of this had yet to subside when the bolt of lightning flashed. Sonithrin returned to the massive throne, holding a spear made of pure lightning. What a fucking entrance. "You went to the giant king's court," Kong Hanim asked. I taught Armir a lesson." Sonithrin answered without hiding anything. Cyatus and the other elven attendants lowered their heads even further. They faintly saw slippery tentacles that were thicker than their bodies flipping about the ground, flashing with silver bolts of lightning. Then they shut their eyes. Elf King bullying all the other gods is pig. I like how Meg, like, he's bullying and Meg is like, show off. The dream changed, like two sides of the same coin. The dream changed as Cyatus recalled her interaction with other elves. With their conversations and interactions, Klein, Leonard, and Audrey learned that Cyatus lived in a relatively peaceful time period in the Second Epoch. The giant elves, dragons, and devils, and the phoenixes coexisted, splitting up the rule over the northern and southern continent, as well as the 5 seas, vampires, demonic wolves, trents, Trends are the tree creatures, right? Sea monsters and mutants and humans were vassals of different factions occupying low middle classes. This doesn't resemble the history recorded by the church. It's completely different. Yeah, what the fuck? This doesn't resemble the history recorded by the church. Even the legends of the City of Silver aren't like this. Leonard sighed when he heard that. Old man probably doesn't know this much. I wonder if this is all from the prior fool. Like the prior fool was able to like distort history in some way, or like distort texts. This isn't necessarily true. Klein shook his head indiscriminately. Many existences in the second epoch have survived to the fourth epoch, or even to this very moment. For example, the wisdom angel Leonard asked of a guest. Perhaps Klein didn't give an affirmative answer, as he said with a smile. When you were talking to Mombet, I thought you would make Miss Justice stand further away. Leonard immediately shot a glance at him and yawned. You mentioned that before there was an existence behind me that might have been seen by second blasphemy slate. Then I was conversing with Mobet Zaros. Would she be able to make the connections for me getting to her stand further away? Besides, you also mentioned that back when dealing with all of Amon's avatars in Backland, part of the cleanup operation involves Miss Justice to a Sequence 5 spectator. What she knows is sufficient once she understands the Zaros family matters. The truth is particularly in front of her eyes. In that case, why waste time trying to avoid her? It's troublesome. I might as well get Mr. Fool to be a witness as everyone vows to not divulge each other's secrets. Clyde nodded slightly and said, if you were to get Miss Justice to stand further away, it wouldn't be easy for you to bring the matter or make a vow to keep things a secret. At that moment, Cyathus continued, after the death of the Sanguine ancestor, the annihilation demonic wolf, and the mutant king Sonithrin of their subsidiary gods were killed. While others surrendered to other ancient gods, there were a few who vanished as they hid in the shadows. Having transformed herself into an elf, Audrey immediately asked, who surrendered to who? Who died? Who surrendered to who? Who died? Cyathus recalled and said, I've never even seen it before. The Sanguine's goddess of Sanguine's goddess of life and the mutant king's god of war were killed. No one even remembers their names. The annihilation demonic wolf's god of the dead. The annihilation demonic wolf's god of the dead, Salinger, came under the Phoenix ancestor. The Sanguine's goddess of beauty, Arnia, came under us. Oh my god, there's so many fucking gods going on right now. Wait, it's getting hard to keep track of this now. Oh, it's hitting. Wait. Lord, I'm getting lore overlord right now. I'm being overstimulated with lore right now. Holy shit. I am way too overstimulated right now. This is like an overload, not overlord. Not the anime. This is lore overload. Came under us, the mutant king's god of the spiritual creatures told. Oh my god, why are there so many names happening at once? Why are we getting such a big drop right now? Spiritual creatures told I cannot pronounce his name. Told Zana an annihilation demonic wolf goddess. There's another demonic wolf goddess of misfortune. Wait, didn't demonic wolf Flagera split itself into two parts? Salinger, it's Azik's dad. Is it? God of Death? Wouldn't it be God of Death? Wouldn't that make more sense? Annihilation demonic wolf's god of... Oh, it's right here. Saline... I'm trying to be careful. If I say in... If I mispronounce the IN, it's like I'm saying something else. I'm trying to be very careful. Demonic wolf god of the dead, Salinger, came under the Phoenix ancestor. The Sanguine's goddess of beauty, Arnia, came under us. The mutant king's god of spiritual creatures, Tozana, and annihilation demonic wolf's god of misfortune, Amanisis, vanished. Oh my god, man. Oh my god, I'm being overstimulated. Yo, thank you, Meet Your Doom. Awesome. Damn, you got far. You're getting there quickly, dude. You're progressing fast. Salinger, Olnia, these two names made Klein's forehead twitch. His head is only twitching. My head is throbbing. He instinctively used his clown powers to maintain his facial expression. Arnia was the Blood Moon Queen. Arnia was the Blood Moon Queen, the wife of the fourth epoch emperor, the empress of the Turnacid. Oh my god. The empress of the Turnacid Empire. As for Salinger, he was the founder of the Balam Empire, the emperor of the underworld, Death. Wait, I thought the emperor of the underworld was Phoenix Gregorens. Wait, Phoenix Gregorens was the one that created the underworld. Or no, wait, did he create hell? Wait, Salinger. So this is before Death was the founder of the Balan Empire, the emperor of the underworld, Death. Oh wait, no, this is Death. I have too much time on my. Wait, so this is Death. So wait, Azik's dad is Death. This isn't like his grandpa. Like this, Death is Salinger. That's his full name. Gregorens died. This is before. Oh wait, you're right. It was said before Gregorens was killed. Oh my god. Overload, man. Lore overlord. Oh my god. Now, wait, there's different versions of histories. Now we're reading the Elven version of history. Oh my god, I need a breather. Okay. Next chapter. 1067. After the Phoenix Salinger became deaf. After the... Oh, yeah, ancient ancestor Gregorens. Or Phoenix. Ancient ancestor Phoenix Gregorus died. And then deaf. Okay. That was basically, so Death was the, yes, Death was related to the, okay, that would make sense. Death related to the Balam Empire. Balam Empire believes in Death. They worship Death. They believe in Death. Okay, that checks out. That checks out. Next chapter, 1067. It's called the, I feel like my veins are popping out right now. Brain fried. Look, my veins are popping out right now. Oh my God. The Elven version of history. Chapter 167 is called, I was going to say 167 again, 1067. It's called the Elven version of history. The second epoch's subsidiary gods truly are hidden powers. There are dragons of wisdom, Hera Bergen, and there's god of the dead, Salinger. They were all powerful figures that even reached the throne of Sequin Zero. Of course, I can't be sure about the dragon of wisdom. It's just quite possible. Let me read this again. About the Dragon of Wisdom, it's just quite possible. Yes, and there's the God of Dawn. If it worsens, go see a doctor. Yeah, it's weird, man. I don't know why my nose is doing this right now. It's starting to, like, frustrate. It's not, like, hurting me, but it is starting to, like, slowly bother me. It's like it builds up, but then once you put pressure, it goes away. It's just weird. I don't know. I'm gonna give it, like, another day or two. Yes, and there's the God of Dawn, Badhil, and the Goddess of Harvest, Omebella. I haven't heard that name in a while. I can't rule out the possibility that they have lived for quite a while and we're all the way in the 5th epoch. I wonder if the God of spiritual creatures, Tolzana, and the Goddess of misfortune, Amanis, managed to evade the authority of retrieval of operations by the City of Silver Crater at the end of the 2nd epoch. If they managed to escape the fate, what roles did they play in the 3rd or 4th epoch? After a moment of shock, Klein began thinking cogently. Thinking back to the betrayal of the Kings of Angel in the 3rd epoch, he couldn't help but lampoon. You have to be careful of fire, theft, and subsidiary gods. At that moment, Audrey, who didn't know much about the subsidiary gods' true names or authorities, didn't show any perturbations in her emotions. She acted as different female elvens and Sciatis' memories as she constantly talked to her about her experiences and things she knew about the 2nd epoch. According to Sciatis, in the history of the elves, there was no concept of the 1st epoch or 2nd epoch. It was just one big era. In the beginning of the years that were unknown to her, it was chaotic, dark, and crazy. Oh, like the City of Silver. Crazy. And it didn't leave behind any text. After the supernatural races obtained a certain level of intelligence, had their own languages, creatures finally had some knowledge of history. In that era, ancient gods appeared one after another in the sky, the land, and sea, and the underground world slowly changed from disorderliness to orderliness. However, other than the tyrannical and crazy ancient gods, no one knew how many years this stage lasted. She just knew that very, very long ago, it was referred to by the major supernatural races as the Sprouting Era. The Sprouting Era. So the 1st and 2nd epoch were referred to as the Sprouting Era between the elves and other creatures. Bro, I had an ear infection so bad I had more for my deaf ear than my working ear. Oh, that's scary, dude. I haven't been at that point, but I've had an ear infection in the past where I've had to use eardrops, but I've never had it like at that point. After the Sprouting Era was the early era of fire, in which the 8 ancient gods fought against each other in different camps. This was also a long time before Syatis' birth, so she could only understand this from the Elven historical records, that it was a time when quasi-human fought non-humans, resisting the corruption and intrusion from the devils and demonic wolves. Amongst them, the humanoids were the giant elves Sanguine as well as their slaves. The early era of fire lasted different periods of time according to different records. However, a common point was that it lasted less than 1,000 years. As the essence of the ancient god was madness, tyranny, cruel, and cold, they were often driven by their... You guys can't see the chapter, right? No, we're good. They were often driven by their instinct. After the Sanguine ancestor lived, mutant King Kavastir and annihilation... Oh my god. Lore overload. Mutant King Kavastir and Annihilation Demonic Wolf Flagera perished during the betrayal. The early year of fire ended and the war broke out. The world was damaged and it didn't stop for centuries due to the fact that the giants and dragons were relatively strong, and in this period of time, they were known as the Dual Era. By the time the 5 races formed the new balance of powers, the northern continent, the southern continent, the east... the east continent, and the 5 seas had received some level of peace. Oh my god, look. So after the Fire Nation attacked, we entered a era of prosperity and peace. This was when Syatis was born and had grown up in it until she encountered Grizel's travels. In the history that she had described, there were 2 important points. First of all, it proves that the existence of the East Continent and a place where the Giant King's court was. Oh yeah, the Eastern continent. And if there's an Eastern, there's probably Western. Second, after the sprouting era, the supernatural races had their own kinds of civilization. They weren't completely irrational, and their descendants believed them to be. Now, of course, the inclination towards tyranny, cruelty, and coldness and slaughtering still existed, as though they were all in a half state of losing control. It was only after the dual era and their new generation of elves and giants gained some level of rationality. They had feelings like Syatis and Grizel. The East continent seemed to be from the forsaken lands of the gods. It was abandoned during the cataclysm. Similar thoughts surfaced in Klein and Lenard's and Audrey's mind. They were very interested in this, but it was a pity that Syatis had always lived in the Elf King's court. Their occasional forays outside were limited to a parades at sea. She had never been to the East continent, so she lacked the required knowledge. Under Audrey's influence, Syatis' dream began to show traditions and language of the elves. Don't worry, I'm taking notes. Thank you, D. Oh my god. I know it's a while before I organize and categorize it or like start skimming through everything again, but thank you. According to the legends of the Queen's attendants had heard of, Elvish was created by the king in the sprouting era. Every word was produced with a birth of a wait, what? Every word was produced with the birth of a first generation elf? Every word was produced with the birth of a first generation elf. So when a first generation elf was born, a word was produced. The number of elvish words meant the number of first generation elves. Oh, that is cool. However, the tradition of the elves weren't too unified. They relied heavily on their surroundings. The elves in the forests and the seas were undoubtedly different in all kinds of customs. What they shared in common was that they believed in the king, who was an ancient god, and his queen. They liked to make food with the blood of their prey. Many of them had culinary methods such as roasting. Oh, okay. Even sea elves often came to the reefs for a bonfire party. They were close to the nature and were good at using all kinds of spices. They idolized the strong, and they were proud of being quick to act before thinking. With myths and reality mixed together, it's hard to tell what's real and what's fake. Their traditions have distorted my previous theories. Klein listened with a stoic expression as he quickly analyzed every word Syatis said. After figuring out the relevant matters, Audrey circled around the key words of the West Continent and made Syatis' dream change. It reflected some of her subconscious memories. The Coral Palace appeared before Klein and company again. Syatis followed behind Queen of Calamity, Kohanim, and walked to a crystal window. She glanced at Queen's exquisite and complicated dress, and she stole a glance at the deity who controlled calamities. She asked curiously, "Your Highness, are you..." Oh, he's also looking west, like Roselle did. People are crashing on Discord. Bro, I had ear... Wait, what happened? What happened? Why are we crashing out? What happened? What happened? I hope we're good. Your Highness, are you also looking west? To the elves, as long as they didn't feel the pressure of violence, they would ask questions on the spot. Why do you think so? Kohanim didn't turn back as she asked with an indifferent expression. I just learned of a legend that our elves originated from Western continent. Syatis replied, Your Highness, does the Western continent really exist? Wait. The Western continent was a city of silver. And that was absorbed from the abyss. Oh, it like they. Oh, so something was able to like completely absorb an entire continent, and that's where the elves originated from, and that ended up becoming the city of Silver. Oh, the fuck! I don't. What's going on in Discord server, Mick? Oh shit. We should. We'll go in with the judge hammer later. Like order. Is it really where the first generation elves were born? Kohanim lips curled slightly as she said with a slightly ethereal voice, the western continent may exist, but it may not exist either. Every race needs to give themselves an illustrious origin, a home for the mind. Syatis, where is your home to you? My home. Syatis repeated the question as she replied blankly, it's where his majesty and your highnesses are. It's the place that can lead to the forest where my parents live. I'm going to raise the volume. Raise the volume a little bit more. As she said this, Syatis' emotions gradually turned heavy, lost and melancholic. It was obvious that she was influenced by her subconscious and corresponding memories. She had entered Grizel's travels and had been away from home for more than 2,000 to 3,000. I forgot how long it's been. 3,000 years. First time I'm streaming. Yo, what's up, Daniel? Welcome. More than 3,000 years. I hope you enjoy the stream, dude. Therefore, to elves like you, the western continent doesn't exist, but to some elves, it definitely exists. Queen of Calamity, Kohanim calmly gave her final answer. Syatis didn't ask further because she suddenly remembered that the queen was a first-generation elf. Such a response made Klein increasingly confused and puzzled. Thankfully, for the second epoch to the fifth epoch, the western continent had zero presence, so it didn't have any important secrets related to him. He was just trying to find out more about it and hadn't held out much hope. After ending the guiding Syatis' subconscious, and since it was almost noon without any other nearby dreams, they could leap into Audrey, left with Klein and Leonard, and they appeared in Mobet and Syatis' bedroom. Okay, now they're back where they started. Looking at the fourth epoch Viscount, whose body had been tightly bound by the elf, Audrey's expression suddenly turned gentle as she said to the left, they seem to be doing pretty well. They're like, oh, they look beautiful together. No, it's terrifying to have such a violent, direct, and imaginative wife who dares to take action. Only a person like Mobet would like and enjoy being with her. Fucking Leonard, who didn't have a poet's talent but had the liberal inclinations of a poet, shook his head as he kept handing in his pockets. At this point, he muttered and thought, on the contrary, it's true that an experienced thief needs a woman like Syatis to rein him in. I wonder what kind of members of the opposite sex old man's other family members like. Yeah, it's funny when I cry. Well, hopefully we don't cry in this stream, Daniel. Hopefully we don't cry for another good while. I hope you enjoy the reacts. So they don't need our envy or objections. This is how they live together. Emperor Rizal once wrote a poem saying, for my love, I'll sacrifice my life. Damn, that's deep. For my love, I'll sacrifice my life. As Klein listened to the discussion, he opened his mouth and closed it again. He didn't tell them that Syatis and Mobet had actually died. It was only when they died that they truly felt their love for one another. The ones living in the book were just copies created by the book world. After leaving the couple's house, the trio headed to Grizel's blacksmith shop. I forget he has a blacksmith shop. Okay. He held to his blacksmith shop. Along the way, when they went past the street, now my nose is itchy. Klein saw Frunzier, who is known as a philosopher. Audrey recognized him to be Loannis at a glance. Is that the soldier from 100 years ago? Audrey slowed down her pace and asked. Klein recalled Frunzier's longing for his hometown, and the ashes had placed in Backland Cemetery. He fell silent for a few seconds before nodding gently. Yes. Oh. Klein recalled Frunzier's longing for his hometown, and then the ashes he had placed in Backland Cemetery. Oh, that's sad, dude. That's sad. Confessing, I enjoy seeing them cry. Sorry, second. Nah, it's all good, dude. Mr. World is feeling a little emotional. He's like a calm river on the surface with a lot of undercurrents and eddies underneath. Audrey nodded indiscriminately and asked, can we enter his dream? I want to get the judge to this disciplinary paladin's potion formula. No problem, Klein replied as he glanced at Leonard. Leonard continued, having his hands in his pockets, but his eyes instantly darkened. Sitting on the bench, Frunzier fell asleep. Right on the heels of that, 3 people appeared in his dream. Now we're in the dream. This was a bustling city with buildings made from wood. Buildings made of wood. The pedestrians who came and went were mostly Loannis, okay? Loannis people from 100 years ago. The black-haired, blue-eyed Frunzier stood outside a house as he looked in without daring to approach. Only when a woman wearing an old, long dress came from the inside did he excitedly go forward and attempted to hug her. His hug went through the woman without them making contact at all. Frunzier stood... Is he like a ghost? Frunzier stood rooted to the ground as he blankly shouted, Mother. Audrey, who wanted to guide the dream, quickly watched the scene. Then she looked around and discovered the iconic clock. The iconic clock, Backland. Audrey pursed her lips and turned her head. She looked at Klein and asked, can they leave the book world? It's been too long. If they leave, they will grow old and die, or even be reduced to dust. Klein's voice was like a serene river. I delivered one of Frontier's items to Backland. This, as a spectator, Audrey acutely sensed the cruel reality behind those words. She couldn't help but raise her hand and look out of the dream, looking at a location where Mobed and Cyatis were. Oh. Leonardo wanted to ask what it was, but after looking around, he maintained his silence. Following that, Audrey seriously guided her dream. Outside of obtaining 2 potion formulas, she made Frontier return home and live happily with her parents, brothers, and sisters. It was a beautiful dream. After leaving Frontier, Klein, Leonard, and Audrey quickly saw Grizel's home. This was the last stop of their exploration. After obtaining information from Grizel's subconscious, they would enter the bookworld sea of collective subconscious and seek out the secrets that might exist in the book. All right, next chapter. Let's keep reading. Chapter 1068 is called Illogical Details. Which one is Grizel? In the dream, Leonard looked ahead blankly. There was a huge bonfire there, and there were more than 10 grayish blue-skinned single-eyed giants who looked no different from each other. To be honest, I wouldn't be able to recognize him without the ability of Faceless. To me, without the age of hairstyle, height, scars, clothes, and maturity, giants all looked the same. Klein mumbled inwardly as he looked calmly at Miss Justice, as though she was saying it should be stump a spectator. As she shouldn't stump a spectator, Audrey raised her hand and pointed at a giant who was gulping down alcohol. From time to time, he would shout twice to express his approval. That's Grizel. It looks like in the traditions of the giants, clapping isn't a... Oh, we gotta meet Grizel again. Clapping isn't a sign of affirmation and praise. Instead, it's a roar. The loudest of the roar, the highest of the level of the praise. Miss Justice is acting like a folk scholar now. Thankfully, he's only shouting and not singing. If not, the noise would be worse. It's obvious that the giants here aren't adept at modulating their voices. The roar from before didn't have any rhythm to it. Klein nodded and said to Audrey, begin guiding him in. As Audrey went forward and Leonard stepped back, he raised his right hand and stroked his chin. Tell me in the second epoch which supernatural race wieldly possessed the beyond characteristics of the Evernight pathway. Isn't it the demonic wolves? Klein glanced at Leonard, wondering if the poet had contracted the traditions of the disease of the Nighthawks having a bad memory. I know. As I'm saying I know, am I recording? Yes, I am recording. I know Leonardo maintained his original posture as he said with a strange expression. Then how do you act as a midnight poet? Or should I say that the potion's name back then was called Midnight Roarer? Midnight Poet was called Midnight Roarer. There wasn't a potion name at the beginning. Klein's thoughts were accidentally led astray by Leonard. The scene of such fellows crouching on the ground and howling at the moon surfaced in his mind. He couldn't help but mutter, this might be more suitable for you. There's no need to write poems, making it very easy. The corners of Leonard's mouth twitched as he said, there are different types of poets. I'm a singing type. As the two idly chatted, roar, sing. Okay, I see that. As the two idly chatted, Audrey guidance attempt gradually pushed through. Grizel's dream began showing the waning forest, barren tunnel, the corner of the Giant King's court, Dawn Town, and the Nation of the Gold. Nation of Gold. Grizel wasn't a subordinate of the deities like the Giant King, and he was only able to occasionally say the high-level existences while on duty, and the waning forest were in the particular spots of the Giant King's court and passageway. Furthermore, he didn't dare look at them heading on, receiving them while genuflecting and having his head bowed. Therefore, he wasn't able to present the images of the Giant King Armir, Giant Queen Umbella, and the eldest son of the Giant King of the Dawn, Badhiel. They only appeared as portraits. Because they are wolves, so they would roar at the moon instead of reciting poem. Oh, roar. Oh, like a howl. Okay, the roaring is throwing me off. So it's like howling. Okay, so it's like midnight howling. Like you're howling at midnight. What's at midnight? The moon. Okay, I see the similarities. I can see Leonard as a cub. A pup, I mean. Okay, you know what? I see the connection now. Oh, that's fucking cool. What the fuck? They only appeared at... Oh, wait. I didn't even piece that together. Thank you. Similarly, Grizel knew very few secrets. His grasp of history and the situation in the world was completely incomparable to Elven songs or Cyatis. However, an interesting point was that in the Giant King's court and the Giant King, the traitor was synonymous with the Son of Threne. They claimed that his abandoning of the alliance had resulted in the sanguine ancestor Lilith's death. His abandoning of the alliance. So if they had the alliance together, then she wouldn't have died. Ah, a narcissistic pup. Yes, a very narcissistic pup, to be fair. Klein strongly suspected that because of his bad temper, Stone the Thring was obviously not good at such things. The Queen of Calamity seems capable of the problems is what she plots is extremely hard to hide from her spouse. A true ancient god, Stone the Thring, and conscious of the Giant King's court, Armir being the traitor makes more sense. Klein did a rough analysis as Audrey changed the direction of guidance in an attempt to let Grizel present anything he had seen or heard beyond the Giant King's court. It was a pity that shortly after the Giant King left the King court and passed through the Dawn Town, before arriving in the Nation of the Gold, he had obtained the book and entered it. He didn't know much about the styles and appearance of people from different regions. Currently, the most valuable piece of information is how to avoid the front entrance after entering the Giant King's court from Afternoon Town. It's through the waning forest in the Barren Tunnel. Audrey ended up guiding and walked back to Klein and Leonard's side. This is very useful for Little Sun and company's subsequent explorations. Yes, we can tell him at the next gathering. Klein nodded. Just as he was about to suggest that they enter the book world sea of collective subconscious through Grizel's dreams, Audrey suddenly looked back and said in thought, "There's one detail that's illogical." Which detail? Leonard seriously recalled that he had seen and heard. He didn't find anything suspicious, just as Audrey glanced at the world and said, "In a matter regarding how Giant King Armir, father and mother, are buried in the waning forest, the ruling that only the ancient god can enter is illogical." Illogical. Klein didn't notice that there was something wrong with the detail, but after Miss Justice mentioned it, he immediately had some ideas. Which is, he deliberated and said, the father and mother of the Giant King are equivalent to the ancestors of the Giant Kings. Normally speaking, they should be consecrated by the entire race. That's right, regardless of the race, they'll have some level of worship towards their ancestor. The Giants are no exception. From Grizel's dream, the Keepers often make sacrifices to the ancestors outside of the waning forest. Audrey nodded in agreement. If there aren't any other factors or influence, the Giant King should occasionally organize things and make it point to honor that their ancestors instead of making it a rule that only he can enter. Perhaps the waning forest contains immense danger. Aren't the oldest giants crazy, violent, and irrational? After their death, their corpses have corrupted the environment and affected the entire forest. It's not something that can be understood. Leonard gave his opinion. Audrey and Klein shook their heads at the same time, denying the statement. If it's only danger or corruption, Giant Queen Umbella and the god of dawn, Badheal, can clearly withstand it. With the help of the Giant King, there's almost no problem, yet they are also forbidden from entering the waning forest. Oh my god. Overlord over here. With the ancient god by their side, Clyde simply explained his thoughts and guesses. Perhaps what's buried inside isn't Giant Kings or mere parents. It might be another secret. That's more likely the case. Audrey nodded seriously. You can tell I get overwhelmed with this shit. It's illogical. I couldn't even see through the illogical situation. Does that make sense? Like, I get so overwhelmed with lore that I can't even interpret how it's illogical. With the ancient, but you know what? Not even Klein was able to pick that up, so you know what? I don't feel bad. So it's holding another secret. Giant Kings are mere parents. There might be some other secret. That's more likely the case. Audrey nodded seriously. She wore a silver mask and her green eyes darted around slightly, faintly revealing a hint of curiosity. If that's the case, what would a secret that can't be known to his wife, child, subsidiary gods, or fellow members of the same race be? Let me read this part again. If that's the case, what would a secret that can't be known to his wife, children, subsidiary gods, or fellow members of the same race be? That's quite interesting. Leonard smiled as he howled his thoughts to one. It has to be like some crazy-ass origin review. Don't worry, no need to think for peak chapters. D is like, it's okay, bro. You're almost there. He's like, you're almost there. Don't get overwhelmed in in-stream. You're almost there, brother. Keep going. He's like, keep going, dude. After another round of discussion, the three of them made use of the time to enter the Giant King's court. I think I skipped something. If that's the case, what's the secret known by his wife, child, subsidiary gods, or fellow members of the same race be? That's quite interesting. Leonard smiled as he allowed his thoughts to wander. After another round of discussion, the three of them made use of the time to enter the Giant King's court through Barren Tunnel and enter the palace that was frozen amidst the sunset. According to Klein's experience, that was actually the path to the borders of Grizel's dreams. This time, there was no need for him to activate creeping hunger and use the strength of a zombie to open the heavy door to the giant guard's quarters. Audrey directly influenced the dream and made the door flutter open like like a piece of paper. Due to the unshattered crucifix, Klein was unable to wear the human skin glove. Outside the door was a hazy world. There was no longer the scene of the Giant King's court ahead of him, but a cliff. After a brief exchange of the various situations that could occur in the sea of the collective subconscious, Audrey made a staircase appear on the edge of the cliff. The staircase spun around, sinking deeper into the dark, not going up, it's sinking deeper into the dark, hazy, silent, and bottomless mind world. The three of them, I like how before when she first pierced in, she's like, oh, I wonder what's down there, but now she's like creating the staircase and actually going down there. It's cool, man. It's cool seeing her progression. The three of them didn't delay as they stepped onto the staircase and walked down. In this lonely environment that could drive one crazy, Audrey used placate a few times every time they traveled a certain distance. Okay. All right, so she's just casually dropping placate. This wasn't only to placate Klein, Leonard, and herself, but it was also to placate the grayish-white cliff, Grizel's subconscious. It was to prevent him from causing a stir that would contaminate the astral projection and body of heart and mind. The countless rotting giant palms that Klein encountered the last time didn't appear. Even the most unbearable feelings of loneliness, silence, and being infinite didn't feel the terrifying thanks to being able to speak to each other. This is the mind world. The domain of the consciousness is indeed different from the others. Leonard looked around as though he wanted to use a few poems to express his feelings, but he eventually chose to give up. If it were any other mission elsewhere, Klein might have asked his dear poet to remain quiet, but here he felt it was good for him to say something, anything. Audrey didn't reject the exchange, as she said seriously, that's the essence of the environment that we can sense. The cliffs, perceptions, and the hazy world are a reflection of our subconscious. If it were another race, it might not be like that. I now find psychology rather interesting, Leonard said with interest after hearing that. Klein glanced at him and resisted the urge to say that with his personality and habits, he really wasn't suited to the spectator pathway. In this exchange, the three of them lost track of time until they finally stepped onto the solid but hazy grounds. Looking upwards, they could see the undiluting shadows. They overlapped and formed an illusory sea. Klein, Leonard, and Audrey were about to walk forward when a water spout suddenly surged over. A rather blurry figure stood up from him. It was a grayish-blue giant with 6 to 7 meter tall, 21 feet tall. God damn. His chest was covered with dragon scales, and there were all sorts of indescribable patterns, symbols, and labels that went beyond what one would consider a normal language. His single vertical eye? Is it the true creator? No, just a giant. It's a giant. No, wait, it's a giant. My bad. It's not the true creator, it's just a regular giant. His single vertical eye was filled with blood vessels as it emitted violent aura that couldn't be concealed. Its obvious hints of destruction in it gone on a bloody human leg. Ugh. This was a demigod-level giant. He was a projection left in the sea of the collective subconscious. Perhaps it was an actual encounter with a human or some other race's ancestor, or perhaps it was something Grizel and the other giants had heard about. The moment he appeared, the Batness speared towards Klein and company like a plague that couldn't infect them. This was a world that directly came into contact with one's mind and consciousness. No giant also has a single eye. I thought all, like, this, of course, descendants don't have the two eyes, right? But giants should have the one eye because it's a trait, right? As I say that, I'm not being confident. One sec, let's pause, update, and we'll keep reading. All right, chapter, almost said 10,000 again. Chapter 1069. We got, nice. We got 4 more chapters to push through. That little 10-minute break, a little bit of food, you know, I think we're good. I think we're ready. I think we're ready to continue. Chapter 1069 is called Under the Sea. The legged, gawning giant whose vertical eye was filled with blood-red threads wasn't actually real. He was in essence a strong emotion produced by a particular living creature. The emotions that originated from having a deep impression had entered the subconscious. It spread from one's eyelid and consciousness to the surrounding illusionary sea before slowly settling and forming a mark. It was possible for all of its emotions and consciousness to ultimately settle down as the foundation. Most of them would be washed away with the sea water. Only the extremely intense and repeated experiences would remain. And once it formed a mark, it would be a drop of water in the sea, a collective subconscious, which would then affect the living creatures of the same species in its surroundings. It would be shared an ancient memory carved into one's pulse. Therefore, not only was the phantom image of the giant blurry, but it also had many mistakes caused by the subjective aspects of the mind. Normally, it would result in Leonard and Audrey being unable to look straight at it, confusing their spirituality and breaking down their minds. However, the madness that came with it, an extreme sense of horror that stemmed from an unknown person, seemed also real. It could contaminate every living creature's body of heart and mind. Oh, it's like the mental plague. Maybe once you finish book 1, we compile. I do want to do that. I'm definitely doing that. At the end of book 1, we are looking at all artwork, but I'm also down to look at all current artwork right now before. That way we at least do it twice. I'm here, I fell asleep. No, that's right, we just came back. It can contaminate every living creature's body of heart and mind, astral projection, and even soul body. And then when we do finish book 1, we are doing one giant long-ass stream where we do the biggest possible character tier list. We literally rank everybody. Every single person that's been name dropped in the wiki. This was the essence of the danger in the sea of collective subconscious. I have those 2 videos in my mind right now. At least those 2. This was the essence of the danger in the sea of the collective subconscious. It didn't stem from strength, level, and status itself, but from the emotions and feelings that were generated and imprinted there. Of course, if one were to encounter a mark left behind by a high-level creature or deity, they could directly see some type of multiple types of mythical creature forms. However, multiple types of mythical creature forms? What? That sounds dangerous. However, the result was definitely nothing rosy. One would either have the mental breakdown or go crazy. Otherwise, they would be completely contaminated by their deity or high-level creatures' emotions and feelings. Their outcome would ultimately be completely unpredictable. All in all, this sea, a collective subconscious, the style of combat was different from the outside world. Sometimes the most anxious one was at trying to destroy the illusionary figure. The more likely one would be contaminated by their stirring emotions. It was precisely because of this that when Klein saw the 7-8 meter tall grayish blue giant rush over, he immediately took the initiative to control his emotions. Then he used illusion creation. The target of illusion creation was Leonard and Audrey. In the eyes of these 2 Sequence 5 Beyonders, those 2 to 3-story tall giants no longer had the madness and violence that left one trembling from one's heart. Everything seemed normal and ordinary. Therefore, before those extreme feelings could truly contaminate them, Leonard and Audrey remained very calm without showing any emotional fluctuations. Then, with one hand in his pocket, Leonard reached out with his right hand and slightly opened his mouth. Having become a spirit warlock, he originally wanted to use his fist spirit, a tarot banshee, that he had sealed in his tooth with the help of the Archbishop. It was a powerful spirit world creature with a beautiful face and rotting body. It was a powerful spirit world creature with a beautiful face and rotting body. It had a pair of huge eagle wings and was good at draining their consciousness of others, injecting feelings of terror in them. However, he quickly remembered that not only was he in his astral projection form, but he also had been cleansed by the gray fog. How could there be other spirits still on him? Wait, how? If he's being cleansed by the... Is it part of the gray fog? How could there be other spirits still on him? He had no choice but to use Soul Azur's powers, turning his green eyes deep and quiet. The giant show instantly slowed down as if he was soothed. At this moment, Audrey calmly sphered her arms wide and used placate. An invisible wind blew past them, and the giant figure seemed to pause at an instantly weakened and contaminated around it. During this process, Klein took out the bronze cross that had many sharp spikes. As he opened the bottle contained by the blood, he poured a few drops onto the solemnly and said, "Light." I thought he was about to say, "Let there be light." No, he just said, "Light." Brilliant, pure, and flawless light burst out, and amidst Klein's flirting black trench coat, the giant phantom was drowned by the light. The grayish-blue giant melted away almost immediately. One of the main powers of the unshadowed crucifix was to cleanse and purify lingering spiritual imprints. This was the reason why Klein brought this sealed artifact along, and when he used the cross from the ancient sun god, Klein dispelled the illusion, allowing the star Leonard and Justice Audrey to see the true appearance of the giant, to enrich their experiences in such matters. Although it didn't even take a second before the giant phantom was drowned by the endless light, Audrey and Leonard still felt dizzy. An irresistible sense of fear surged from deep within their hearts, and they almost broke down. They broke down? Oh, almost broke down. This state didn't last too long, as Audrey instinctively used placate to calm her emotions before treating Mr. Star and the world's psychological problem one by one. How scary is this giant at the demigod level? When the light dissipated, Audrey looked around inside. In that instant, she had a deep understanding of the sentence, "Do not look directly at God." Yeah, wait. It's their God? It's the giant's God? Do not look directly at God? So this is like a sequence 0 giant. Do not look directly at God. Even at the saint level, the remnant impression a demigod leaves behind in a memory. Oh. Even at the saint level, the remnant impression a demigod leaves behind in a memory can't be seen directly, let alone a real deity. Leonardo was also experienced. He laughed self-deprecating and said, Sequence 4 is indeed a qualitative change in life's natural order. However, that wasn't very scary. It wasn't as intense as when I was facing a pregnant woman. What a callback. It wasn't as intense as when I was facing a pregnant woman. The fucking wording, dude. And the essence of a poet to boast at that time, you can still control yourself, but you were almost on the verge of breaking down just now. However, if Magoose gave birth to that child, you would probably lose control and turn into monsters just by looking at her. As Colin lampooned Leonard, it stirred up some memories as he sighed poignantly. Oh, it's bringing up old memories. Was that pregnant lady a demigod? Audrey asked curiously. No, Leonard shook his head, but she was pregnant with an evil god spawn. Is that so? Audrey didn't ask further. She knew very well that the adventure and exploration hadn't ended, and that was wasting time that wasn't an option. She then looked at German Sparrow, who was wearing a black trench coat, holding a bronze cross and a small metal bottle, and said with a smile, Thank you for affecting our senses. What should we do next? As experienced spectator, it wasn't difficult to determine the fact that she had received Mr. World's help from making the comparison. Klein controlled himself from subconsciously frowning his brows, and he looked around. Doesn't this see a collective subconscious have a core region to it? No, Audrey shook her head seriously. Whenever there are living beings, there's also a subconscious. There's no such thing as someone who's more important and lofty. The illusionary sea won't really stir, and the situations within the different areas will depend on their actual surroundings. We call it precipitating. We call it a precipitating effect. I feel like we're going back in science over here. Precipitating effect. To put it simply, the sea of the selective subconscious of the Loan will be quite different from Intis because it precipitates the strong emotions and feelings of generations of Loaness. In contrast, it would also affect the citizens of both countries, making them have different qualities and personalities to a certain extent. Oh yeah, okay, different regions, different people, different thought processes. Okay. After explaining this a little, Audrey concluded, if that's the case, how can there be a general consensus of a core within the sea of collective subconscious? Oh wait, how is your core? They're all different. Klein nodded and asked thoughtfully, in other words, you can't give any effective suggestions on where to go. Mr. World is so direct, if there was another lady or gentleman with a more fragile heart, they would definitely be embarrassed and feel hurt. As the thought flashed through her mind, Audrey saw the world's pairs of deep brown eyes, which were nearly black in color. They were in no way crazy or cold, and say they were calm and tranquil. This, Audrey instantly came to her realization. She realized that Mr. Wald was doing such things on purpose so that she could experience the various problems with the details of a joint operation, allowing her to gain more experience. Yes, she nodded frankly, not feeling embarrassed at all. Klein secretly nodded and looked at the star Leonard. Don't look at me. Don't fucking look at me, dude. Don't look at me. My expertise isn't in this strange sea of collective subconscious. Leonard immediately waved his hands. Compared to Miss Justice, is raising the volume. Compared to Miss Justice having participated in countless operations, he knew that he shouldn't force it when he shouldn't. Then follow me. Klein looked away and moved to the unshuttered crucifix, which had turned bronze again, to the hand holding the metal bottle, and he took out a gold coin. Ding. As the gold coin tumbled, he grabbed it without looking at the result. He looked in the direction and widened his stride. This is a divination technique. Audrey was enlightened. She looked at the world's serious and calm side profile, black trench coat, silk top hat, and bronze cross. For some reason, she felt like the other party was a preacher. Leonard is a preacher? Or is she talking about Klein? Do not look at Easy Geeky. Olger probably. This is a divination technique. Audrey was enlightened. She felt like the other party was a preacher. Leonard suddenly recalled something from the past. It was the first case he had worked with Klein. Oh man, he's thinking from freaking volume 1. It was the first case he had worked with Klein to find a kidnapped child. At that time, it was also a way for Klein to lead the way through divination. He had been beside him the entire time. Oh, he's reminiscing. Compared to his awkwardness before, it seems as if he had entered the mysterious world for more than 10 years now. So it's only been over a year. Leonard placed his hands in his pockets as he followed closely behind Klein. Audrey glanced at him and felt the change in his mood. Mr. Star and Mr. World not only know each other in real life, but they were probably rather close friends. Yes, they have at least met frequently in the past 1 to 2 years. It's crazy how she's picking up on this stuff. She's probably going to figure out about Klein, and then, no, wait, Klein is the fool. As she made the judgment, she didn't slow down her steps. Combining what she had learned, she observed the surroundings and identified which spots might hide maelstorms and dangerous creatures. With her help, Klein's lead went very smoothly. It was nothing like how they had directly encountered a marked at the giant phantom. Occasionally, they would walk straight and turn at other times. After some time, the area before the trio suddenly opened up. In front of them was a huge crater in the deep sea. In the middle of the pit was an island-sized city. The foundation of the city was grayish-white in color, and on it were several 100-meter-tall, magnificent stone columns. They either stood there of their own, or they held up majestic ancient palaces. Together, they were bizarre and magnificent, unlike something built by ordinary creatures. Although Audrey didn't know the city, an idea instantly appeared in her mind. City of Miracles, Livsied. Okay, so they made it. They made it to the City of Miracles, Livsied. We haven't seen this place in a while. Am I pronouncing it right? Livsied. Audrey slowly figuring things out. Dude, she is literally going to be the only person that figures out who Klein really is. And I think when she figures that out, I think Klein is going to be happy because he finally gets to like just talk to somebody about like his feelings and emotions and like what's happened to him and like how everything has been so unfair up until the ending. I really hope that happens. I really hope Audrey figures it out, because then Klein can like finally speak to somebody and just be honest and not have to like hide anything. That being said, chapter 1070. This is going to be the last chapter. I'm kidding. 72 is the last chapter. I know. Chapter 1070 is called Maybe It's Real. The One Piece is real. Livsied was a floating city that the dragon imagination Ankelwold imagined out of thin air. It's crazy how he just imagined that out of thin air. Livsied was a floating city that the dragon imagination Ankelwold imagined out of thin air. No matter what it was, a miracle, a divine miracle. It was even more magnificent than the Giant King's court, more rugged and unique. Every stone pillar was nearly 100 meters tall, like a throne of the dragon to rest on. It was a city that left a deep, unforgettable impression just from hearing about it. Therefore, although Audrey had never actually seen the City of Miracles, she instantly made the connections from witnessing the scene. Of course, one of the main reasons for knowing that was because she knew that Grizel's travels came from the dragon of imagination, Ankelwold. As for Klein, as he once divined the origins of Grizel's travels and had seen the real City of Miracles, the floating city, and now he was sure that the island-sized city in the middle of the deep sea crater was identical to Livsied. So it's the same thing. It was identical to Livsied. All of it lacked were the dragons that flew in every direction. This is real, but the cake is a lie? Oh, you mean the cake from volume 1? Is this real, or is it a clone, or is it a gathering of some special creature's subconscious in the book world? Klein was slightly surprised as he quickly analyzed the situation. No, it'd be the same thing, or it could be like a project. No, it's the same thing. According to his divination results and the contents of the dream from the giant garden, Grizel and Elven songs or sciatises, he was certain that when Grizel Travels was created, the City of Miracles, Livsied, still existed. When it reached the Giant King's court, the City of Miracles, Livsied, still existed. When Grizel began his adventure, and when Sciatis was sucked into the book world, Livsied still existed. In the City of Miracles, Livsied were to vanish, the various supernatural races wouldn't have any reaction. In other words, these facts were unable proof that the city in the middle of the deep sea crater was unlikely to be Livsied. But very quickly, Klein remembered something. Was that a Portal 2 reference? City of Miracles, Livsied? That was the answer Rhodes had once given him, certain that it first appeared among the dragons after the appearance of the City of Miracles, Livsied. This is interesting. What did the magic mirror rely on to confirm that Grizel's Travels was the first to appear, and believe that it was after the disappearance of the City of Miracles, Livsied? Wait. Okay. Oh, overload again. What did the magic mirror rely on to confirm that Grizel's Travels was the first to appear, and to believe that it was after, and that it was after the disappearance after the City of Miracles, Livsied? So we need. How did he confirm those two things? It wasn't even able to see matters related to Zaratul. So how could it pry into the origins of an ancient god's possession? I originally used this conclusion to infer and consider things, but this point was completely overturned by my divination. I never expected Klein to observe the tall stone columns and magnificent city as many thoughts ran through his mind. Suddenly, he grasped onto an idea. The last owner of Grizel's travel was Vice Admiral Iceberg Edwina, a member of the Church of Knowledge. They believe in the God of Knowledge and Wisdom. The God of Knowledge and Wisdom can almost be confirmed to be one of the kings of angels. The god of combat and not... I forgot about that. Yes, he's the king of angels. The god of combat and knowledge can almost be confirmed to be one of the king of angels who served the ancient sun god, the angel of wisdom. And from the church's history and the history of the third epoch... Oh my god, there's so much lore. It's reasonable to suspect that the angel of wisdom is most likely the dragon of wisdom, Hera Bergen. This was a dragon of imagination, Ankelwold subset... So the under one. Subsidiary god, a high-level member of the dragons. Oh my god. I have never read anything this in-depth, man. Like, holy shit. This, the appearance of Grizel's travels after the disappearance of the City of Miracles, was thanks to the god of knowledge and wisdom, passing it around through a certain method which had convinced the magic mirror. If he really is a dragon of wisdom, it means that he was directly involved and his level was already high back then. His understanding of this matter definitely trumps the Grizels and Cyaduses, but how do I explain the scene I divined above the Great Fog? Just recalling it now makes my head ache. What I saw was definitely the ancient god, Dragon of Imagination himself. Klein cheered up when he managed to string up all these matters together, but he also fell into a state of puzzlement. He tossed the gold coin continuously and quickly came up with some theories. Since the City of Miracles Livcied was imagined, couldn't it just be imagined? Again, after it disappeared, the original Livcied was stuffed into the book of the Dragon King Ankelwelt. Then the one that subsequently existed one, he managed again. I read that wrong. This could fool all the dragons, but not the one that was known from being intelligent. If this were true, then there were actually two instances of the City of Miracles, Livcied. The one here is the oldest one, but here comes the question. Give me the question. Why didn't Dragon of Wisdom enter the book himself? Even if he wasn't a spectator, with his title of being omniscient and omnipotent, he should have enough powers to perform a deeper exploration. He has actually been here a long time ago, but didn't alert any living beings in the book. Also, because of certain motives, he left the City of Miracles here. As thoughts surfaced, he just left the City of Miracles here. As thoughts surfaced in Klein's mind, the star Leonard, who had both hands in his pockets, looked at him and then Miss Justice, who had also been looking down in silence for a long period of time. He took the initiative to speak and break the silence. The city is grand and magnificent. It clearly doesn't belong to humans or humanoid creatures, but there's no need to stare at it for so long. You're not an architect after all. Klein gathered his thoughts and glanced at Leonard. This might very well be the Dragon of Imagination, Ankelwelt's City of Miracles Livcied. In a sense, it's the divine kingdom of an ancient god. Of course, if there was really another Livcied, the nature of the divine kingdom here didn't hold much importance. Divine kingdom, Leonard's pupils dilated as he repeated the keyword. Audrey regained her senses and whispered, "Is it really Livcied?" We have some nice lore. We have a lot of lore reveals. It's possible Klein had already calmed down and replied simply, "It's not floating in the air like the legends, but it's sunken to the bottom of the sea of collectus." It's not floating in the air like the legends, but has sunken to the bottom of the... Oh, it's all the way at the bottom. But it has sunken all the way to the bottom of the sea collectus of conscience, so it's hard to tell if it's real or fake. And now you can't tell. Okay, you can't tell from real or not. At this moment, Leonard finally managed to control himself. He looked at the magnificent city in the deep sea crater again and smiled self-deprecatingly. I didn't expect the day when all come to the divine kingdom of an ancient god. I mean, okay, not yet. We're going to find a few more, dude. I already know we're going to find a few more towards the end. Frankly, if Miss Justice wasn't here, he wouldn't have been able to help but marvel at how rich Klein's life was. Ever since he reunited with his former teammate, not only did he meet the two sons of gods, kings of angels, he had also entered the mysterious space book world and found a city suspected to be a divine kingdom. Hold up. Do you guys hear the music? Oh, yeah. Divine kingdom. Okay, so you guys can't hear the music. I almost lost some space. This was many times more interesting than what he had experienced in the past year. The level of such matters was many times higher. Of course, it was a lot more dangerous. Having said that, he looked at the floating seawater phantoms and asked thoughtfully, "How do you know if the sea of collective subconscious is really or if it's imagined?" This was a continuation of the problem of determining Livcied's authenticity. Audrey thought for a while and said with uncertainty, "There's no way to tell the difference, or rather the sea of collective subconscious here is also real. In essence, collective subconscious is also the accumulation and setting of strong emotions and feelings. All the people in this world may be imaginary, their experiences, feelings, joys, anger, sadness, pain, and happiness that are all truly happened before. Prepare a nice upbeat music for the next chapter. Bet. All right, bet. As she spoke, Audrey stopped as she vaguely realized something, but she was unable to say it out loud. Wait. At this moment, Klein suddenly said, "The object that he can imagine will be conjured. The kingdom he dreams of will surely descend upon the physical world." And his physical echoed. Klein put the gold coin in his hand and jumped into the deep sea crater. his black trench coat flaring up as a result. The feature that he declared would definitely be carried out, becoming reality. As the figure glided down, the following words came out. Audrey's green eyes were dazed as first before they lit up. Then she jumped towards the City of Miracles. Aren't you going to divine the level of danger? This might be the divine kingdom of an ancient god. Leonardo looked at the two of them in surprise and blurted out. In the education he'd received, this wasn't in line with the standard of operating procedures. When did you get the wrong impression that I didn't divine it? You just didn't notice my tiny actions. I just put away the gold coin. Also, I didn't get any warnings from my intuition for danger. Furthermore, my theory is right. The dragon of wisdom, Hera Bergen, like Burgundy. Hera Bergen, I almost said Burgundy. Hera Bergen should have entered this place before. If there's any form of danger that will rear its head, it would have been long before finishing off by him. If Miss Justice wasn't here, I'd really wish to berate you. As Klein silently lampooned, he adjusted his direction. Instead of passing through a few thick stone columns that stood nearly 100 meters tall, he descended one level after another before stepping onto the grayish-white ground. He was in a spirit body state now and could fly if he wanted to. About 2 to 3 seconds later, the silver masked Justice Audrey landed beside him. Audrey looked up, and after reeling from a few seconds of shock due to the grandeur of the stone column in place, she said, "Looking from inside and looking from a distance feels completely different. Perhaps this is how a rat truly feels in Backland." Smooth jazz music. As she spoke, Leonard also glided over and looked sideways at Klein. It wasn't that he didn't believe in Klein, nor was he unaware of how cautious he was. He just needed to clarify such matters in a joint operation because there was a possibility of teammates being unknowingly corrupted, turning reckless. This was the conclusion of the knights gleaned from their experiences of repeated sacrifices. Currently, the indications don't point to much danger, Klein said truthfully. Leonardo no longer looked around and said, "The City of Miracles is really big. I mean that for such a big city, even if we can fly, we won't be able to completely explore it without spending a few days here. Or perhaps do you have a destination in mind?" The second half of this sentence was said while looking at Klein. Klein nodded at the point to a huge palace that was more than 200 meters tall. There, if I remember correctly, that is the Dragon of Imagination Ankelwald's residence. Oh, I got some Persona music. This was what he saw in a dream divination. Seeing that Klein already had a plan, as if he had received Mr. Fool's guidance, Leonard felt relieved. He looked at the grayish-white foundation on his feet and said, "Is this a divine kingdom? I don't feel anything." At this moment, Audrey, who was observing the surroundings, carefully said with uncertainty, "All of the abnormalities here seem to be gathering towards this place." She was referring to the place that Klein had pointed to out of the ancient god's residence. Oh. All right. Hall of Truth. That sounds scary. Next chapter. We're reading Hall of Truth. This is either referencing a giant heart in Livcien, or we're talking about Audrey because she's Audrey Hart. Let's start. Let's fucking start. You guys tell me how this song sounds for you guys. I'm gonna raise it on my end, but I'm gonna lower it for you guys. If this song doesn't fit, we might change it. Let's go. Let's fucking go. You guys are scaring me right now. I'm not even gonna lie. All right, Hall of the Truth, chapter 1071. In the front, you know what? No, I'm not gonna change music. I'm gonna just leave how we've kind of just had music this whole time. Hall of Truth. That way, I'm in the right headspace. That way I'm in the same headspace. Hall of Truth in front of the grayish white. Yay! I clicked on the best part. In front of the grayish-white grand palace that was more than 200 meters tall, there were a few thick stone columns that were slightly shorter than this. It was as though there was a squadron of soldiers standing at attention there. Klein could imagine that when the City of Miracles, Livcien, was still floating in midair, these stone columns would definitely have powerful dragons crouching on them. The music isn't the best. We'll change it. We'll change it. We'll change it. This song is called Mystery, if that fits. These were the servants of the ancient god. Wait, okay, I know what to play. I don't think we have ever played upbeat music on Lord of Mysteries. I'm pretty sure. You guys are telling me to get jazzy music up. What the fuck? Where are we at right now? I don't know, man, but we're going to have to start playing jazzy music at some point. I don't know, dude. We'll find out right now. That's so weird. Lumiere's good for this? All right, let's just play Lumiere. I trust you. I trust you, Richie. Lumiere. It's so weird. Upbeat? What's up? I don't know, man. They want me to play jazz, upbeat music, Wiz. We've never done that. I literally don't know. Play upbeat music? This is upbeat. This is upbeat. At this moment, I skipped a lot. Just read this. Klein could only imagine when City of Miracles Live Seed was still floating in midair. These stone columns would definitely have powerful dragons crouching on them. These were the servants of the ancient god. He then looked up and opened a door and said to Leonard and Audrey, "Stay close to me. Once an accident happens, I'll immediately take you out of the book and world and return directly above the Great Fog." This was the main reason why Klein dared to explore the area. Okay, Audrey and Leonard didn't try putting on a brave front as they walked to Klein's side and walked alongside him. Relying on the spirit body's flight ability, the trio passed the stairs and entered the palace through the exaggerated, magnificent door. The first thing they saw was a wide space that was enough for multiple dragons to roll around freely, as well as an ancient stone pillar that seemed to prop up the sky. On the two sides of the hall, there were colorful and beautiful mirrors. They kept extending forward and intertwining themselves with a huge pillar. Wow, it's a long chapter. I can see it's a little bit longer than the other ones. Huge pillar that was multiple arms span wide. The giant pillar was in the deepest recesses of the hall, right ahead of them. Without relying on anything else, just the pillar alone was enough to make people feel a strong sense of fear and making them experience the vicissitudes of time. It was like a fossilized deity. I said that wrong. I'm sorry. Also, instantly, a grayish-white figure appeared on the pillar. A pillar. The figure was covered in scales. Anklewalt? The figure was covered in scales, or the other one? And every scale resembled a sturdy stone slab. Just the faint outline of the figure made it seem epic? I think this is the kind of chart Easy loves the most. It seemed epic. Dragon of Imagination Anklewalt. Just as this thought flashed through Klein's mind, he heard an oddly familiar voice echoing in the spacious hall. Dragon of Imagination Anklewalt. As Klein looked around in astonishment, he heard Leonard knows him? He heard Leonard sighed emotionally. The deep air listened round him as he rode, and all the low wind heartily breathed for fear. This fellow still has the mood to recite poetry. I wonder whose poem he's reciting. Klein turned to look at Leonard, then he heard an echo. This fellow still has the mood to recite poetry. I wonder whose poem he's reciting. At this moment, Leonard's expression was one of shock. He shut his mouth tightly and shook his head in denial, but the next second a voice sounded in him. I didn't recite anything. What's going on, strange? What? This is strange. What's going on, strange? At the same moment Klein had his thoughts, he realized the strangely familiar voice belonged to him. Hall of Truth. You can only tell the truth here. He realized the strangely familiar voice belonged to him as it echoed again, repeating the thoughts that flashed through Klein's mind. Then Audrey's gentle and mumbled voice sounded. This hall is able to let our thoughts imprison themselves in our surroundings and is even able to conjure them. When I say the huge pillar just now, I was imagining what the Dragon of Imagination Anklewalt looked like. It was based on the blueprint of the mind dragon I saw before. Why is it whatever I'm saying? No, indeed, the hall articulates it so that... Oh, wait, this sounds very dangerous. Wait, hold up, wait. If you're only telling the truth, this could be dangerous here. So if that's the case, luckily I didn't think of anything strange just now. Yes, rein in my thoughts. Klein began to use cognition to focus his mind. Okay, hold up. Either we're getting like a love confession from both Leonard, like either both Leonard and Audrey confess their love for Klein, or like some other crazy shit happens. That's like the only thing I'm thinking because you guys are hyping me up here. And that's gonna be badass if that happens. And began to use cognition to focus his mind and not let his imagination run wild. At the same time, the corresponding words echoed around him almost in sync. Rein in my thoughts. I don't even want to read chat right now. Hold up. So that's what Mr. World's inner world is like. He's like a child who just started school, constantly empathizing. Oh, is she saying this out loud? Constantly empathizing matters that he needs to take attention of. Also, the image of the cognition is actually layers of spherical lights. It's so beautiful. No, I'm not thinking of this. I'm describing you like this. Mr. World, I'm serious. That's so fucking funny. He's just like a child. He's like a child. I'm not describing you like this, Mr. World. I'm serious. Audrey's true thoughts kept appearing as she finally couldn't help but curl her lips. As for Leonard, the voices around him were already echoing with ha ha ha. These two fellows, no, why am I using fellow? Be polite, be more polite. As Klein listened to his thoughts, he said, this is so funny. He sighed helplessly. This place is very suitable for playing truth or dare. Perhaps it should be called the Hall of Truth. What game is that? Audrey didn't need to open her mouth to express her doubts. Oh, they don't know this. Okay, very unhinged of you to say. It's very probably inevitable by Emperor Rizzo. I have to be careful not to think about things I shouldn't think about. Seriously, it's too difficult to rein in random thoughts without the use of cognition. As Klein replied, he habitually warned himself only to have the hall ruthlessly betray him again. What's he say? This time, Audrey laughed and said, "Ha, Mr. World actually has such a side to him. I actually failed to read it in the past." Oh, this is so funny. Oh, this is so good. Ha, to think you're experiencing such a day. Klein, no, wait, what did I say? Leonard suddenly raised his right hand and covered his mouth? This is actually a beautiful chapter. They're finally being honest with one another. In such a gloomy world, I feel like this is a deserved chapter. They need this chapter. Unsurprisingly, he heard Miss Justice's... Oh... He said Klein. To think you're experiencing such a day, Klein. No, wait. What did I say? Leonard suddenly... Oh, she figured it out. Oh, this is a fucking... This is a... Oh, this is worth it. This is such a good chapter. Leonard suddenly raised his right... You know what? Hold up. I know what song to play. Wait, I think this Klein's gonna fit. I think this song fits. Unsurprisingly, he heard Miss Justice's question. Let me loop this song. We'll see how it feels. Unsurprisingly, he heard Miss Justice's question. Klein, and he certain someone's compliment. Perhaps only turning him into a marionette can stop this fellow from having wild thoughts. Wait, what was I thinking? Feel, calm down, calm down. Klein took a deep breath and began to focus his attention on the matter itself. Let's take a look at what the mural describes. In ancient times, murals were very important methods for recording memories. They often contain plenty of information. Wait, should I be playing this? You know what? No, let's just... Oh my god, I don't know what to play. Damn, this is hard. Let's just play Beneath the Mask. Persona. When in doubt, Persona. They often contain plenty of information. At the same time, he made suggestion. He heard Audrey's inner thoughts laugh and think, Klein, is this Mr. World's really name? No, no, no. Don't think too much about it. Mr. World will be angry. No, I think it's more likely for him to feel embarrassed. Oh, this is funny. No, no, no. This is all Lie's fault. Mr. World, please believe me. Few, calm down, focus, focus. Using the spectator pathway's ability to control her emotions and thoughts. Put on Sonic X Shadow Kinky SMR. I don't think we can put that. And the kinky part kind of gave it away. Mr. World, please believe me. Few. Calm down. Focus, focus. Using the spectator pathway's ability to control her emotions and thoughts, Audrey gradually reined in her thoughts and cast her gaze on the mural in the right. Compared to him, Lenard's ability to control his mind was slightly weaker. There were still plenty of random thoughts resounding around him. Turning into marionettes, is this fellow that dangerous now? Tisk, tisk, tisk. So this is what's truly on your mind. Ha, Miss Justice's reaction is very interesting. I haven't seen that fellow in such an embarrassing situation. Oh my god, I sense a ship. I haven't seen... Oh, I can sense... I can say into Leonard, like, you guys should date. I haven't seen that fellow in such an embarrassing situation in a long time. When Klein and Audrey began seriously looking at the murals and were exchanging their thoughts through the stirrings of their hearts, only then did Leonard gradually calm his thoughts and focus his attention. The mural on the right depicted historical developments. There was a scene of human construction, scenes of snow-covered plains, war and migration, various nations and cities, as well as towers and fruits that represented zero communication barriers. It was obvious that these murals started from the entrance and ended at the Dragon Imagination throne. Towards the end, Klein suddenly noticed a familiar figure. It was a gigantic dragon with bluish blue eyes and an ice... Oh, from Grizel's Travels! Bluish blue eyes and an ice crystal scales. It was the king of the north, Uslan. The book world's development is based on these murals. Oh, it's based on Liv Sied's murals depictions. Oh, the snow. Oh, all of Grizel's Travels was based on these murals. Oh, that is so cool. So this is the real Lifsied. This is the real City of Miracles. Oh, shit. The book world's development is based on these murals. As Klein's thoughts were exposed, he quickly looked back and found many blurry face adventures hunting the frost dragon before opening a door to leave. The snow and ice melted before flourishing cities like Pesut appeared. Then they discovered the weather turning cold and implying at the end which a new story was about to unfold. The content of the mirrors will become reality in the book world. The contents of the murals will become reality in this book world. Audrey couldn't help but have such a thought. This mural looks very ordinary. It's not even as good as the works of street artists. As expected of the Dragon Imagination resistance, is this the power of the authority of an ancient god? Leonard similarly had poignant thoughts. It's possible before before Klein could give a more tactful reply, he heard his own voice. Let's look at the murals at the other side before putting everything together for analysis. Leonard and Audrey didn't object and followed him to the other side. During this process, they realized that even their spirit bodies couldn't fly they can't fly. They couldn't fly in the palace as the mirrors were huge. It didn't take much walking before the three of them could see the corresponding content. What are we going to see now? The first mural was near the entrance, made Klein's pupils suddenly dilate. And the mural, a giant with blurry looks, grayish blue skins, and a single vertical was holding a hard-covered book in his hand. This Klein's heard his own shock and hesitant voice. In the subsequent murals, the common highlight was the goatskin binding. This was a dark brown covered book. Bro, for some reason, the message I sent doesn't appear on Easy's end. No, it doesn't appear, dude. It was obtained by different people, and it kept exchanging hands until it flew over the clouds and came to the cosmos, where it landed on a gigantic claw. In the next mirror, the book seemed to have nothing to do with the scenes in front. It suddenly appeared over the surface, and the sea stayed inside a blurry ship. And I'm speaking of ships. I'm feeling a ship now. I feel like the ship is sailing now. In the penultimate mural, I read that wrong, it was taken away by the man wearing a top hat before he left the ship. The next mural was located behind a gigantic pillar suspected to be Dragon of Imagination Ankle Throat. Throne, not throat. It depicted that the book from before met a classic... It depicted that the book from before met a classic quill. At this point, all the murals came to an end. 008, Lenar's shocked voice echoed in the hall. The Dragon of Imagination wants to create a set with a book. I fucking told you! He wants to create a set with the book and I literally said that! What will happen with dealing with Instant Will, the scene... I literally said that earlier this stream. What will happen when dealing with Instant Will, the scene almost appeared, but ultimately it didn't happen because the book landed in my hands. Before I sacrificed it to Mr. Fool, otherwise Adam was already prepared against it and deliberately provided some help. Alright, previously, while inside Grisel's travels, the moment the ascetic mentioned the Angel of Imagination Adam, the Frost Dragon attacked the camp. It was because the book itself didn't allow him to finish the sentence, or had Adam heard his thoughts, which became a connection for him to see the cast his gaze over, stirring up a certain reaction. Klein's thoughts wandered before sounding it out loud. During this process, he could only control himself to treat the fool as another existence. Oh, imagine he fucks up. Oh, he's gonna fuck up and say he's the fool. He's gonna say he's the fool, right? At the same time as he spoke, Audrey's thoughts appeared. The content of this mural will become reality in the physical world. Huh. Alright. That's a good chapter. The call from behind the door? This sounds good. Chapter 1000. Oh, HOT is the acronym for Hall of Truth. I was like, what does that mean? Like, what is it? Like, is it going to get hot and spicy? It's like, what are you talking about? Okay, HOT stands for Hall of Music. Got it. 1072 is called The Call from Behind the Door. Chapter 1072 is called The Call from Behind the Door. The contents in this mirror will become reality in the physical world. Be it Klein or Leonard, they couldn't help but repeat Miss Justice's words in their heart. Yeah, no, it's okay. No, it's pretty funny. If the murals on the other side determine the history of the book world, I like how YouTube censored the Rick Roll song because it knew. YouTube was trying to save me. If the murals on the other side determine the history of the book world, then it was only considered rather amazing. However, the discovery on this side will be enough to shake everyone's heart and bring about a huge upheaval throughout their bodies. The pictures... No, it was worth it. Yeah, it was pretty funny. The pictures you depicted would definitely show up on stage in the real world, not in an illusion world. This was the performance of a deity. It's not that exaggerated, right? After Leonard repeated the statement, he whispered in a low voice, finding it hard to accept. Klein, on the other hand, started his analysis out of habit. Even if 008 can only affect a big city, making it difficult for it to exceed this range, a sequence when authority of the spectator pathway should be similar, and the visionary uniqueness had been confirmed to be in Adam's hand. Then what does this City of Miracles rely on to guarantee that the contents of this mural will become a reality? The divine power of the Dragon of Imagination from back then. When this book was formed, the contents of the murals had already been branded into the sea, a collective subconscious, sinking right inside and spreading its infection in every direction so as to drive generation after generation to accomplish this without realizing it. If this is true, then the possibility of making another mural become a reality would definitely be nigh, as the dragon of imagination has already perished, and there's no way to provide any more divine powers unless Audrey were to reach this level. But that's going to be a while. But we can give it a try. If the contents of the new mural really happens in the physical world, it means that the City of Miracles really is Livsiet, and it contains a huge secret. It implies, and I feel like we're going to see that from behind the door. It also implies that the matters regarding the spectator pathway goes deeper than what I had imagined. And as I say that, I'm going to raise the volume. Deeper than what I had imagined. Author, there's a potion named like that. Hearing Klein's thoughts, Leonard couldn't help but mutter, compared to how the name Dragon of Imagination could be stretched to make the interference to the name Visionary. The potion name of Author was more eye-catching. It made one imagine the realm wild. It felt more like walking from reality and into the realm of fantasy. Audrey, who had long known the name of the high sequence potion of the spectator pathway, suddenly had another thought. Uniqueness, Mr. World actually managed to link up and analyze so many things in an instant. Impressive. Did I praise him too directly, Mr. Did I praise him too directly? Mr. World actually managed to link up and analyze so many things in an instant. Impressive. Did I praise him too directly? Mr. World has heard it all. This hall is really hard to adapt to. No, Mr. World, I really am praising you. I really mean it. Audrey felt a little ashamed at first, but then she quickly adjusted her state of mind, trying her best to keep calm. As expected of a psychiatrist, she adjusted herself really quickly. A thought came to Klein's mind. He's like, as expected. And he kept going back and forth. As expected. As expected, Mr. World isn't as cold as he looks. He's the type of person who will inwardly mutter to himself, I didn't say anything. Just as Audrey instinctively thought of something, she immediately denied it. The same voice echoed around Leonard. Klein's German disguise isn't bad. Almost everyone who knows him believes that he's cold and crazy. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Just as Leonard thoughts was about to wander, a voice interrupted him. Shut up. Is that Klein? Looking at the way German was dressed, he spread out his hands and held back his laughter as he looked. Look, this isn't cold enough, right? Cold. Then all directly press uncharted crucifix against your head. I really hope no one dies after this funny ass chapter. This is these two chapters are fucking amazing. If one of these three people die, I'll be so fucking pissed off, dude. Audrey, I lost my place. Crucifix against your head. If you don't want your Beyonder characteristic, donate it to people who need it. Without being able to use cognition to control the thoughts, Klein instinctively retorted, man, I already know something bad's gonna happen in the future with one of these three people. Audrey looked at Mr. World and then Mr. Star, and her heart skipped up. Her heart skipped a beat. Chill the fuck out. So they have so much drama in their hearts. I could only tell them that there was the case for Mr. Star, but I failed to read what under the world's poker face. Giant Boss Mini? Giant Boss Mini? At crucial moments like this, the experience of Audrey forcibly manipulated her thoughts to begin reciting the name so as to stop her thoughts from wandering off. Who are they? And enlarged detection was diverted. They're the hounds and horses my family rears? Audrey replied politely, a hound costs 450 pounds. Klein suddenly recalled Butler Walter's suggestion of buying a batch of hunting dogs who had purchased Mayor Manor. Why is the first thing on Mr. World's mind the price? Because he loves money, dude. The question floated in Audrey's mind. Leonard pursed his lips. Even though he didn't say a word, he answered, isn't this normal? This fellow has always been a little picky about this. He's always been a little picky. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. He was a little picky about this, I remember. Before he could finish, Klein coughed lightly and said, we'll continue exploring the other areas, and when we have the time, we'll perform experiments on the murals. Side, this hall really complicates matters very easily. The main point is that everyone's privacy is brought to the forefront, and if we aren't focused, they're going to find out Klein's a fool. Praise the pound. Upon hearing the last sentence of his complaint, Audrey and Leonard couldn't help but laugh out loud, but not by their own will. Seeing that Mr. World clearly didn't want the situation to develop into chaos again, Audrey raised her hand, looked up at the ceiling, and focused her attention and got down to business. The mural on the right side controls the book world, and left seems to affect reality. What if you drew the mural of the ceiling? Oh, I also was thinking, like, you can draw your own mural. What if you draw the mural on the ceiling? What will happen? Klein immediately made a connection. The Dragon of Imagination's authority contains at least 3 aspects. 3 murals, 3 aspects. An envisioned kingdom will descend upon the physical world, a declared future that will happen in the real world, and imagined objects that will conjure. The first point corresponds to the right mural, and the second point corresponds to our guesses on the left mural. Then could the blank spot on... Oh, there's a blank spot. Then could the blank spot on the palace's ceiling be related to the third authority? As long as you draw an object you imagine on the ceiling, it will be conjured and be usable. Audrey easily understood what the world meant. Then what if I were to draw a dragon of imagination, Leonard suggested. Klein glanced at him again. First of all, you would have to see the dragon of imagination without completely breaking down and losing control. Like, yeah, you can't draw something if you don't know what it looks like. Secondly, you need to restore the main details of his body. Finally, you have to know how to draw. That's the punchline. You have to know how to draw. I might not know how to now, but it doesn't mean that I can't in the future. I can hire a home tutor to teach me. Leonardo grumbled in reply. And what does the main details refer to? His body structure or the symbols and labels depicted from godhood? At this moment, Audrey pursed her lips and said with a brisk tone, controlling herself so as to not burst out laughing, I can draw? Oh, look at her. This was the basic skill for a noble lady, and Audrey was quite talented in this aspect. Yes, we can try in the future when there's time. Klein nodded and walked towards a giant pillar right in front of the main hall. His plan... Dude, you know who needs to be here with Klein? Sharon. I need Sharon in this fucking room. I need Sharon in this hall ASAP. I need Sharon to be like, oh, I loved you this whole time. I need that to happen. I need Sharon in this because, like, I feel it. I have a hunch because she's been, like, slowly trying to talk to him more and more. And she becomes more expressive. Like, Sharon needs to be in this hall, like, right away. His plan for the expedition was to first gain a complete understanding of the situation before considering how to venture deeper. At the same time, he thought of something else because of Leonard's question. The symbols and labels from godhood, these contain plenty of mixed knowledge. It can even let people learn the corresponding potion formulas and beyond their powers after surviving the impact from witnessing it directly. Then, before the first blasphemy slate appeared, that would one obtain if they survived directly looking at a demigod or even an ancient god. There were no such things as potion formulas back then. It is only through using a magic potion to advance one's mystical creatures form step by step that the godhood aspect is able to contain this portion of knowledge. Or perhaps after the potion formula appears, mythical creature who used any method of advancement had the corresponding knowledge of force within them. If it's because of the 2 reasons I came up with, it means that the knowledge of godhood can change and it can increase. Do angels of the Marauder pathway have the ability to alter such knowledge or even delete them directly? Mr. World's consideration are so deep and profound, they involve very high levels. Audrey, we need Amon, and then Amon comes in and kills one. Hopefully that does not happen. Audrey couldn't help but sigh. Leonardo couldn't control the voice in his heart either. Mr. World's considerations are so deep and profound, they involve very high levels. Audrey couldn't help but sigh. Leonardo couldn't control the voice in his heart either. There's such a thing. I should ask old man when I return. This fellow sure knows a lot. Is not entirely a pretense when he's acting as Grimmer Sparrow. At least this sense of profoundness seems to belong to him. Thank you for your praise. Stop. Thank you for your praise. Stop. With a small blood bottle in one hand and the unshuttered crucifix in the other, Klein forced himself to rein in his thoughts and cast his gaze at the ancient god's throne. They were in the spirit body forms now. Although they were unable to fly due to the restrictions from the main hall, their top speeds was still much faster than their human forms. It was only that Klein realized that behind the pillar that looked like the Dragon of Imagination's throne, there was a dark tunnel. I can't see anything. If only there was light. A thought subconsciously flashed through Audrey's mind. Then in the tunnel, a pure and soft light shone out, illuminating the inside of the tunnels completely. Without needing to enter, Klein, Leonard, and Audrey saw a pair of double bronze doors. Ooh, what's behind the door? At the deepest end of the tunnel. There were countless indescribable symbols covering the door, like countless chains that extended behind them, as if they were sealing something. It gave off a heavy and mysterious title drop, mysterious feeling. In the city of miracles of the dragons, in the residence of an ancient god, there was apparently a sealed door behind his throne. Almost at the same time, the 3 of them seemed to look through the bronze door and into the darkness inside. So they're seeing inside. Following that, they heard a loud thumping of more than one heart. It was from their... Oh, it's their hearts. It was from their own hearts. Yes, they were in their spirit body states now. So there was no such thing... Wait, what the fuck? There was no such thing as a heart. After that, the bronze green door on the surface of the uncharted crucifix slowly peeled off, revealing a corporeal body formed from pure light that emitted a sun-like glow. Is it one of the 7 pure lights? As for Klein, Audrey, and Leonardo, they felt a baffling sense of coldness. It was as if every soul had their own sentence and wanted to form another self. It was as if every soul had their own sentience. The fuck? And wanted to form another self. In their illusory vision, the darkness behind the bronze door, an eye opened. Its pupils were dark, filled with ghostly blue cracks. One after another, similar-looking eyes opened too. They were densely packed together and wore a cold gaze that stared intently at them. At this moment, Klein and the others seemed to hear a silent calling. Oh, this is such a crazy cliffhanger. What the fuck? It was an extremely attractive shout. Without any hesitation, Klein's spirit body burgeoned and enveloped Leonardo and Audrey. He entered something and they dipped. They yeeted. They're like, out. He ended the summoning and returned above the gray fog. Okay, you knowing him, I'd be like, wait, let's keep seeing. Wait. So something was in there that lets you like multiply? What? Is that what that was? Well, wow, look at chat, it's going by fast. Okay, now as we do our overall thoughts, we're going to quickly go through some artwork. I really hope there's nothing spicy, right, guys? We're chill. Nothing spicy is going to be here. Peak stream. We rickrolled you. That was pretty good. Each one would be a week long. I think that is the plan. I think we're going to try that. All right. First, let's look at these. These were cool. I didn't see these ones that client sent earlier. That me and Losh sent earlier. Oh, this one's cool. All right. Let's see. Oh, wait. I don't know if I can show the Triss one. Okay. Maybe we can't say it. Was this from today? What is this from? Mushroom? Mushroom art. Oh, look at that. Mushroom art. All right. Each one would be a wrong batch. Yeah, wrong batch. Okay, so it starts from a Hall of Truth trio. Oh, this is cute. This is cool. Oh, this is sweet. Damn, this is good. Oh, this is a good one. Happy April Fool's Day. That's funny. Damn, this is a good-ass one. What the fuck is this? That's so funny. Oh, this one's cute. Justice. Oh, this is fucking Justice. 500,000 likes. Get out of here. Dang, I know she's rich, but she can't be like social media rich as well, right? Oh, look at the mushrooms. That's cute. This is cool. This is fucking sick. What the fuck? This is funny. This is good. What the fuck? Oh my god. I thought there was going to be a kissing scene out of nowhere. I thought there was going to be a confession scene or something. Oh, that's so funny. What the fuck? Who is this? Is this Klein or Leonard? Oh, Audrey the carry because she carried them. I see that. She was like, her back hurts from carrying them the whole time, huh? What is this face? Oh, I remember one of you guys drew my face like that. Like, ooh, like way back in the day. That's cool. Oh, wait, I closed it early. Was there more? Oh, this one's good. Oh, this one's cool, dude. Oh, that one's sick. Chill, bro. Chill. Livsied City of Miracles. This is it? Wow. That was Leonard? Oh, it was Leonard. Oh, thank you, D. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Audrey just standing there every time Leonard's too silly. Oh, man. I don't even know what to send as the fucking thumbnail today. Oh, this is cool. Oh, my God. This one is good. Oh, this one's cute. You know what this looks like? This looks like something you see in an anime opening when, like, all the characters are running or they're, like, falling through the sky or whatever. This looks like something you see from an anime opening. That's fucking cool. Oh, this one's cute. It's cute. She's just fucking carrying them. That's so funny. This is funny. Yo, you know what? Do I ship this? Do I ship Audrey and Klein now? No. I ship Audrey... No, Audrey and Sharon. I ship Klein and Sharon. Ride or die. I know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see where the ships sail. But I think it's cool now. That fucking... Like, she figured it out. Now she knows he's Klein. Now she's like just one step closer to, like, figuring out. No? I don't know, man. Because I feel like there's been a lot of setup for that. Like, there's so many things about, like, her, like Hyven Rambus is, like, trying to set up for marriage, but she doesn't want to. But then it's like, wait, no, to what part? Or then it's like, they talk about, like, oh, she's had her coming of age ceremony, and now she's, like, ready to get married, and they're like, whoa, chill. That sounds kind of groomy. I don't know how we interpret that. But, like, and then it's like, there's all these things where, like, now they're having all these one-on-one sessions. And now she's over here finding out that, like, Gurman is Klein and, like, he is Dwayne. And, like, it's all the same person. She's been talking to the same person the whole time. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's all these little subtle things. Right? She figured it out. I don't know, man. I feel like there's all these subtle things that are, like, hinting to that. And I don't know. So how do you know how to cook? I once made a cake. Yeah, it was very good. Oh, really? Don't make me like twice, Leonard. This one's cute. What the fuck, dude? Oh, man. If one of them fucking dies at the end, I'm gonna be so mad. The fact that there's so much fan art on this amazing trio moment kind of worries me. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, this one's good. I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm kind of worried that there's a lot of fan art on this beautiful moment. You know? And I feel like this is people cherishing the bittersweet moments before shit hits the fan. Because I feel like we're approaching the final act of the series. God damn, what the fuck? Why the fuck is he so hunked out? Why the fuck is his pecs so fucking, like... What the fuck, man? This guy hits the fucking gym. Fucking Leonard. I'm jealous. This guy actually works out. This is a funny-ass pose. Oh, look, the door of light. Why do you assume it will only be one? Hey, man, I don't know, man. There's gonna be more than one death. I know there's going to be more than one death leading up to the ending of the series. But between this trio, I sense one. I'm sorry. Oh, this is Final Fantasy 14. I figured it out right away. Oh, shit. For people that don't know, I've played Final Fantasy 14 for years. I played this shit for like half a decade. Look, they're all wearing the summer outfit from the summer event from a few years ago. Hey, look. Male Vera, look at that cat boy, and then she's an aura. This is so fucking cool. I was like, I recognize this artwork from somewhere. This is cool. Yeah, this shit hits the fan very soon. Don't scare me, man. I'm scared. You know what? I think this is my favorite fan art just because I have played a lot of Final Fantasy 14. This is cool, dude. Look at that. That's fucking sick. That one's super cool. Oh, this one's cute too. That's cool. Damn, you guys did send a lot of artwork. Some other art I found. See? Oh, this one is good. Oh, this one is good. Ending of volume 1, and then it kind of like shows you who he becomes in volume 2. You see the clown mask. Oh, the cat Brody. The fucking origami. Oh, this is such a cool ass fucking thing. That's a really... Oh my god. I was gonna say daddy. I can't say that. I was gonna say mommy. Wow, look at that. Damn. Oh, this is badass. The red angel is the Lord's rage. The Lord's punishment, his appearance over the lands means war is at hand. Oh, he's definitely going to be in the war, huh? Red Angel Menchi. Oh, look at the little halo around him. That's fucking cool. What the fuck is this? Oh, this is the ending of Volume 4. Smash? Medici? Hey, I don't judge. Oh, Trissy? Hell yeah, brother. Wow. Wow. Oh, Wiz had this as a thumbnail for a while. I remember that. To a Zik and Trissy. All of them. Hell yeah, brother. Damn, this one is badass, dude. Damn. I'm scared. I really feel like this. I really feel like this is going to be the last cute moment we're going to get for a good while. No comment. The Narcline Audrey. What the fuck? Oh, because she's wearing her lie mask. That's funny. These are cute. I like how everybody's adding all these mushrooms in now. This one's cool. It's like they're going on their own little folklore story. What's with the... What? AI Harry Potter? That's crazy. Blood Emperor. Oh, that's good. Oh, hell yeah. Give it to me, dude. Damn. Damn. Oh my god, this is badass. Jesus. Oh my God. Wait. This is a little too bloody. Wait. Oh my God. I gotta rapid fire this stuff. Oh my God, this is a little too bloody. Oh wait, that's a little too bloody for YouTube. I don't know. I mean, you can play rated M video games, so I think it's chill. Wow, at least the tutor. The fucking Blood Emperor himself. Wow. God damn. Woo! Dude, this was a good stream. This was a fucking good reach through. Oh my God. I'll be honest. There's a lot of lore dump. It was literally lore overlord. Oh my God, I keep saying overlord. It was lore. It's a tongue twister. It was lore overlord, and it ends with a beautiful moment. What was the FY pose? One of them? Well, fake FY, the one with the chair? Wait, what's the FY pose? I don't know what that is. Audio listeners are freaking out. Oh my God, I never thought about that for audio listeners. We are looking at fan art. Wow, the Solomon Empire and the Tudor Turnus United Empire. I think I've seen this picture before. I've seen this picture when I started reading it. I thought this was like a Bloodborne, like Elden Ring X Lord of Mysteries thing. Oh, this is real. You missed the Chad Klein trio peak artwork. So funny. Chad Klein? I missed Chad Klein? Oh my God, I did miss. Yeah, that's funny. That was fucking funny. I did miss Chad Klein. Yep. Oh man, that's good. That's fucking good. Oh wow. Dude, I don't know what to set as my thumbnail of this stream. Wow. Oh my God. This one is good. I think I set this as the thumbnail. And I think I cropped 2 images. I think I put this picture to emphasize the lore overload segment. And wow, oh my God, look at the whole, these are people. Wait, these are people. Oh my God, I didn't realize these were fucking people. Wait, what's the difference here? Is it the different? Oh, it's the different empire. I get it. It's the different empire. So this is him speaking to his empire, and this is them and their alliance speaking to their united. I got it. Send the pregnant easy geeky Drit as a thumbnail. We'll take a look. What the fuck is this, bro? There is so much going on in this fucking picture, dude. What? Unauthorized copying and replication of the contents of the image are strictly prohibited. We're not copying or replicating, we're reacting, right? So I think this means like in person. I don't think you can. Okay. I think it means in person, not like digitally. Oh, this one is cute. I don't know what this is reminding me of. SAO season 3. When it's like the trio under the tree in the beginning of episode 1. I don't know why I'm thinking about that right now. Oh, shut up. Oh, is it the moment? As expected, Missing World isn't as cold as he looks. Wait, I didn't say anything. Klein's German disguise isn't bad. Almost everyone believes he's cold and crazy. Huh? Who would have thought? Shut up. That part was fucking funny. It's the Solomon Empire. Dude, there's so much art. Dude, this definitely lore overload. Oh my God, tongue twister. Lore overload is wild. Shut up is again the same thing, right? Shut up. This one's funny. I think this is the best moment. Like, oh man, he really is dark and gloomy. Like, oh, he's actually not that bad. All right, he looks okay. He's pretty cool-headed. Shut up. Oh, it's so funny. This is good. Wow. Oh hell yeah. Oh shit, hell yeah. People posted me. I didn't even see that. I'm on Billy. Oh hell yeah. Clown makeup. Later episodes are more exciting YouTube mystery. The old brother proved to me that this is really difficult to recognize the original appearance when wearing... Wait. This old brother proved to me that it is really difficult to recognize the original appearance when wearing clown makeup. It turns out I really can't recognize the clown makeup. Oh, that's so funny. I didn't even recognize it when I saw the cover. Oh, that's so funny. This blogger also has a suit, politeness, reading, booking, 10 years, Audrey, woman clothing. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, I thought, oh, wait, even people on Billy know that within the next 10 years, I'm going to do the Audrey cosplay. He's like, this guy has a suit, he has a hat, and he promised to do the Audrey cosplay between 2025 to 2035. That is cool, dude. Hell yeah. Billy reaction speak. I should watch my Billy reaction. I like how the still is. Wow, she is gorgeous. I can't believe I did that, dude. What the fuck am I wearing, dude? Oh my god. You know what's crazy? I haven't even looked at this since I uploaded. Like, when I did the video, I just look at the bottom. Look, this is how I edit, just to minimize time because it takes so long. I just look at the parts where I don't talk and I talk, and I'm just cropping in and out, and every so often I'll leave parts where I'm quiet, or if I remember, okay, this part, this happens, I'll go back because I know I'm like, oh, I leave a quiet reaction or something, so I leave that part. But I haven't looked at this, dude, since I was editing it. Bro became Klein without the depression. Oh man, I look a little depressed right here. Right here, I'm like, man, the lead is shining in my face. I'm hot. I'm sweaty as fuck. And I'm wearing fucking clown makeup. And then when I was wearing the wig, I'm like, my head is itchy as shit. And I'm like, was this really worth it? And then after, I'm like, yeah, it was worth it. All right, man. That was a fun ass read through. Wow, man. What? Look, it's already starting to get dark in my room. That's crazy, dude. It's been a while. I don't even know what I'm going to set as my thumbnail. I have to think about it. I have to add, like... I think I make this my thumbnail. And then I add at like the bottom right, like the trio. I think that's what I do. Now, the one thing I have, I have a question. Do any of you guys have a high res picture of this? A face only a mother could recognize? You can tell your girlfriend that some Chinese guy likes her makeup skills. You know what? I'm gonna let her know. I'm like, people in China love it. They love it. Nah, damn. Maybe there's like a high res. Audrey Leonard climb pick as a thumbnail is better for a thumbnail. Yeah, I think it will be. But I'll probably like do like an overlay where I kind of like, I'll probably have like, just how I've been kind of like doing the face, like, so what I've been doing for backgrounds recently, I have like the background, and then over the background, I'll add like the characters. So I can probably have like the whole alliance part as the background, and then put the trio like in the front, like the characters. I don't know. I don't even know what to title this stream. I'm probably going to title it. Yeah, I'm probably going to title it Lore Overload and Hall of the Truth Reveal. I think that's the title. I think I can fit that. That being said, I'm going to let you guys go. Have an amazing, beautiful day. I'm going to go spend time with a girlfriend. I'll see you guys. Oh, no. Can I take tomorrow off? Nah, I should keep reading. Lore Overload. How many chapters do you read next stream? Use the one that looks like an anime intro. I like this one a lot. I like this one when they were falling down. Wow, look, I should end stream right now, but I want to talk to you guys. Look what you guys do to me. Wait, the outro's still going. Where? Let me see. Let me find it. Where the fuck is it? I lost it. Somewhere in here, right? I think it's somewhere. Oh yeah. Is there a higher res picture, or is this as high res as it goes? Oh, okay. No, it's just Discord bitrate. It's loading. Call it too much load. I mean lore. If you guys have a higher res picture of this one, send it. Send it on Discord right now. But I'm gonna let you guys go. Peace. Have a beautiful day. I think tomorrow, set expectations. I think tomorrow I might be just gaming for a little bit and relaxing. And then I'll read Lord of the Mysteries after. Fuck. I'm gonna try and do Shadow Slave because I did promise Shadow Slave on Mystery Review Point. But like now that I read this, I got really, really hyped, and I just want to keep reading Lord of the Mysteries again. It's like the two sides. Like I'm telling you, I have two sides, man. I have two wolves inside of me. One wants to do other videos in between Lord of the Mysteries, but then the other side of me just wants to keep reading Lord of the Mysteries. I'm very conflicted. I sent one in general. Okay. Yeah, and then for people that haven't joined the Discord, make sure you joined. Oh hell no. For people that don't know, make sure you guys joined in general. I mean, join the Discord, and I'm gonna see you guys all very, very soon. Peace. Have an amazing day. Have a blessed full day, and I'm gonna see you guys all very, very soon. Peace out, and have an amazing day. I'm stalling out this outro like my life depends on it. I apologize. All right, later, guys. SS1. I'm sorry, Adul. I'll try to read tomorrow. I'm gonna try and read Shadow Slave tomorrow. One wants to free Unhinged from prison. I'll try and read Shadow Slave tomorrow. I pinky promise. I'm gonna do my best to try and read it tomorrow before I stream. All right. Later, guys. I love you all. I had fun reading this shit today. I felt a little overwhelmed in the beginning, but you know what? At the end, we recovered, and that was fun, beautiful, and blissful. All right. Later, guys.